In the sealed room, by the window, under a sparkling starry sky that night, she appeared like a princess. He stood ramrod straight against the wall. The two pressed close to each other, and she asked him, "Hey, tell me the truth." She reached out to caress his face, the light shining on her, revealing her alluring collarbones. Pausing for a moment, she continued, "You've liked me for a long time, haven't you?" He blushed with embarrassment, and she pressed her advantage. 12 years ago, from the moment you applied medicine for me." Her hand was still on his face. Her thumb stroked the corner of his mouth as she asked earnestly, "Right?" The closer she got, the redder his face became. She teased him, "You're so bad, Zhou-Mang." Then she said, "Not only did you see a girl without her clothes on, but you also secretly committed it to memory." Zhou-Mang reached up to rub his chin, stammering, "I didn't." She casually placed a finger on his lips. "Liar. Do you think I don't know what's in a man's head?" She leaned into Zhou-Mang's ear and said, "It's all filled with dirty little secrets." He tried to defend himself, his face turning even redder. "I don't have any." Pausing for a bit, he gently pushed Qi Xing away with his hand and continued, "At that time, you looked so cold, I just wanted to give you a hug." Hearing this, she was stunned, then smiled and said, "You." She hugged him tighter. With a sudden rustle, he said, "Qi Xing." Before he could finish, she pulled him forcefully. The two shared a passionate kiss, hand in hand, lips on lips. Bang, bang. Outside the window, brilliant fireworks lit up the sky. It was New Year's Eve. The two held each other without parting. Qi Xing said in his ear, "You're so adorable." Outside in the square, the bustling crowd all saw negative news about Qi Xing appear on the advertising screen. The article stated that the famous actress Qi Xing was drinking and smoking late at night in Lan Kwai Fong. The next day, she was immediately invited for an interview on OBC's news program. The female host asked Qi Xing, "Are you aware that after seeing the photo of you secretly drinking in Lan Kwai Fong, screenwriter Mai Zi used the term white camellia to describe you? What are your comments on that?" She answered calmly, as the host beside her listened intently, "I've never paid attention to online rumors." The female host nodded slightly and continued to ask, "A few days ago, an international director praised an actress for being beautiful but tactless, and it ended up trending." Qi Xing replied with a very short but meaningful sentence. "Do you think there's anyone in this world who is beautiful but tactless? How could that be? A true actress must be beautiful to the point of not being arrogant. Once a beauty becomes narcissistic, she is no longer lovely." The interview ended. Her assistant watched the interview video in the car, fuming. What the hell was that? Her face turned pale with fear, and she continued, "Did that actress rub her the wrong way? Did she have to be so blunt? She's already being cursed out and trending for it this quickly?" Qi Xing sat beside her, wearing a dark blue turtleneck sweater, smoking a cigarette as she said, "Isn't that great? People love it most when I'm trending." Feeling she couldn't win the argument, the assistant changed the subject, looking at Qi Xing's still-casted left hand and said, "The stalker who was following you before, who caused you to fall and break your hand, still hasn't been caught. I'm looking for a bodyguard for you now." She sighed and said, "Then I only have one requirement." But the requirements she listed were a whole pile. Not bald, not too ugly, not shorter than me, not too old. Finally, she concluded, "If you can't meet all of them at once, then find a female bodyguard." This made the assistant very angry. "Is this one requirement?" Back at the office, the assistant threw a stack of documents at Qi Xing. "These are all bodyguard profiles for you. Pick one yourself." Qi Xing glanced through them, but not a single name was good. What is this? Not one decent-sounding name. Then her eyes stopped on one sheet. "I'll pick this one." The assistant asked worriedly, "Huh? Take a look." Before her was a handsome man named Zhou-Mang. Profession, bodyguard. The assistant therefore vehemently objected. "Humph, no way. This guy is too handsome. We're not choosing a male pet." Then she thought to herself, No, I absolutely have to talk this lady out of it." She pleaded gently, "Sis, let's pick someone else." Then she tried to persuade her earnestly. "I know you only have 2 years left, but aren't this person and that person still pursuing you? If you have a bodyguard like that by your side, it could easily cause misunderstandings." She brought the cigarette to her lips, reassuring her assistant, "You're overthinking it." This only made the assistant cover her face with that sheet of paper, a look of horror on her face. Then Qi Xing continued, "He's 6 years younger than me, duplicitous, extremely stubborn, and has no interest in other people. Would I fall for someone like that? Is my taste that bad?" The assistant questioned, "You know him? An ex-boyfriend, current boyfriend, first love?" Qi Xing stubbed out her cigarette on the photo in the file. and answered her assistant, an enemy. Then she said decisively, if he's not my bodyguard, I don't want anyone. The next day, at Fengchuan Media, everyone was in a meeting. It seemed they were discussing a girl. I hear your security company carries out missions in teams. Another person added, there's a girl in the team, right? That should fit our requirements. It turned out the assistant and Zhou Meng were negotiating in the office. She said to Zhou Meng, also, she has some work requirements. Then she gave detailed instructions. Even the small details must be remembered. Just think of yourself as a nanny sometimes. He was looking at the contract and realized it was her, which made him pause for a few seconds. That's right. Her name is Qi Xing. His voice trembling, he asked again, Qi Xing? He put the file down and said, sorry, I'm not a nanny. Besides, I won't take this job based on personal feelings to protect someone. Then he left angrily. Before leaving, he left one last sentence. I will discuss with my company and send another security team to handle Miss Qi Xing's protection. This made the assistant so happy she could cry, silently thanking the heavens. Yeah, this is great. Even heaven is on my side. Halfway out, he spotted Qi Xing, and he was puzzled. Why is it her? Qi Xing. But at that moment, Qi Xing was busy having a loud argument. She said, Lin Zichuan, why did you change the female lead of the Great Earthquake? This is a role I fought hard to get. On what grounds can you just change it? Lin Zichuan was evasive, questioning, why didn't you go to the party last night? She replied, Lin Zichuan, we both know very well. Then she retorted, if it were a proper party, why wouldn't I go? He angrily slammed his hand on the table with a loud smack. If you won't listen, of course you have to face some punishment. Then he stood up as if looking for a book and said, don't even think about the Great Earthquake anymore. I'll arrange another film for you. If you don't take it, you won't have any new work this year. Qi Xing was too angry to speak. You, Lin Zichuan, I see you're holding a grudge because I suggested we break up and you're deliberately trying to fix me, aren't you? She tilted her head slightly. I've disrupted your rhythm, escaped your control, so that's why you're so angry. Instead of taking revenge on me, why not just end this on good terms? Right now our relationship is simply a partnership. If it's a partnership, why not? She didn't finish her sentence before he restrained her, pressing her onto the table. He roared, shut your mouth. She asked nonchalantly, what? You want to hit me again? She picked up a pot of cactus to defend herself, and he said, now you not only talk back, but you also know how to fight back. She put the cactus pot back down, replying, I didn't have to learn, I always knew how. Regarding her merciful act, he said, if you were going to strike me, you should have done it back then. What's the point of trying now? Out of habit, she brought a cigarette to her lips again and said, I still had feelings for you then, so I didn't. While the other person was still pondering, she shrugged, turning the tables. Now I really regret going easy on you. You could try me again if you don't believe it. Just as she breathed a sigh of relief and stepped out of that strange room, she snorted coldly. That lunatic. Suddenly she froze, realizing Zhou Meng had been standing there for who knows how long. The two faced each other, and Zhou Meng spoke first. Hello, I'm your bodyguard, Zhou Meng. From today on, I will be responsible for your protection. Faced with Zhou Meng's sudden appearance, 1,000 questions flashed through Qi Xing's mind. When did he get here? She then thought, did he hear everything I said to Lin Zichuan just now? He looked at her casted arm, thinking to himself, that wound on her hand, was it caused by that ex-boyfriend abusing her? She brought the cigarette to her full lips, then lowered it, acting as if nothing had happened and changing the subject. Hey, got a light? He was silent for a moment, then frowned at her and asked, aren't you surprised? She replied calmly, it's all right. What about you? Didn't you recognize me too? She thought to herself, his gaze hasn't changed at all. It's exactly the same as when I first met him. She began to recall 12 years ago. In the communal dormitory area, a girl in a pink shirt and black track pants, looking like she was from the countryside, was waiting for someone. Behind a tree was a 12-year-old boy, Zhou Meng. He called out, hey, who are you looking for? She was Qi Xing, 18 years old this year. She crossed her arms and answered the boy, I'm looking for Qi Rong. Then he ignored her. Suddenly, a cat came up to Zhou Meng's shoes, meowing adorably. He bent down to let the cat climb on him, then petted it. She wondered, is that kid Qi Rong's mistress's illegitimate child? She was indignant. That brat? Does he think I'm helpless just because he's ignoring me? With that thought, she took action, shouting loudly, Qi Rong, get your ass out here and give me back my money. Immediately, A man pulled her back. She cried out in surprise. "Ah?" The man cursed. "You family wrecker. You dare to come here and demand money from me. I'll beat you to death today." As he cursed, he hit her with a clothes hanger. His wife watching from behind, stunned. Her face flushed, her tone defiant, as if she wasn't afraid of the man. "Go on, hit me. Even if I'm beaten to death by a piece of trash like you today, I'm still getting the money my aunt gave me." The two struggled. The man retorted, "That so-called aunt of yours is a bitch. Back then she helped your dead mother hide her affair. She was beaten until she couldn't stand, forced to her knees." Hearing this, her fists clenched as she heard him continue. "You follow her. Do you want to learn from your slutty mother how to go out and seduce men?" He continued to beat her, knocking her to the ground, saying, "Today I'm going to cut your hair and see how you seduce people then." The wife behind him hurriedly tried to stop him. "Chi-Rong, stop it. That child is your daughter. You bastard, stop it." Chi-Shing couldn't bear it, crying out in pain. "Ah?" She quickly bit his hand, injuring him as well. "Ah, my hand," he said, clutching his hand. To stop his wife's nagging, he pushed her away and shouted, "Get lost. I'm going to kill her today." His face was ferocious, while Chi-Shing lay in the courtyard. The scene was terrifying. It was unclear how things would escalate. At that moment, with a thud, Zhou Meng risked his life and rammed Chi-Rong with his head. He saw the boy's face and shouted, You little brat." The boy held a baseball bat and pointed it straight at him, shouting, "Get out." Just like that, he saved the beautiful older sister. Back at his home, she took off her outer shirt, revealing a body full of bruises. She huddled in the corner by the TV. The TV was on, the people inside laughing and talking happily. She felt like everyone was mocking her. What are these people laughing at? What's so funny? He brought in the first aid kit, preparing to apply medicine for her, saying, "My mom went to the market. She told you to wait here." He came closer, continuing, "I'll disinfect the wounds on your back first. You could do the rest yourself." She grunted in agreement, then stubbornly thought to herself, "That's your mom, not my mom. Why should I listen to her and obediently wait here? But if I were to leave, where could I go?" As her mind wandered, his hand applied pressure, pulling her back to reality. She cried out in pain, hiss. He stammered, Sorry." Then he gently explained, "A few strands of hair fell into your wound. I have to use small tweezers to get them out first." Then he comforted her. "I'll be very gentle. Just bear with it for a moment." That bastard, his careful manner, was like how he cared for that little cat. She thought to herself, "Humph, and I thought this blockhead was only gentle with small animals." To test him, she came up with a mischievous idea. "Got it." She turned around, her face full of allure, and asked, "Hey, when you see a girl with no clothes on, do you know what you're supposed to do?" He blushed, not knowing what to do. She said again, "You should find her a set of clothes." He ran off awkwardly. I'll go get you some clothes." Seeing him like that, she burst out laughing. In a flash, the country girl from back then had transformed into a beautiful, charming, and incredibly strong woman. She thought he was so cute when he was little. Zhou Meng took the cigarette from her mouth, startling her. What happened to the expressive guy from back then? Now he's like a statue. No fun at all. Zhou Meng held the cigarette and said, "According to the contract terms, before you join the cast of The Sparkling Sweetheart, you have to quit smoking for a month." She blinked. "Are you a bodyguard or a nanny?" He replied, "Either is fine." He turned to leave, and she heard a voice on the other end of his line. "Hello, Chang Xiaoyan." On the other side, the assistant was reporting, "Miss Chi-Shing, your enemy said he can't work for you based on personal feelings to protect someone. I've found a new person for you. Come take a look later." She chased after him and pulled him back. "Hey you, what do you mean by based on personal feelings to protect someone? What personal feelings do you have for me, Zhou Meng?" Chi-Shing's hand rested on his chest. Her long, slender, fair fingers as if probing. Their eyes met, and the air instantly froze. "A bit ambiguous, isn't it? What personal feelings do you have for me, Zhou Meng?" From a distance, Chang Xiaoyan ran over as if she had rockets on her feet. "I'm going to die. It's only been a moment, and the two of you are already seducing each other." She grabbed Chi-Shing, pulling her towards herself. Chang Xiaoyan suppressed her anger, whispering in her ear, "My dear ancestor, where do you think you are, daring to seduce a man here? Are you out of your mind?" Chi-Shing chuckled. It's true that only Chang Xiaoyan would dare to scold her so harshly. She quickly took out a file. "I've chosen a new bodyguard for you, guaranteed to meet your requirements." Faced with Chang Xiaoyan's urging, Chi-Shing crossed her arms. Wait a moment. Before the words were out, a voice came from above, a man's voice, deep and warm. "Miss Chang." He reached past Chi-Shing and took the file. "I'll take this job." Chi-Shing was stunned by his suddenness. not knowing what to say. He held out his hand. A pleasure to work with you. A few minutes later, Zhou Meng left. Chang Xiaoyan pounced on her like a fierce tiger, shaking her back and forth. What did you do now? She repeatedly waved her hands in denial. I didn't do anything. Qi Xing glanced lightly at the path he had just walked, the corners of her mouth curving up, her heart seemingly filled with joy. The days ahead will be long. Qi Xing lived in an apartment complex. The weather was changing seasons, no longer as sweltering as before. Qi Xing took a grape from the plate. She sat with her legs crossed, her long hair casually draped over her shoulders. Zhou Meng, come here. Let's continue our topic from earlier. She pressed. What do you mean by based on personal feelings to protect someone? Do you have personal feelings for me? Zhou Meng was wearing a neat white shirt, one hand in his pocket, a watch on his right wrist. He was staring intently at the bodyguard's dedicated communication device, replying, I forgot that I knew you. We had some unpleasant disputes. She said, oh, is that so? Qi Xing covered her face, holding back a smile. So, do you have a girlfriend? Seeing no reply, her face fell, playing mute again. Acting like this makes it easy for people to misunderstand that you have a secret crush on me. Zhou Meng turned his back to her, saying coldly, I don't know you. This seemingly normal conversation was the beginning of another. Remembering earlier when you and He Nian were huddled together, whispering, bro, did Zhou Meng and Qi Xing know each other before? What's their relationship? That boy shook his head, a look of doubt on his face. I don't think so. I haven't heard Brother Zhou Meng say anything. But Chang Xiaoyan happened to overhear their whispers. She clutched the laptop in her hand. This ancestor of mine is starting trouble again. Qi Xing leaned against the sofa, her hand propped on a pillow, retorting, you don't know me, my God, lying again. Zhou Meng ignored her words. He just pointed to the door. It's best to change the door password every time. She scoffed. That's too much trouble. I can't remember. He continued to advise. The person who was stalking you before still hasn't been caught, but he only got 3 words from her. Can't remember it. After a few seconds of stalemate, he couldn't sway her and had to concede first. I'll remember it. Qi Xing, having gotten her way, also raised her hand in celebration. He looked at the two of them, then at He Nian, bro them. He stroked his chin, pondering. Their relationship doesn't look simple. Chang Xiaoyan sat to one side, her heart in a turmoil. So angry a vein popped on her forehead. She rubbed her temples, telling herself she must watch this lady's mouth when they're outside. The phone on the table vibrated softly. The screen lit up with an incoming call. She picked it up. Hello. The person on the other end said a few words. Her expression changed quickly. Chang Xiaoyan put her laptop in her bag and said loudly, Xiao Xing, let's hurry to the company. Something's happened with the Sparkling Sweethearts production. This sentence hit Qi Xing directly, and the smile from a moment ago vanished. At Fengchuan Media, the 3 of them arrived quickly. Qi Xing had changed into a different outfit, a simple black one-piece dress, paired with accessories that made the whole look stand out. The Sparkling Sweetheart can't continue filming? Can I still compete for the role in The Great Earthquake? Chang Xiaoyan shook her head. Don't even dream about it. I heard the male lead of Sweetheart was driving drunk last night, crashed into the curb. She took out her phone to check the news. There was also a girl from a girl group in the car. They said they even found ecstasy in his bag. This is already blown up online. I'm afraid he won't be able to keep the male lead position. This is obviously a huge deal. Qi Xing understood. She lowered her eyes. Who is the company planning to pull in to save the day? The elevator showed the 18th floor, ding. The doors opened, and a voice came from inside, tinged with some surprise. Qi Xing Yuan Qiushi was wearing a black shirt, with a windbreaker over it. When he saw her, his eyes curved, and he smiled politely. Hello. Qi Xing. She was stunned. Qi Xing's round, sparkling eyes looked at him. Hello? She thought to herself, Yuan Qiushi, my idol, why is he here? He walked over. His charming eyes carried the breath of spring, making the surrounding air unusually warm. I came down especially to get you. We're about to have a meeting. A few strands of hair fell across his forehead. Qi Xing stammered, unable to believe what she had just heard. A meeting with you. But she found Yuan Qiushi's sparkling expression made Zhou Meng's eyes soar. He frowned, looking unhappily at their clasped hands, the corner of his mouth turning down, annoyed, shaking hands for so long. Aren't your palms getting sweaty? Yuan Qiushi and Qi Xing walked side by side, followed by Chang Xiaoyan and a few bodyguards. Yuan Qiushi, with his hands in his pockets, recounted to her, last night when it happened, I happened to be drinking with Lin Zichuan, and he immediately pulled me in to save the day. He curved his lips, staring at Qi Xing. When I heard you were also in the cast, I agreed right away. When she heard that, her face immediately lit up with joy. Because I'm in the cast, you agreed to take over the role in Sweetheart? The two were not far apart, their shoulders even touching. She and he met eyes. The air was filled with a sweet and deep fragrance. Really? Am I that important? He nodded, saying indulgently, of course I'm your fan. I've seen the movies you've been in, Jianghu Wintergrass, and also Du Lin Yang. He thought for a moment. Your look in Du Lin Yang was so beautiful. But this sentence accidentally struck a nerve with Chang, Xiao, Yin walking behind. She recalled the negative comments online. That year, the ratings were disastrous. Where did Du Lin Yang even rank? What was wrong with Du Lin Yang anyway? The two terrible films, Du Lin Yang. Chang Xiao Yin broke out in a cold sweat. Crap. Du Lin Yang was a film that critics and audiences rarely agreed was terrible. It's a sore spot for Qi Xing. She looked at Qi Xing's back. This ancestor of mine isn't going to flip out, is she? However, Qi Xing's attitude was completely different from what she imagined. She tucked her long black hair behind her ear, her long eyelashes fluttering, and laughed happily. You liked it? I have the uncut version. Let's watch it together. These few inviting words startled her agent, her heart skipping a beat. You can stop now. Please stop. Yuan Xiushi took out his phone, tapped on the screen for a moment, then showed her a QR code. Let's add each other on WeChat. No need to say more. Being actively added by her idol was a great honor. Qi Xing immediately agreed. Okay. Zhou Meng stood in front. The entire conversation entered his ears without missing a word. His face had a deadpan expression. Humph. So careless. How can you just give your WeChat to anyone? Chang Xiao Yin pulled Qi Xing's arm, whispering, stop smiling. Don't forget who the female lead of this drama is. She maintained her original expression. Yin, then I have even more reason to smile. Although she spoke very quietly, it still didn't escape the ears of He Yu and Yin Yen. He asked, who is Yin Yen? He Yu shrugged. You don't remember this either. Didn't we watch Qi Xing's interview on Mu Kushiguang? Yin Yen is the one, Qi Xing mocked. The one who's beautiful but tactless. In the spacious hall, Yin Yen stood with her arms crossed, her expression cold and arrogant, unapproachable, her waist-length hair loose but not messy, her delicate face extremely striking, truly very beautiful. Qi Xing walked in the door, covering her mouth with a laugh. Oh my, Sister Yin, long time no see. Why haven't you changed that bag of yours? Qi Xing disliked her, showing no courtesy upon meeting. Yuan Xiushi beside them secretly wiped away sweat. The rumors that you two don't get along. It seems they're true. Yin Yin ignored her, looking radiantly at Yuan Xiushi. Little Qiu, didn't your sister buy a horse ranch 2 days ago? Were we going to see it? In contrast, Yuan Xiushi focused all his attention on Qi Xing. He asked, I'm the one who bought it. Let's go play this weekend. My sister invited 2 French chefs. The food should be delicious too, right? Do you know how to ride a horse? Qi Xing said bluntly, will you teach me? He didn't mind either. Of course, from the very beginning, there was electricity in the air between Yin Yin and Qi Xing, just waiting for this moment to explode. Only Yuan Xiushi remained innocently unaware. Zhou Meng observed this scene from a distance, constantly holding back a smile. That's her personality. All right. The whole day, the place was full of people, everyone chatting animatedly. The gossip was endless. Director Qi, long time no see. I heard you bought a vineyard in Europe. When will you invite everyone for a tour? Is your son about to start elementary school? Have you chosen a school yet? Or a certain stock seems promising right now. Zhou Meng leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching the chaotic scene around him. He felt a bit repulsed. It seems this is a cast meeting, but also a discussion forum. These people are all secretly showing off their strength, to let their peers know their place. Zhou Meng retracted his gaze, only then noticing Qi Xing sitting beside him, playing on her phone. She seemed to be having a lot of fun. He was curious to see. On the screen was an intimate couple. She gets excited watching this stuff. It's hard to say, but besides talking to Nguyen, Thursday, Doi, and Thuong Chunan, she didn't seem to talk to anyone else. In Chao Meng's thoughts, Trihan was like a solitary white flower in the mud, struggling with all her might, strong and domineering. But in the end, she was just a flower who could also be fragile and weary. He felt a pang of pity. She doesn't seem to have anyone particularly close to her. What's wrong? Tri-Han felt a chill. It seemed like someone was staring at her, and she suddenly looked up. She met Chow Mang's gaze. Chow Mang's jawline was exceptionally handsome, and his nose was high. He was pleasing to the eye from any angle, making one want to look a little longer. Caught staring by her, Chow Mang instinctively turned his head away, feeling as guilty as a thief. A few minutes later, hearing his question, Tri-Han was a bit surprised. Are you asking me why I don't talk to those people? Chow Mang didn't look at her. Tri-Han found this very normal. She stretched lazily, completely unconcerned about her image. I have no family background, no backing. Why bother trying to squeeze into the hustle and bustle? It's enough as long as I make them acknowledge my acting. She was always like this, shining brightly in everything she did, just like now. Her eyes were as tranquil as a river, as gentle as the wind. When she smiled, they curved into a beautiful crescent moon, stirring one's heart. For a moment, Chow Mang felt as if he'd been hit by a petrifying spell, his body turning to stone, and the one who cast the spell was her, Tri-Han. His chest heaved. He felt his heart first skip a beat, then suddenly beat faster. Chow Mang hurriedly turned away to avoid facing her directly. Why did she smile at me? How careless of her. Chow Mang felt his face flush. The heat spread through his body like a plague. Perhaps his skin, now as red as a tomato, was visible to the naked eye. If someone saw him, who knows what new gossip they would make up. NAMA-MANGAI, standing a few meters away, had indeed seen them. At Tri-Han's house, she leaned wearily against a comfortable chair, hugging a pretty and soft floral pillow, constantly murmuring to Chow Mang, finally home. Socializing with that crowd is exhausting. Beside her, Chow Mang was focused on clearing the dishes. She suddenly asked him, "Where are Han Nian and Han Noi yet?" He calmly replied to her, "The management office said the camera installation at the door needs to be registered, so the two of them went for me." At that moment, the image of a girl appeared on the TV. She introduced herself as NAMA-MANGAI. As soon as Tri-Han saw her, she complained, "Why is it her again? She's like a lingering ghost. I'm going to have nightmares tonight." Just then, Chow Mang walked past behind her and asked her strangely, "It's not that bad, is it?" Tri-Han heard his words and blankly mumbled in repetition, "Not that bad?" But in Tri-Han's train of thought, the moment he turned to leave, NAMA-MANGAI's image appeared. Chow Mang immediately stopped in his tracks, staring unblinkingly at the TV. She covered her mouth in astonishment, thinking to herself, "It can't be." She called out to him, "Hey." Tri-Han's voice became low as she asked him, "You don't happen to like her, do you?" But right at this moment, outside the window, bursts of colorful fireworks bloomed in the sky. The continuous sound of the fireworks created loud noises, drawing Chow Mang's attention and also drowning out her recent question. She stood up, but he still didn't notice anything unusual about her. His gaze was directed out the window as he asked doubtfully, "Someone is still setting off fireworks this late?" Suddenly, the lights in the room went out, and a force pulling on his tie yanked his attention back. Tri-Han seductively moved closer to him. She seemed to have an invisible charm, wanting to swallow him whole. She said to Chow Mang, "Tell me, who is prettier, her or me?" Even a fool would know that Tri-Han was jealous. He was cored against the wall by her. His cheeks flushed, and he hurriedly looked away. Chow Mang shyly said to Tri-Han, "You're prettier." He couldn't help but think, what's wrong with her? Where did I anger her again? Her hands wrapped around his shoulders. Although she wasn't as tall as Chow Mang, these arms could pin him tightly against the wall, unable to move. She moved closer and closer to him, saying unwillingly, "I don't believe you. Tell me clearly, where am I pretty?" She waited with interest for his answer. He was so embarrassed his whole face turned red, not daring to look directly at her. To break the awkward atmosphere, Tri-Han suddenly laughed with interest and said, "So this position is this interesting. No wonder all the girls like it." With that, she turned and smiled at him. "Do you feel oppressed? Is your heart beating faster yet?" Tri-Han's series of embarrassing questions made him say to her in frustration, "Are you still enjoying this novel thrill? Just back off first." Suddenly, she became gentle, calling his name Chow Mang. The image of her from the past flashed back for a moment, two figures intertwining and overlapping, both calling his name with the same expression, Chow Mang. She asked him, "Where am I pretty?" He lowered his head and answered Tri-Han firmly, "You are always very beautiful." Receiving his answer, She looked up at him in surprise, saying nothing. After a long moment, she spoke up and asked, "Always? Since when was it always?" She moved even closer to him. Chow Mang didn't avoid her either, but leaned down to accommodate her. Han asked him, "From the first time we met, you already thought I was beautiful? Then why wouldn't you talk to me and even got angry at me?" The atmosphere in the room was instantly tinged with a pink glow, creating an ambiguous mood. She suddenly said cheerfully, "I know. Ever since you applied medicine for me, you started noticing me, right? Because you saw someone's undressed appearance and secretly longed for it in your heart." Her face moved closer and closer. "You men, as if I don't know what's in your heads." With that, she lightly touched his lips. "It's all things that can't be known by others." He pushed her mischievous hand away. "Don't lump me in with the men you're talking about." Remembering many years ago, he held her tightly. "You looked so cold back then. I just want to come and give you a hug," he said shyly. Her small hand lifted his face, which was avoiding her gaze. Her hand was small, but it felt very pleasant. He seemed to be intoxicated by this enchanting feeling. He lowered his head slightly, and she gave him a long kiss. "Amidst the brilliant fireworks in the night sky, you're so adorable. You didn't have muscles before." The two of them woke up in the same bed. Chow Mang looked infatuatedly at the girl before him, while she excitedly commented on him beside her, shamelessly saying as she commented, "Now, it feels great to touch." Suddenly, he flipped over and pinned her underneath him. He didn't say a word, making her wonder to herself. Is he angry? Suddenly, he leaned down and kissed her. "Don't talk anymore." The two were lost in a passionate daze. "Chow Mang, you're so adorable." "Chow Mang, wake up." He woke with a start, sitting up abruptly. He couldn't help but rub his forehead, sighing to himself. Was the effect of that kiss really that strong? A voice cut through his frustrated thoughts. "You scared me." Han was wearing a white shirt, still indescribably beautiful. She stood by the window, basking in the morning sun, holding a red apple she had just taken a small bite from. Seeing his strange expression, she asked worriedly, "What's wrong with you?" She walked over to his side and said gently, "Did you have a nightmare?" Only then did Chow Mang notice her. The moment he turned to look at her, he was stunned. She was wearing a loose white shirt, her hot figure vaguely visible beneath the fabric. The shorts accentuated her long, slender legs, and those beautiful legs were now walking toward him. She stopped in front of him. Chow Mang suddenly remembered what happened in his dream yesterday. His little brother down below disobediently reacted right at this moment. Chow Mang hurriedly covered it. He said loudly in embarrassment, "No." But he couldn't fool Han. She had naturally seen Chow Mang's abnormality. She smiled and said to him, "So it wasn't a nightmare, but a wet dream?" She asked again suspiciously, "You had a wet dream?" Chow Mang didn't answer, which was taken as a tacit admission. Han, as if she had discovered something new and interesting, teased him. "No way. I gave you one kiss, and you had a wet dream?" Thinking of this, she couldn't help but ask suspiciously, "Chow Mang, you're not a virgin, are you?" He frowned, dodging Han's improper hand, and asked her in frustration, "Do you do this often?" With that, he stood up, ignoring Han, who was still dazed, and asking from behind, "Are you talking about kissing?" She watched him changing his shirt at the side, and said probingly, "That's right. What movie have I acted in that didn't have a kissing scene? If I have a boyfriend, of course we'll kiss," she said to Chow Mang nonchalantly. He remained silent, and after a moment, asked with a hidden meaning, "Is that so?" On her side, Han looked at his reaction, and thought with interest, "Go on, pretend. Don't think I can't see that you're angry. I've been nominated for Best Actress before." However, she crossed her arms, rested her chin on her hand, and looked at him who had just finished changing into an elegant black suit, thinking to herself, "If this man bothers to dress up, he's definitely not inferior to Gwen Thursday Thoy. He has the body, the charming broad shoulders, the looks, and the ideal height. He has all the standards of beauty. It's a bit of a waste for him to be a bodyguard." Thinking this, she seemed to really enjoy teasing him. She moved close to Chow Mang again and asked cheerfully, "Chow Mang, do you have a girlfriend? What type of girl do you like?" What she got in return was his coldness. Chow Mang said coldly, "It's a private matter. It has nothing to do with you. If you don't want to say it, then don't." She didn't say anything more and turned to leave in a huff. Chow Mang watched her retreating back and said to her faintly, "Go get changed quickly. Sister Nin said I have to take you to class." Seeing her skip away, Chow Mang sighed to himself. The slightest carelessness, and she'll grab hold of a weakness. As expected, I can't let my guard down for a single moment. Chow Mang quickly drove Han to school. As soon as she got out of the car, she quickly joined two other people. Try-Han said, "Sorry, I just got a call from the film crew. Let's go eat. We'll schedule a makeup class next time." Tune-In smiled and said to Try-Han, "It's okay, but you're not going to dance class anymore?" Tune-In asked Try-Han again, "What's wrong? Is the class not fun?" Try-Han took out a black face mask and put it on. She said, "I don't even like dancing. I only learned it for a role. Now that I can't act in that movie anymore, I don't need to learn to dance either." Her eyes drooped slightly. She was silent, lost in her own thoughts. Can dancing really make people that happy? Why was Mom so obsessed with it? She was lost in her thoughts and didn't notice a pair of eyes watching her intently from behind. Try-Han, a tall man. Although he was also wearing a mask and a hat, carefully disguised, he still couldn't hide his extraordinary aura and presence. When Thursday, Thoy was waiting for her. Seeing it was him, she couldn't help but ask in surprise, "When Thursday, Thoy, why are you here?" When Thursday, Thoy replied happily, "I came to pick you up for a meal. Everyone from our film crew is here." She asked him curiously, "How did you know I was here?" When Thursday, Thoy admitted without hiding anything, "I bribed Sister Nan, she told me." Suddenly, the sound of someone's unusual door opening drew the attention of the two who were chatting happily. Chow Mang's expression was not very good, and his whole body even exuded an inexplicable sour smell of vinegar. Seeing the two of them talking and laughing together made him feel extremely uncomfortable. He didn't know where this feeling came from, but he hated it. When Try-Han saw that Chow Mang was unhappy, she immediately put Nguyen Thursday Thoy out of her mind. She walked towards him radiantly, saying to Nguyen Thursday Thoy behind her as she walked, "I think I'd better take my own car, otherwise my bodyguard won't be happy." In the car, Try-Han sat in the back seat, as happy as a child who had just done a good deed and was waiting for praise. Try-Han asked Chow Mang, "Was I good?" The answer she received was, naturally, his silence. As soon as the two arrived at the appointed place, Nguyen Thursday Thoy also arrived just in time. The three of them had just stepped through the door, each of them outstanding or with an extraordinary presence, attracting quite a few stares. Chow Mang quickly went to contact the other bodyguards. At this point, only Nguyen Thursday Thoy and Try-Han were left standing together. He looked at Chow Mang, who was busy as soon as he arrived, and Nguyen Thursday Thoy said to her with a smile, "Your bodyguard isn't bad." She looked at him, smiled, and said, "He only protects me. Stop trying to find fault." Suddenly, a group of shy girls walked over. One of them boldly asked Nguyen Thursday Thoy, "Hello, excuse me, are you Nguyen Thursday Thoy?" He took off his mask and greeted them. "Hello, everyone." The other girls went wild. One of them stammered tremblingly, "It's really Nguyen Thursday Thoy." Some could do nothing but scream. Not only did he not show any annoyance at being disturbed, but he also said gently to those surrounding him, "I'm having a meal with the film crew. Could you please not make a scene?" Try-Han looked at the noisy crowd on the other side and couldn't help but let out a soft laugh. Suddenly a man walked over. He was wearing a hat and a mask, looking very suspicious. He walked up to Try-Han. "Hello, may I shake your hand?" His strange behavior would make others suspicious. But Try-Han was different. She didn't think twice and happily nodded in agreement. Only then did Chow Mang notice the movement on her side. By the time he realized something was wrong, he hurriedly shouted, "Wait." The female bodyguard behind her also quickly spotted the sharp object in his palm. A scream rang out, "Try-Han, be careful." At that moment, she only saw fresh blood splash, and the world began to spin. 12 years ago, the sky was gloomy, and raindrops as big as beans pattered on the ground, making a pleasant sound as they hit the leaves. But in a small corner of the forest, Try-Han was being pinned to the ground by 3 thugs. The more she struggled, the tighter they held her down, and their words became increasingly foul. Try-Han shouted, "Get lost, let me go help." The more the 3 thugs heard her scream, the more pleased they became. The red-haired one roared, "Damn it, shut up." Try-Han suddenly used all her strength to free one hand. She quickly pulled a box cutter from her pocket and stabbed the hand of a black-haired thug, who screamed in pain. But before she could escape, she was hit on the head with a stick by someone who suddenly appeared from behind. Caught off guard, Try-Han fell to her knees in a daze. The red-haired one laughed cruelly and said, "Give it up, Try-Han." He pulled the knife from the black-haired thug's hand. The drops of blood were quickly washed clean by the rain. He said to Try-Han, "No one will come to save you. You know why?" He pointed the box cutter in his hand at her face. "In this county, who doesn't know what kind of people your parents are? One is a debauched piece of trash. The other is a home-wrecking mistress. Even if I humiliate you today, no one will believe you." He used the box cutter to slice through her collar, drawing a straight line. He covered her mouth and nose with his hand, making her struggle for breath, which he found amusing, and continued. They will only say that Tri-Han is following in her mother's footsteps, seducing men. These vicious words, and the ghoulish laughter of the others that followed, made Tri-Han feel as if she had fallen into a bottomless, dark abyss. Helpless tears could only stream down her face. Her whole body ached, and she wanted to resist but had no strength left. Just as she closed her eyes to accept her fate, a blood-curdling scream rang out. The red-haired thug was being pressed on the neck with a wooden stick by a teenager in a black hat. The thug screamed in pain, roaring, "Let go! Who the hell are you?" The boy was silent, but his companion stammered, Zhou Mang, should we keep fighting?" In a fleeting glimpse, she vaguely saw the figure of a drenched teenager. He got into a fighting stance, his voice decisive, "Fight." As if sensing Tri-Han's gaze, Chow Mang turned to look at her, and his clear face made her tears stream down. The teenager from that year was like a ray of light shining into Tri-Han's life. The heavy rain had also stopped. He stood in the sunlight and asked her with concern, "Are you okay?" Back in the present, a loud shout called her name, Tri-Han. She stared blankly at the wound on her hand, a long gash from which bright red blood was pouring out. On the other side, Chow Mang, while subduing the strange man, quickly assigned tasks to those around him. Hanoyet called the police. "You take Tri-Han to the hospital first." When Nguyen Thursday Thoy saw that Tri-Han was in trouble, he wanted to rush over to check the situation, but was immediately blocked by other bodyguards. A bodyguard said seriously, "Mr. Nguyen, it's too chaotic over there. Be careful not to get hurt. You have an interview later. Nothing can happen." Tri-Han was escorted out by Hanoyet. Just then, a luxurious black car sped over and stopped in front of the restaurant. A bodyguard quickly opened the car door and said, "Hanoyet, over here." Hanoyet helped the still-dazed Tri-Han into the car. "Miss Tri, you two go to the hospital first." At this moment, she suddenly remembered, "Wait, Chow Mei." But before she could turn her head, she was pushed forcefully into the car by Hanoyet. She struggled to resist. "Wait, Chow Mang isn't in the car yet." On Chow Mang's side, the strange man had escaped his control. He slashed at Chow Mang's ear with a knife, but luckily he managed to dodge in time. In the car, her eyes were fixed on the inside. Seeing him in danger, she shouted, "Chow Mang." She frantically ordered Han Nian, "Stop the car. Stop the car now." Han Nian turned around and said firmly to Tri-Han, "Miss Tri, Mr. Chow Mang said that no matter what happens, your safety must be ensured first. Miss Tri, you have to trust Mr. Chow Mang." Looking out the window, Chow Mang had quickly subdued the man, leaving him unconscious on the ground. In his hand was the attacker's blade. "Chow Mang," she silently called his name, seeing that he was safe and sound. Tri-Han finally breathed a sigh of relief. Tri-Han thought to herself, "I'll wait for you at the hospital." That night at the hospital, the wound on Tri-Han's hand was not serious and was simply bandaged. Qiu Nan was nagging in her ear about the next day's schedule. "Remember to go to the hospital tomorrow morning to get the test report. If there's some virus on that knife, I'll just bang my head against a wall and die." And Nguyen Thursday Thoy, really, he takes people out to eat, and now that something's happened, he just runs off by himself? Tri-Han was distracted. She was just looking around intently, as if searching for someone, in no mood to listen to Qiu Nan's nagging complaints. She replied casually. He was probably in a hurry to go record his show. At that moment, she caught a glimpse of a familiar figure. Tri-Han suddenly turned around, and that person happened to see her too. Chow Mang walked quickly towards her with a worried look. They both spoke at the same time. "How is it? Your hand?" The wound on his ear had been simply treated, but it was still oozing blood. She reached out her hand, asking Chow Mang worriedly, "Let me see." The look in their eyes at this moment. Neither of them realized how gentle the other's gaze was. Chow Mang turned his face away in embarrassment, his tone calm as he said, "I'm fine." The ambiguous atmosphere on this side couldn't help but make the sidelined assistant not only an unwilling third wheel, but also feel a gloomy and terrifying aura as she coughed continuously to make her presence known. After a checkup, Tri-Han happily patted Chow Mang's shoulder and said, "Luckily your face wasn't injured." This made him say unhappily, "Is that so important?" Tri-Han playfully stuck out her tongue. "Of course it's important. I'm a person who values looks." Just then, Hanoyet suddenly walked over. She said sadly to Chow Mang, "Mr. Mang, I'm sorry, I didn't protect Miss Tri well, and I implicated you and got you injured." While Chow Mang was comforting Hanoyet and the others, Nin immediately pulled Tri-Han away. She whispered in Tri-Han's ear, "Isn't he your enemy? Why do you care about him so much?" Tri-Han said to her, "Who cares about him?" Then she added fiercely, "I'm getting revenge." Nin looked at her with disdain. "Cut it out. Only a ghost would believe you." With that, she turned to leave, and before she left, she said to Tri-Han, "I'll contact another bodyguard company." Tri-Han looked at her blankly. Chow Mang also had a bad feeling, and he looked up in this direction. From today onwards, Chow Mang is no longer her bodyguard. Her words were loud enough for Chow Mang to hear clearly from a distance. "This is the company's decision, and it's my decision too." Chow Mang and Tri-Han were both stunned. Nin said to Tri-Han, "Did you see the bodyguards with Nguyen Thursday the last time?" The moment they appeared, they gave off a shocking, oppressive feeling. Guaranteed to be top tier. Tri-Han firmly objected, "I don't need them." Chow Mang watched the two of them bicker, his eyes slightly lowered, thinking to himself, "Am I about to be fired? I don't agree. I only want him." Her words couldn't help but startle him. He was stunned, her words making his face grow warm and flush. Suddenly, her phone rang. Nan, standing beside her, naturally knew who was calling. She asked Tri-Han in surprise, "Lam Trick Shuyan, you broken up? Why is he still calling you? Isn't all your work-related communication supposed to go through me?" Tri-Han answered her irritably, "Who knows?" With that, she turned to answer the phone, leaving the other two standing together. Chow Mang asked Nin curiously, "What's wrong?" She said nothing, but just walked over to Tri-Han, who had just finished her call. She looked at the phone, and he followed her gaze. Noticing their gazes, she looked up blankly. The two of them, one after the other, went to a high-rise building. Tri-Han forcefully pushed open the main door. Inside, a handsome man was already waiting. Seeing Chow Mang following behind, he frowned unhappily. "Bodyguard, stay outside. What are you meddling for?" Tri-Han crossed her arms and said to him firmly, "No, to protect my safety, he has to be here." Lam Trick Shuyan looked at Chow Mang unhappily. This man was both tall and handsome, which made him ask Tri-Han angrily at first sight, "Is this your new toy?" Tri-Han was not to be outdone, and she retorted angrily, "Did you just evolve from an ape? Can't you speak without insulting people?" Chow Mang watched the two of them bickering as soon as they met, their killing intent palpable, neither giving an inch, and could only watch them helplessly. Although Lam Trick Shuyan was still very angry, he sighed and got to the point. Fongha Media has invested in the movie Great Earthquake, but the producer and director's attitude is a bit firm. They are not satisfied with NAMA-MANGAI, the female lead we arranged. This time you were injured, and although it's not directly related to NAMA-MANGAI, it's true that you have been wronged. His next words sounded like an order to her. The company has allowed you to take the role in Great Earthquake. Tri-Han spoke up to refute. "You guys allowed me to take it, but does the Great Earthquake team still want me? I heard from Nan that on the day of the contract signing, because we broke our promise." The producer's expression was very ugly. Before she could continue, Lin Zichuan told her, "So you should thank Yuan Xiushi. He and Pei Yuan are childhood sweethearts." She was extremely surprised and asked Lin Zichuan, "Pei Yuan? The one who just won an award at the Berlin Film Festival? She's the director of The Great Quake?" But Qi Xing's joy was short-lived. Lin Zichuan poured cold water on her. "Don't celebrate too soon. We have to make a deal first." She immediately panicked and grabbed his arm. Zhou Meng cooperatively spread his arms to shield her. Qi Xing said warily to Lin Zichuan, "You're not going to make me fire my bodyguard again, are you? Damn it, are you some kind of mad dog? Relentlessly going after him like this?" A vein on Lin Zichuan's forehead throbbed wildly. Looking at the two acting all lovey-dovey, he thought to himself, a shameless couple. Lin Zichuan took out a thick contract and placed it on the table, telling Qi Xing, "If you can win an award with this film, The Great Quake, I will sign a new, reasonable contract with you, and even open an independent studio for you with capital injection into Fengxing Media. But you must keep it a secret from the Great Quake's film crew, not revealing your role in Sweet, and at the same time, you cannot reveal anything related to the Great Quake. On the set of Sweet, besides Yuan Xiushi, if either of you makes any mistakes during filming, you will have to obediently follow the company's arrangements from now on, without any objections." Zhou Meng saw Qi Xing's predicament. Lin Zichuan smiled slyly and asked Qi Xing, "So what do you say, sweetie?" He looked at her provocatively, asking Qi Xing, "Do you dare to make this deal?" The next morning, in Lin Zichuan's office, Xiao Yin angrily slammed the table and roared, "Lin Zichuan, is this why you went behind my back to find Qi Xing first? You're ruining her." Have you forgotten who the producer of Sweet is? Lin Zichuan leisurely swirled the cup in his hand. He said calmly, as if nothing was wrong, Chun Luoyang, is there a problem? Xiaoyan broke into a cold sweat upon hearing the name. She asked Lin Zichuan, then how could you not know that he and Pei Yuan are mortal enemies? You let Qi Xing take a role in Sweet, and also let her take a role in the Great Quake. Do you want her to be unable to survive in this industry anymore? Lin Zichuan's smile grew more sinister, the corners of his mouth stretching wider. At Qi Xing's house, Xiaoyan was by her side, so angry she was crying. My goose is about to collapse. Hin Yin and He Yu could only helplessly shift their gaze to Qi Xing, who was cheerfully on the phone, sharing her joy with Yuan Qiushi. Brother Yuan, don't worry, my hand is really fine. What's there to feel guilty about? Didn't you have something urgent that day? Okay. See you on set this afternoon. Qi Xing was completely unaware of the 8 eyes staring at her from behind. After talking for a while, she hung up the phone and sighed, saying, who calls to check in every single day? No matter how handsome he is, he can't be this clingy. He's great in the movies, but too complicated in real life. Xiaoyan picked up Qi Xing's phone a look, then smiled and said to Qi Xing, big sister, he's pursuing you. Qi Xing, holding a script, couldn't help but say proudly to Xiaoyan, but he hasn't said it. Just then, Qi Xing looked at Zhou Mang's back as he walked past and said meaningfully, well then, I have to hear it clearly before I can confirm the relationship. As if afraid someone wouldn't hear, she deliberately said louder, if you want to pursue me, you have to say it clearly. Zhou Mang continued to pretend he didn't hear, focusing only on washing the dishes. Xiaoyan saw through her intentions and said with a smile, so if Yuan Qiushi admits he likes you and wants to build a closer relationship, you'll definitely agree? At the official film set, everyone on the film crew was busy with their work. Qi Xing was made up to be incredibly beautiful and stunning. This shoot included both her and Yin Yin. As soon as she saw Qi Xing, she hypocritically ran over to hold her hand, asking with concern, your wound hasn't fully healed yet. I never expected my fans would do something like that. Qi Xing sighed with a half smile and said politely, it's just a small wound. Most fan bases have some irrational people like that. Sister Yin, don't listen to the nasty insults online. Qi Xing said pretentiously, at least I can still handle it. If he becomes so obsessed with you that he does something extreme, at this moment, in their hearts, both were endlessly cursing the other, killing intent flying back and forth. Qi Xing snorted coldly, thinking to herself, if it weren't for the fact that she's involved with producer Chun Luoyang, and to ensure nothing goes wrong with the Great Quake, I couldn't be bothered if you dropped dead. Yin was no less formidable, snorting coldly as well. If your injury hadn't implicated me, and to save my image, I wouldn't bother with you either. But on the surface, the two acted like close sisters, talking and laughing happily. Qi Xing covered her mouth and laughed, saying to Yin Yin, Sister Yin, for your safety, we should make a request to restrain the fans a bit. She replied with a gentle smile, Xiao Xing, you're right. Thank you for reminding me. You're so thoughtful. Zhou Mang saw this scene from a distance and couldn't help but think with fear. Women who can act are truly terrifying. After a round of acting back and forth, Yin Yin left because she had something to do, not forgetting to show some concern for Qi Xing before she went. Zhou Mang walked up behind Qi Xing and said to her, you're walking a tightrope. Director Chun Luoyang of Sweet and director Pei Yuan of the Great Quake used to be husband and wife. They divorced and became enemies because of Yin Yan's interference. Once it's revealed that you've taken films from both sides, these three will tear you to shreds. He said to her worriedly. Qi Xing slowly opened her powder compact, dabbing powder on her face as she told him. That's why I plan to build a good relationship with Yin Yan. Later, if she can put in a good word for me. She lowered her eyes and continued. I know it's a bad move, but it's the only card I have to play. He looked at her with some doubt, thinking to himself, all these years has she been fighting all alone like this? Suddenly, the door to the room was pushed open. Xiaoyan rushed in, calling Xiao Xing. She ran to Qi Xing's side and whispered, the Great Quake's crew just announced. There's a script reading in an hour. Zhou Mang and Qi Xing were stunned. Just then, another young man ran in to announce, Sister Qi Xing, it's your turn for the photo shoot. She clicked her tongue, took off the bandage on her hand, and turned to leave. Xiaoyan followed worriedly, saying, Xiao Xing, we're definitely not going to make it. What do we do? At that moment, Zhou Meng suddenly stopped, looking towards Yuan Xiushi, who had just arrived. He was greeted gently. "Hello, brother Yuan. You're here." Zhou Meng thought to himself, Yuan Xiushi, maybe he can help. In that case, as soon as Yuan Xiushi saw Qi Xing, he walked over and said to her with concern, "Qi Xing, I'm still a bit worried. Let me see the wound on your hand. Let me see how it's recovering." When Zhou Meng saw Yuan Xiushi about to touch her, he felt a sense of displeasure. He pulled her hand toward himself, saying unhappily to Yuan Xiushi, "It's time for her doctor's appointment." Qi Xing thought in surprise, "Did he hear what I said to Yin Yin?" Yuan Xiushi saw this and asked, bewildered, "Isn't it almost healed? Why does she still need to go to the hospital?" Zhou Meng said nonchalantly, "The wound got wet last night and became infected. She has a fever of 38 degrees. Sister Xiao Yin already made an appointment." His reason was perfectly plausible, and no one paid it any mind. Xiao Yan's face darkened, and she walked over to pat Qi Xing on the shoulder. She understood and played along. "No, I'm working. I can't go. It's fine if I go after my shoot." He then took out his phone and sent a few messages, then turned to Qi Xing and said, "It's done. I've already spoken to the director for you. Your character photos can be taken later." With that, he pushed Qi Xing towards the dressing room door, saying, "Go get change, I'll take you out." From behind, Xiaoyan couldn't help but give a thumbs up. "Well done." Qi Xing and Yuan Xiushi went down to the main hall together. Qi Xing then said to him politely, "I heard you recommended me to director pay for the Great Quake. I owe you a favor. I'll definitely repay you in the future." Yuan Xiushi teased her slyly. "How do you plan to repay me?" Qi Xing said cheerfully, "A meal or a movie. Anything is fine." As the two were happily walking towards the car, they saw Zhou Meng had been waiting for a long time. He frowned, irritably honking the horn, beep beep, staring at the two of them talking and laughing. Under Zhou Meng's gaze, the two unconsciously fell silent. After a long moment, Yuan Xiushi said to Qi Xing, "Your bodyguard doesn't seem to like me very much, does he?" Yuan Xiushi and Zhou Meng faced each other. In this confrontation, perhaps the two had already tacitly regarded each other as love rivals. 24 years ago, in a dance studio, a melodious tune from a record player filled the air. Qi Xing, only 6 years old at the time, her mother Sun Quan was dancing gracefully to the gentle music with her dance teacher, Zhong Ying. Sun Xuan's smile was beautiful. She was as beautiful as a blooming flower. Qi Xing stared blankly, thinking to herself, "Mom, you're so beautiful, so happy." Suddenly, a heart-shaped box fell out of the small school bag she was hugging. She turned to pick it up. She thought to herself, "The chocolate sister Xiao Zhong gave me." Suddenly, a loud noise from behind caught her attention. Startled, she turned around quizzically to find the source of the sound. The moment she turned back, Qi Xing regretted it. At that moment, her mother was being passionately kissed by Zhong Ying, pressed against the wall. In front of a 6-year-old child, the little girl clamped her hands over her mouth, thinking in shock, "Mom." Back in the present, at the Guangtai Theater meeting room, everyone around was very busy. Only a woman in a tight-fitting black outfit stood out, making everyone around her seem dim in comparison. Just then, Qi Xing and Zhou Meng rushed over. She bowed her head and said, "Sorry for making everyone wait. I was delayed by something." The woman in the tight black outfit seemed to have a lot of authority. She waved her hand and said to her, "All right, let's not waste any more time." Her name was Pei Yuan, the director of the Great Quake. She saw there was another person behind her and asked in surprise, "Who is this?" She explained softly, "He's my bodyguard. Something happened before." In a corner she didn't notice, a few undisguised, contemptuous laughs rang out. Zhou Meng naturally heard them clearly, and he frowned. The veins on his forehead bulged, showing he was very displeased. He glanced at them, thinking to himself, "These people." A cough drew everyone's attention. This man was NAMA-MANGAI, the screenwriter for the Great Quake. He propped up his chin and said, "It's late. Let's start the meeting." The others quickly opened their scripts. A young man among them read aloud, "The Great Quake. This is the story of a woman. A 34-year-old woman, Zhao Yingmai, was born deaf in her left ear. The hearing in her right ear was also rapidly declining. In just half a year, she would lose her hearing completely. At the same time, her cheating husband was planning a divorce. Her daughter couldn't get into elementary school. The restaurant where she worked was preparing to fire her, and her life was in utter disarray. Yingmai had an ordinary family background as a child. Every day, she would secretly watch her peers dance. Zhao Yingmai knew the boy's name was Wang Jing. a talented young man famous since childhood. But Wang Jing didn't know her at all. So when her friends asked her about her future plans, for a rare moment in her life, Incite gave her answer without hesitation. I want to dance with Wang Jing once, while I can still hear just once. Hearing this part of the script, Qi Xing sighed, her expression somber. Her mother's image seemed to merge with the character named Ingmai. Qi Xing thought to herself, every time I read the script, Zhao Ingmai can't help but remind me of her. Of course, all of her most subtle expressions were caught by Zhou Meng. He thought worriedly, her complexion isn't good. Is she unwell somewhere? Or is she just too tired? He reached out his hand, his fingers about to touch her soft hair, but suddenly stopped in mid-air. At this moment, the bald man named Mai Zi suddenly spoke up and asked her, White Camellia, you tell me, what do you think made Ingmai develop this unrealistic wish? The others couldn't help but start whispering, muttering, Teacher Mai Zi is at again. He's clearly making things difficult for her. Pei Yuan, seeing this from the side, just coldly closed her eyes as if she didn't see, paying it no mind. Qi Xing looked at Mai Zi, who was slyly propping up his chin and looking at her, happily waiting to see how she would explain herself. She thought to herself, White Camellia, my ass. She thought for a moment, then softly said 4 words, it is regret. This answer not only stunned Mai Zi, but also made Pei Yuan, who was pretending to be deaf and blind, look at Qi Xing in surprise. The two of them walked out of the theater. Qi Xing called his name dejectedly, Zhou Meng. Tonight, I finally feel that this is all I amount to. He looked at her, surprised and uncomprehending. Qi Xing continued, that man named Mai Zi, he interviewed me once, said I was a white camellia. It seems men all want to keep this kind of woman at home, that feeling of being high and mighty. Qi Xing suddenly gritted her teeth, fiercely and angrily cursing. I really want to punch him. Zhou Meng's expression was very calm, as if this behavior of hers was a matter of course, something he had known all along. This was how she should be, so there was nothing surprising about it. This is her style. He gently looked at the back of Qi Xing walking ahead. She said to Zhou Meng, but he's the screenwriter for The Great Quake. I don't have the guts to confront him. Her voice suddenly dropped. So this is all I amount to. He stared blankly at her lonely back, then suddenly took her hand. Zhou Meng said, let's go. I'll take you to eat something delicious. His gaze was gentle, looking at her with concern. It made Qi Xing momentarily stunned, a wave of warmth rising in her heart. Seeing Qi Xing still in a daze, Zhou Meng continued to tell her, you won't be happy on an empty stomach. Back to many years ago. She was only in high school then. Qi Xing stood on a rock facing the sea, the wind pushing large waves to crash against the rocks, sending up cold sprays of water. Qi Xing spread her arms wide to embrace the cool sea breeze. If not for the bruises on her face and hands, one might think she was a girl full of youthful vitality. Suddenly, a teenager rushed over, his face full of anxiety. He shouted at Qi Xing, hey, don't jump. Here's the ice cream you wanted. This teenager was none other than Zhou Meng. She heard the call and instinctively turned her head. As soon as she saw it was Zhou Meng, she smiled and said to him, don't worry, I'm not planning to commit suicide. After speaking, she came down, and the two of them sat on the railing, eating the ice cream Zhou Meng had just bought. With the first bite of ice cream, she was thrilled. Qi Xing thoroughly enjoyed the sweet and cool sensation as the ice cream touched her tongue. She asked Zhou Meng happily, isn't eating ice cream in winter the best? Zhou Meng was silent, but couldn't help cursing in his heart. Best my ass, it's freezing to death. She looked at the blushing and silent Zhou Meng beside her. Suddenly, she reached out and touched Zhou Meng's chest. As if discovering something interesting, she laughed and said to Zhou Meng, you don't have any muscles. Qi Xing's sudden action caught Zhou Meng off guard. His face flushed red to his ears, and he accidentally choked on his ice cream, coughing nonstop. Qi Xing laughed happily beside him. The image of the two laughing and playing by the sea gradually faded, replaced by the present-day Qi Xing and Zhou Meng. The current Qi Xing, wearing Zhou Meng's black suit jacket, put on glasses and a mask. Only then did she feel at ease walking around, also reducing her worry about being recognized by people around her. Zhou Meng looked at the crowded street and couldn't help but think worriedly. This was careless. I didn't expect it to be so crowded. Even with a mask, we still have to be careful. Qi Xing peeked out from behind him and said excitedly to him, Zhou Meng, Quick, see if there's any ice cream. I want to eat ice cream. Zhou Meng reminded her with a blank expression. Do you know how many calories are in one ice cream? You'd rather sleep only 4 hours a day than go for a run, and you eat salad for both dinner and breakfast. These words were like needles pricking her. Qi Xing guiltily walked past him, raising a fist, thinking angrily, well, daring to challenge me so blatantly. He wasn't like this before. She suddenly whipped around to look at him, her expression serious, and said to Zhou Meng, word by word, I want to eat ice cream. Contrary to her expectation that Zhou Meng would try his best to stop her, he just said faintly, okay. And so, the next scene was the two of them, each holding an ice cream. Qi Xing ate happily, praising it endlessly. So delicious. Only he was silent, looking at the beautiful ice cream cone in his hand. She suddenly turned to ask him, do you remember we ate ice cream together before? In the winter of that year. Zhou Meng didn't say anything. He looked at the ice cream cone in his hand. He thought to himself, of course I remember. Qi Xing didn't hear his reply and said with a smug smile, what? You don't remember? Then let me help you remember. He remained obediently silent on the other side, letting her ramble on beside him. I even punched you in the chest back then. Suddenly, Zhou Meng grabbed her hand. His face, as a result, moved closer. She was shyly stunned, her face blushing. Qi Xing's expression at this moment couldn't help but remind Zhou Meng of her that night. In the dream, she slyly touched his chest, but was quickly stopped by him. Qi Xing pouted and said to him, if you don't let me touch, then fine. You're so mean, Zhou Meng. His face immediately turned red. The innocent Qi Xing didn't notice his abnormality. She said to Zhou Meng, you're so fussy. No girl will like you. While saying that, her hand took advantage of his daze, quickly copping a feel, taking advantage of him. And she proudly thought to herself, sneak attack successful. Zhou Meng seemed to unconsciously move closer. Their lips were very close. She didn't stop him and even thought happily, are we about to kiss? I didn't expect him to be so proactive. It's rare. Just as it seemed their lips were about to touch, she was suddenly pushed away by a strong force. At this moment, Zhou Meng seemed to have come to his senses. His face showed a resolute expression, but his face, red to the ears, betrayed him. Qi Xing was pushed away by him. Her worldview seemed to collapse. She, who had always been confident in her charm, thinking no man could refuse her, was hit hard by Zhou Meng this time. The female star was rejected for the first time. Her face couldn't hide her considerable surprise and astonishment. She thought to herself, what just happened? Was I rejected? Looking back at Zhou Meng, his face flushed, sitting upright far away from her, Qi Xing was speechless. After a while, she said a meaningful sentence. So timid, but touching your chest didn't feel bad. Zhou Meng had also calmed down by now. He said to her seriously, I am your bodyguard. Any private relationship beyond work should not be developed. Qi Xing said to him, what strict professional ethics does a bodyguard have? No kissing. That's not right. Kissing the client, that's not allowed, but you've already kissed me. As she said this, her tone became flippant. Besides, my favorite thing is to develop relationships I'm not supposed to have with people. Qi Xing's words made him suddenly recall Xiao Yan's instructions. You must pay attention to whether there are paparazzi outside. Besides protecting her, also don't let her negative news get photographed. Zhou Meng's voice became low. He said to Qi Xing, you should still pay attention to your words and actions when you're outside. If you're photographed by paparazzi, it will become your negative news. Qi Xing asked him doubtfully, negative news? She thought to herself, it seems Chang Xiao Yin said something to him. She suddenly stood up and said to him confidently, what negative news? Being too intimate with my own bodyguard? Do you think I would care about this? Her confident demeanor stunned him for a moment. Qi Xing continued, but if you're so worried about being photographed for negative news, then I'll keep a safe distance from you in the future. After speaking, she turned her head and said to him, let's go, bodyguard. The black car drove on the highway. Zhou Meng was distracted, thinking about that night's events while driving. Since that night, her attitude towards me has been different. Zhou Meng saw her smiling happily in the rearview mirror, but thought of that sentence. Don't say another unnecessary word to me. Chang Xiao Yin suddenly became a little anxious. There won't be a traffic jam on the road. Will there? We can't miss the opening ceremony of Sweet. Qi Xing then said to Chang Xiao Yin, don't talk so much. Suddenly, Zhou Meng said, it won't. Seeing him say that, she unconsciously looked at him. Zhou Meng glanced behind, then continued, there won't be a traffic jam. I had He check the traffic conditions, so don't worry, we won't miss it. After hearing this, Chang Xiao Yin couldn't help but frown and think, this man, not only is he handsome, but he's also so capable. It's simply deadly. Chang Xiaoyan looked at Zhou Meng and Qi Xing and unconsciously touched her chin. I'm afraid our Xiao Xing is about to be captured by him. Qi Xing said happily, "Thank you, you've worked hard." Hearing her being so polite to him, Zhou Meng didn't reply, but thought to himself, there it is again. It's not that she's ignoring me, but she's using this polite attitude to push me away. Chang Xiaoyan was startled by their attitude. What's going on? Shouldn't this be the time for flirtatious glances? What's with this polite and distant attitude? This isn't your style. Xiaoxing Chang Xiaoyan thought until her head ached. After a while, they finally arrived at the film set in the suburbs. Qi Xing and Yuan Xiushi were talking about something very happily. Zhou Meng leaned against the car, his eyes never leaving Qi Xing, seeing her so happy with someone else. His face couldn't help but show a gloomy, annoyed expression. He Yu and He Yin looked at Zhou Meng, endlessly curious. Hey, what's wrong with Brother Meng? Haven't you noticed he's been in a terrible mood these past few days? Do you think it's because of that Qi Xing? At this moment, a small leaf accidentally fell onto Qi Xing's hair. Yuan Xiushi saw it and gently touched her hair, removing the leaf. The two looked at each other deeply. To avoid awkwardness, Yuan Xiushi spoke up. Is everything still going smoothly on the Great Quake side? Is it very busy juggling two projects? Qi Xing also replied happily. A little busy, but still manageable. The opportunity is here. If I don't seize it, it will be gone. He smiled gently. If you have any problems, just tell me. Even if I can't help much, I can still lend you an ear. Qi Xing looked at Yuan Xiushi blankly, seemingly not quite understanding. He then took the phone from her hand. Let me borrow it for a second. She asked casually, for what? To set your emergency contact to my number. As soon as he finished speaking, Yuan Xiushi had to stop his action. When he saw her emergency contact was actually Zhou Meng, he had thought the emergency contact would be Chang Xiaoyan. Why is it Zhou Meng? Qi Xing put on an I don't know either expression. Is that so? Seeing her like this, Yuan Xiushi said probingly, I'll change it. Qi Xing didn't answer him. Her face stiffened slightly, but she quickly took back her phone and said, no need, I've already memorized your phone number. She left Yuan Xiushi with a smile, then walked away. He just watched her, smiling and thinking, truly a merciless little fox, so cute. Zhou Meng appeared behind Yuan Xiushi at this moment. Hey, he pointed to someone in the back. The assistant director is calling you. Didn't you hear? The two looked at each other, and a strange atmosphere began to emerge. Yuan Xiushi tried to smile and replied to Zhou Meng, oh, sorry. I was having too much fun talking to Qi Xing. Didn't notice? Thanks. Zhou Meng was no different from Yuan Xiushi. Suppressing his anger, he replied coldly, no need, it's a small matter. Qi Xing looked at the two of them, uncomprehending. Then she walked over to Zhou Meng's side. Let's go, don't keep the assistant director waiting. She was getting Yuan Xiushi out of bind. Seeing Qi Xing just walk past him like that, he clenched his fists, watching Qi Xing and thinking. The assistant director called him. What is she following for? He frowned. I'm just a bodyguard. It's my responsibility to protect my client from being photographed by the paparazzi for negative news. Why is she angry at me? And how long will she stay angry? At this moment, Yin Yin, from behind a tree, had witnessed their conversation. She couldn't help but be curious about the great earthquake, so Yin Yin made a phone call. Help me investigate. I want to know everyone who participated in this movie, The Great Earthquake. On the theater stage, Pei Yuan and Qi Xing were talking. Pei Yuan crossed her arms, looked at her, and said, if you've decided to deceive people, you should know that there will be a day when you're exposed. You've accepted Chen Luoyang's film, Dazzling Sweetness, right? Hearing Pei Yuan say this, Xing was a little worried at this moment, but she still spoke to Pei Yuan in a firm tone. I know, I was a chosen one, but in this industry, there are truly too many actresses who could replace me in The Great Earthquake. Too many, but I'm the best fit for that role. I don't want to give it up. I want to be in this movie. I want to play Zhao Yingmei because she reminds me of my mother. Hearing her say this, Pei Yuan was stunned. My mother. She placed her hand on her chest, near her heart. She fell in love with the man who taught her to dance, having an affair during her marriage. 4 hours earlier. All right, everyone look at the camera. All the actors were now standing together for a photo on the auspicious occasion of the start of filming for the TV series Dazzling Sweetness, with Yuan Xiushi, Qi Xing, and Yin Yin. 1, 2, 3. The cameras started clicking. After the photos were taken, Qi Xing's phone rang. Ring, ring, ring. It was the screenwriter calling. She answered. Hello. The screenwriter had called her in a hurry, his tone carrying a hint of anger. Qi Xing, I know you're passionate, but the one thing people can't stand is someone who doesn't know their own limits. You can't bite off more than you can chew. Get to the theater immediately." Then he hung up abruptly, not giving Qi Xing a chance to say anything. She stood there as if struck by lightning, somewhat dejected. He knows everything. At this moment, Zhou Meng walked over and called to her, "What's wrong?" She turned her head, but seemed not to notice him, walking away in a daze. Zhou Meng kept calling, a look of confusion on his face. Qi Xing, seeing that she still showed no sign of hearing him, he grabbed her hand and pulled her back. "What's wrong with you?" Their faces were almost touching at this moment. He couldn't help but ask Qi Xing again, worriedly. "Who called? What happened?" Qi Xing looked at Zhou Meng without answering. But she suddenly gripped the front of his shirt, leaned her head against him with a sigh, then let go and opened her mouth to say, "Zhou Meng, take me to the theater." Her expression was somewhat weary, but she still smiled at him. Now, in the theater, the screenwriter and she were facing each other, while Zhou Meng stood behind her below. There are very few secrets in this industry, especially between film crews. As long as one is determined to find out, it's very easy to find a loophole. What a coincidence. The screenwriter for Sweetness is my student. Why? Mai Zi in front of her raised a cigarette to his lips and continued speaking to Qi Xing. "I don't understand. You're not a fool. You couldn't possibly not know about the relationship between Pei Yuan and Chen Luoyang." Sister Qi Xing immediately spoke up. "I've signed a 20-year long-term contract with Feng Chuan. I take a 40% cut to support the entire marketing and promotion team. So this is a gamble." Mai Zi just looked at her, then coughed dryly. Hearing her words, he also laughed along. "Lin Jichuan is really something. Haha, really something." She didn't say anything either. Mai Zi continued, "But you must already have the ability to leave Feng Chuan. I mean, in terms of finances and reputation." Qi Xing could only lower her head at this moment. "You overestimate me, sir." Listening to their conversation, Zhou Meng, standing behind, also heard quite a bit. He thought, with Sister Qi Xing's income, she could absolutely afford to live in a better place. But why does she rent such a small house? It seems even Chang Xiaoyan doesn't know what she spent her money on. He looked towards the two of them and saw Mai Zi continuing to speak. "I understand your urgency, but it's truly a difficult situation." He stubbed out his cigarette, and just as he finished, the door creaked wide open. Pei Yuan walked in, saying loudly, "You accepted Chen Luoyang's film." Pei Yuan walked to Mai Zi's side. "Qi Xing, don't you know about the relationship between me and him?" Qi Xing asked the two of them. "Can you give me a chance to explain the situation?" After hearing this, Mai Zi comforted Pei Yuan. "Let's hear her explanation." Pei Yuan looked at Qi Xing and said decisively, "I've met many people like her." Pei Yuan shifted her gaze from Qi Xing to Mai Zi and said, "I just won an award in Berlin, and The Great Earthquake was written by you, a ready-made piece of juicy meat. Who wouldn't want to bite?" Mai Zi could only smile and look at Pei Yuan. Qi Xing has a silver tongue. She's very good at coaxing people. I want to hear how she explains herself. Pei Yuan looked at Qi Xing again. "Explain? You still haven't heard to talk." Qi Xing nervously clenched her fists. "No. My persistence with the movie The Great Earthquake isn't because of who won an award, nor is it because of who wrote it." She started to stammer. "I'm doing it because... She glanced at Zhou Meng. He smiled at her, and that look, that smile, seemed to give her strength. She thought, "That's right, he's here, he'll protect me, I'll be safe." She could almost feel the moment. She hugged him, leaned on him. She closed her eyes tightly and calmed herself. "There's nothing to be afraid of." Qi Xing continued, "I want to be in this movie. I want to play Zhao Mei because she reminds me of my mother." Everyone was surprised by her words, which seemed to carry immense courage. "I am the child my mother was forced to give birth to." On an autumn day, a little girl sat in a corner. That was Qi Xing. At that moment, she looked as if nothing was wrong, listening to the sounds her parents were making. She seemed to be used to it. "Oog, let you go off of me. Ah, get you lost, sobi. Because of this, Qi Xing had become numb to it. "Since I was little, I never knew what happiness was." Her father walked out of the house, slamming the door with a bang. Qi Yong's face was flushed, his hand zipping up his pants, his mouth cursing nonstop. "You're my wife, and you won't even let me touch you?" She looked at her father. As long as mom and dad don't fight, it's fine. But she didn't know that behind the door, her mother was sitting there, covered in bruises. Seeing Qi Xing sitting there watching, Qi Yong angrily kicked her away. "What are you looking at, you little fool? Get over here." His irritation having subsided, he turned and left. She and her mother just sat there, doing nothing. I rarely saw my mother smile. A smile was too heavy for her. She couldn't bear it. Until my 6th birthday, everything started on that day. That day, I received a new dress from a stranger. I was incredibly surprised. The person also said, a pretty little girl should wear pretty clothes. Seeing this, my mother hurriedly refused. Thank you, but we can't accept your things. And just like that, my mother got to know him. She also found something she loved most, dancing. It was the first time I saw such a smile on her face. It was as if a woman I didn't know had borrowed my mother's body and that man's hand to return to this world for a moment, which made Qixing feel that her mother was truly beautiful. She continued telling her story to Mai Zi and Pei Yuan, but that man already had a family. He had a wife who was a teacher and a beautiful daughter. That little girl and I were worlds apart. At this moment, Zhou Meng walked over, handed her a cup of coffee, and said, Qixing, hot coffee. Be careful not to burn yourself. She saw him bring it over and couldn't help but be a little surprised. Did he go out to buy this for me specifically? Zhou Meng came to her side and gently reminded her, it's getting colder. Drink some to warm up. She looked at him, a warmth spreading in her heart. Thank you. The other two watched this couple exchange glances, making them wonder, is there none for us? Mai Zi then spoke up. What happened after that? Did his wife come knocking on your door? She brought the coffee cup close to her face, letting the steam warm it, then answered, there's no wall in this world that can't be seen through, especially in such a small county. The scene back then, a crowd of people gathered around. She was hated, trampled on. You wretch, you and your mother are both wretches. The kind of home-wrecking slut. Cousin, beat her to death. Beat her to death. Not just relatives. Even the teachers at school always found excuses to pick on her. Qixing, don't you have a clean uniform? Is there no one at home to wash it for you? What's wrong? Did your dad hit you again? He won't even change your torn clothes for you. Coming to school dressed like this, do you have any shame? Why are you so filthy? Just like your mother, both of you are filthy things. Seeing her getting lost in her past story, Pei Yuan immediately called her name, Qixing. She was startled, seeing that she seemed to have come back to her senses. Pei Yuan continued, let's go out to the rooftop for some air and have a woman-to-woman chat while we're at it. So she and Pei Yuan walked outside. Pei Yuan lit a cigarette, placed it on her lips, and asked, feeling better? You looked a bit pale just now. Hearing this, Qixing replied, yeah, I'm fine. Your bodyguard is really handsome. Hearing Pei Yuan say this, she turned her head to look at him. She saw him and Mai Zi chatting quite happily. Pei Yuan continued, tell him to be careful. Mai Zi swings both ways. Hearing Pei Yuan say this, Qixing was extremely surprised, but her gaze, without her realizing it, was already fixed on Zhou Meng, as if something about him made her feel at ease. Well, that depends on whether my bodyguard is willing. Seeing her like this, Pei Yuan seemed to have guessed something. He likes you, doesn't he? Qixing was startled. Why would you say that? Pei Yuan looked up at the sky. The way he looks at you is different. Hearing your story, some people would feel you're tragic, would sympathize with you, would pity you, but he seems to really want to hold you. Then Pei Yuan put a hand to her chin, thinking as she spoke. There's also a bit of regret and pain. It's so complicated. Why is that? She propped her elbows on the railing and casually replied to Pei Yuan. Who knows? Remembering many years ago, a man pinned her to the ground, holding a box cutter. Her eyes stared blankly at the drizzling sky, her mind in turmoil. That man spoke. No one is coming to save you. Just as he finished speaking, Zhou Meng appeared out of nowhere, pressing a stick against the man's neck. Who are you? Like a ray of hope. She looked at the boy in front of her, deeply moved. Are you okay? Afterwards, the two of them went to the police station together. The man who tried to frame her began to speak. Officer, it was Qixing who threatened me with death, who clung to me. After I rejected her, she started making trouble. I'm completely innocent. The man next to him asked, little girl, I hear you're in the 12th grade. Blowing this up won't be good for your future. You know, the two kids stood there, not knowing what else to say, and could only leave quietly. On the way, Qixing just kept her head down. Zhou Meng followed behind, extremely worried about her. But there were many thugs around, sneering at them. Seeing this, he glared at them. Aren't those guys in the same gang as them? Zhou Meng thought, and quickly blocked her path with his bicycle. I'll take you home. Later, they stopped in front of a building. Qixing pulled out a cigarette and lit it, surprising Zhou Meng. Sister, where did you get the cigarette? She turned her head to look back. Stole it from the police station. Consider it their compensation for my emotional distress. She blew out a puff of white smoke and said, Zhou Meng, do you like me? Hearing her say this, Zhou Meng was startled, his speech becoming a little stuttered. She leaned her face close to his. You like? Zhou Meng squeezed his eyes shut and shouted, "You're a bad person. You and your mother are both bad women." She replied indifferently, "Right? I am a bad woman. So, don't you like me?" Hearing her continue to talk about her past, Pei Yuan couldn't help but ask Qi Xing sympathetically, "Do you hate your mother?" Qi Xing replied, "I used to think I hated her, but..." She began to recall that time. That man pinched her mother's cheek and roared. "Zhong Ying is dead. Hit by a car. I saw the doctor cover him with a white sheet with my own eyes. He couldn't be saved. After Zhong Ying died, my mother's life was worse than death. Dad treated her more and more cruelly. My aunt once advised her to run away, to wait until she found a stable place, and then secretly take me away from here. She looked up at the sky, but my mother refused." Pei Yuan asked curiously, "Why didn't she go? Was it because of that Zhong Ying?" She immediately said, "It had nothing to do with Zhong Ying. My mother knew Zhong Ying wouldn't leave his wife and child. He was just toying with her." She said, "Mom can't leave. Xing Xing, my precious." She looked at me lovingly. "Qi Yong can't beat Mom, so he'll beat Xing Xing." Qi Xing was a little emotional, her eyes already slightly moist. "I don't hate her anymore. I feel sorry for her." Afterwards, she and Zhou Meng walked out of the theater. She recalled what Pei Yuan had just said to her. "You passed my test, but you have to be careful of someone snitching to Chen Luoyang." Suddenly, Zhou Meng took her hand. "Sister, want some ice cream?" She looked at him and thought, "My mother's story. I've never told anyone, but why when he looks at me, do I have enough courage to open up? Do I stop being afraid when I see him? No, this is too dangerous. I can't think about it any further." Qi Xing's cheeks flushed, trying to push the thought away. Suddenly, Zhou Meng spoke up. "I'm sorry." His words took her by surprise. "I said some bad things about you and your mother before. I'm sorry. I didn't know the specific situation back then." Before Zhou Meng could finish, Qi Xing had already turned and walked away. "I've forgotten," she said. He watched her retreating back, his heart filled with guilt. She turned her head back, saw him still standing there, and sighed. "Take a good look at yourself, little brother. I've already warned you. Don't like me." Zhou Meng immediately walked to her side. The wind began to blow around them, the scene incredibly romantic. He said, "You've said that before, but I never agreed." Qi Xing was flustered by his words, staring at him blankly. Suddenly, a phone chimed. They both took out their phones to look. It was a message from He sent to the group chat for Qi Xing and her bodyguards. He sent 4 different photos, each person with a role: director, IT guy, rookie dodgy, music producer, university lecturer. Then He sent another message. "Have you seen them? Any thoughts?" Why the sudden urge to look up pictures of Sister Qi Xing's ex-boyfriends? "Brother Meng, is something up with you?" Then she sent a dog head emoji. Qi Xing read the message angrily, then shot him a look as sharp as a knife. "You investigated me." He tensed up and began to explain. I was just worried, in case they were like that Lin Jichuan, clinging to you endlessly. Then Qi Xing still glared at him angrily. Zhou Meng stammered nervously. He confessed. "I was just curious about your past." She seemed stunned. "So after looking at this list, what are your thoughts, student Zhou Meng?" He sighed. "They're all the same type, refined and gentle, scholarly, very handsome, and seem to have good personalities." Qi Xing looked at the photos on her phone, so happy her eyes turned into heart shapes. "That's right, I only like this type. Easy on the eyes." He turned his face away and said quietly, "Yuan Xiushi is also this type." She whispered while observing his expression, secretly smiling. "None of them are as cute as you." Her phone pinged, and he glanced at it. "What? Can't bear to part with it." The image now was of delicious-looking crabs. Her mouth watered, her eyes lit up as she showed him. "Sister Xiaoyan's family brought her a lot of crabs. She's calling us over to get some." A while later, she and Zhou Meng arrived at Xiaoyan's front door. He went inside to help her get them, thinking as he walked, "Chang Xiaoyan can even live in a big villa. Why does Qi Xing still have to rent a normal apartment outside?" She watched him walk over carrying the food container, sniffing the aroma of the food in the car. The smell of crab was so fragrant, she couldn't help but exclaim as soon as she opened it. "So delicious. I only get to eat this twice a year." He glanced at her. "Is that how Chang Xiaoyan treats you?" She asked curiously. "Why?" He frowned. "She lives in such a big villa. She should at least rent you a better apartment, right?" She asked him. "Are you kidding?" He asked Qi Xing, confused. "Do I look like I'm kidding?" Seeing his innocent expression, Qi Xing couldn't help but laugh. She thought to herself, "Is he feeling sorry for me? Standing up for me? Ha ha ha." Zhou Meng handed her another crab. "You can eat 3 tonight." Her eyes sparkled, a little hesitant. But she thought, what if I get fat? Seeing her hesitate, he continued, I won't tell Chang Xiaoyan. Qi Xing immediately agreed. Let's eat then. Qi Xing licked her lips. You're so. Hearing what she was about to say, he immediately covered her mouth. Don't say I'm cute. Then he removed his hand. Qi Xing whispered in his ear, You're so bad. After making him blush, she burst out laughing. Seeing her so happy, he smiled too, looking at her with a tender and compassionate gaze, thinking to himself, she looks better when she smiles. At this moment, Qi Xing was filming a scene with Yuan Xiushi, the two of them in character. Qi Xing said casually, It's just a social gathering. Yuan Xiushi stared at her, his expression unreadable. She continued, It makes no difference whether you go or not. At that moment, the director's slate clapped shut. The director said loudly, That's right, that's the attitude. Yuan Xiushi was startled and looked towards the director. She then said cheerfully to Yuan Xiushi, This is the attitude I have when I break up with a man I don't like. Yuan Xiushi thought, So that's how it is. Qi Xing and Yuan Xiushi started chatting. You never experienced this? Usually, it's the women who cling to me, he said with a smile. As a man, you can't break a woman's heart. She replied casually to Yuan Xiushi. What's so heartbreaking about a breakup? Breaking up with someone who doesn't like you is a joyous occasion. A woman would rather choose a sincere playboy than a hypocritical gentleman. Qi Xing turned and walked away, leaving Yuan Xiushi with those words, which left him a bit stunned. The Sweetness film set. Yuan Xiushi and his bodyguards appeared, with nearly 10 people surrounding him. The others saw this and started whispering. Mr. Yuan has so many bodyguards. Is the film set some kind of dragon's den or tiger's lair? Another man chimed in. Don't you know about the recent upheaval at Yuan Chung Entertainment? I heard Mr. Yuan's older brother and sister are still fighting. These bodyguards are definitely here to protect Yuan Xiushi. Hearing this, Chang Xiaoyan whispered to Qi Xing, Little Xing, a rich family fighting over inheritance. I heard his assets are in the hundreds of billions this year. Then Chang Xiaoyan turned her head to look. Isn't that Yin Jian's assistant? Zhang Tong was happily chatting with Zhou Meng. He had a blank expression on his face at the moment. Chang Xiaoyan spoke again. Why is Zhou Meng interacting with her? Seeing this, Qi Xing couldn't be bothered to speak. A moment later, she walked up to Zhou Meng and teased him. Zhang Tong wants your WeChat. Should I give it to her? He asked curiously. Who's Zhang Tong? Yin Jian's assistant, the prettiest girl. He replied coldly. Don't give it. She already asked me. She twirled a lock of her hair. While watching his expression, this handsome guy is so cold. His expression changed then, looking at her with infatuation. Do you want me to give it to her? She was startled by his gaze, immediately remembering that time. He had looked at her with a similar gaze. You've said that before, but I didn't agree. She thought, that look again, it's deadly. Her cheeks flushed, and she picked up her script, pretending to read. Very quickly, she spoke again. Help me run lines. Then Qi Xing shoved the script into Zhou Meng's hands. He took the book and asked again, Me? Are you sure? She pretended not to hear, reading the lines from the book. Long Yang, you can play around, but don't forget our engagement. Suddenly, Yuan Xiushi appeared, grabbing the back of her chair. If you're looking for someone to run lines with, you should ask me. Zhou Meng looked at him, a little displeased. Yuan Xiushi smiled gently. How can someone with no experience get you into character? That's right. You should find a professional to run lines. Zhou Meng handed the script to Yuan Xiushi. Qi Xing looked up at Yuan Xiushi and asked, Aren't you done with filming for today? He smiled and replied, I came to ask you for an answer. She didn't understand. He continued. Was hypocritical gentleman referring to me? She then remembered her words from the other day and said, I wasn't talking about you. What are you so nervous about? She patted Yuan Xiushi's shoulder. That's good then. I thought you hated me. How could I? Who would hate you? Yuan Xiushi leaned in close to her. In that case, since Miss Qi Xing doesn't hate me, could we have a meal together? A hand gently reached out and pressed against her forehead. Sorry. Zhou Meng from behind continued. The dance studio teacher said she hasn't been to practice these past few days and called for her to come practice a bit today. Yuan Xiushi still managed to force a smile. He looked at her as she leaned her head back on the chair to look at him. He continued, The teacher said you're missing a dance partner. I could be your dance partner. She was very surprised. You know how to dance? In the dance studio, the music started and she was dancing. Beside her, a voice was guiding her. Open your shoulders, open your chest, tuck your chin in a little, look up. When dancing the waltz, your partner leads you. The female partner just needs to follow. You just need to trust me, follow me. 40 minutes earlier, Zhou Meng stood to one side, watching. The dance teacher was beating time for her practice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. All right, stop. You haven't been practicing at home these past few days? Your foundation is good, you've done yoga, and you maintain your fitness, but you still need to practice more. She panted as she listened to the teacher's feedback. It's best to have a partner. If you don't have one, pretend you do, use your imagination. If you have time, dance for another half hour. After saying that, the dance teacher left. Zhou Meng came over and handed her some water. Thanks, Qi Xing said. He looked at her and thought. Her total sleep time these past 2 days is less than 8 hours. How could she have a chance to practice dancing? She struggles on the sweetness set, not daring to practice. When she goes to the Guangtai Theater to study the script, she can only snatch spare moments to practice the basic movements. At this moment, Qi Xing suddenly said, the waltz. It sounds so delicate and light, but it's not easy to dance at all. Zhou Meng walked over to the table, opened a small cabinet there, and then took off his outer jacket. She watched him with interest, her face flushing. The temperature in here is a bit high. Take off more. He loosened his tie and 2 buttons, propped his hands on the table, and said, I'll dance with you. She was stunned. He asked Qi Xing again. Am I not qualified? She immediately answered him. You're not kidding, are you? You really know how to dance? He replied coldly. Is it strange that I know how to dance? Why are you so surprised? Zhou Meng got into position, then continued. At my university graduation, I was the lead dancer for the waltz ball amateur group champion. He smiled at her. Am I qualified to be your partner? She looked at him, her heart racing. The two of them started to play music and dance. Trust your dance partner. Believe that he will lead you. Trust the person beside you. I just need to be happy. Sweetly follow him. Enjoy walking without slipping, without stumbling. This is a feeling I've never had before. She danced with a happy smile, seeming to forget all the fatigue and difficulty of the dance. A completely new joy. She looked at him, drenched in sweat. Zhou Meng smiled affectionately at her. Her heart seemed to skip a beat. Her face flushed red. What's wrong with me? No, it's not me. I'm not okay. At this moment, she seemed unable to resist what is called a flutter of emotion. Therefore, Qi Han was trying to calm herself down. Suddenly, she saw in the mirror her mother wearing a sparkling red dress, a smile on her face. Mom. Seeing her, her memories started flooding back. She suddenly recalled the past. No, please don't. At this moment, Zhou Meng held her hand tightly. Qi Han's eyes widened as she looked at him. Zhou Meng said, the dance isn't over yet. She thought, I couldn't remember if anyone had ever looked at me this way before. Her eyes seemed to see an image of her high school self. The pity, appreciation, regret, things that never belonged to me, now seemed to be felt. She seemed to see her high school self being held in Zhou Meng's arms. The feeling of all suffering gradually subsiding, warmth once again filling the bottom of her heart. Tonight, let's dance in a love together one more time. He and she stopped. The music continued. Unknowingly, tears were already rolling down her cheeks. Zhou Meng, she seemed to want to say something, but couldn't get the words out. He reached out and wiped away those tears. Calling her name, Qi Han, Zhou Meng brought his face close to hers. They seemed about to share a passionate kiss. Qi Han gently reached out to caress Zhou Meng's face. Before her was a handsome man with well-proportioned features. His firm body was dressed in a white shirt, looking very charming. Qi Han sighed in admiration internally. Sharp lips, deep, sparkling eyes. The more she thought, the redder her face became. Her gaze also gradually became hazy. I've never been in such a bright place and looked at him this closely. Zhou Meng gently reached out to touch the corner of Qi Han's lips. She suddenly recalled the memory of the two of them from that day. I still remember the soft feeling of his lips. In her mind, an image of the two of them kissing passionately appeared. Qi Han gradually reached her hand behind him, wrapping it around Zhou Meng's shoulder. Her other hand slowly slid to his firm chest muscles. The two were in an intimate position, their eyes slowly closing, about to kiss deeply, when suddenly a phone rang from out of nowhere. Ring, 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 startled them both, stopping their movements. Qi Han pushed Zhou Meng away to find her phone. On the screen was a call from Nguyen Thursday Thoy. Qi Han went outside to answer the phone. Zhou Meng sighed, wondering, who is it? He was secretly displeased, imagining Nguyen Thursday Thoy's appearance. That detestable guy. He muttered to himself. Who else could it be? Qi Han hurriedly grabbed her coat and went out. Before leaving, she said, I have an appointment with Nguyen Thursday Thoy You should go home first. He thought to himself. As expected, it's him. He quickly grabbed her hand. Wait, he offered. I'll take you home. Chi-Han refused. No need. He's coming to pick me up. Chow Mang asked, where are you going? Chi-Han, I'm your bodyguard. I just want to ensure your safety. I won't bother you. Chi-Han was a little flustered. No, that's not what I meant. Chow Mang didn't listen to the end. He turned and put on his vest. You should go. Text me when you get there. Chi-Han suddenly didn't know what to say and could only agree. Okay. On the way to the restaurant with Nguyen Thursday Thoy, she was still extremely tormented. What on earth am I doing? The image of being with Chow Mang kept appearing in her mind. She blamed herself. Chi-Han, how did you become like this? 1 second I was kissing him, the next I'm telling him I have a date with another man. Nguyen Thursday Thoy saw her sitting alone, lost in thought and blushing, and asked curiously, what's wrong with you? You seemed unsettled ever since you got in the car. After thinking for a moment, she decided to send a report-like text to Chow Mang. Nguyen Thursday Thoy and I are eating here. He replied with just one word. Okay. All of Chi-Han's torment instantly vanished, replaced by anger. What the hell, okay? After what happened between us, you reply so perfunctorily. Nguyen Thursday Thoy sensed the situation was not right and continued to break the awkward atmosphere. You're wearing this to dinner? Chi-Han, annoyed, retorted, what? Is it not suitable? Nguyen Thursday Thoy was speechless, not knowing how to reply. At a high-end, 6-story restaurant, the entrance clearly stated, only guests in formal attire will be admitted. Chi-Han said embarrassedly, I'm sorry. I really didn't know we were coming to a place like this. Looking at the exquisitely decorated table with high-end dishes, she continued to explain, it's so cold. You said we were going to eat? I thought we were going for hot pot. When good idea. In a joking tone, he said, tomorrow I'll have this restaurant make French-style hot pot. It'll definitely be a hit. Chi-Han was very surprised and asked, is this your restaurant? Nguyen Thursday Thoy smiled and replied, it will be mine in a few days. Just now, that manager said you couldn't enter without formal attire. I've already bought this restaurant. Once the procedures are done, it will be mine. Chi-Han was speechless. Are you crazy? Over such a small thing? Nguyen Thursday Thoy laughed. Did something happen? Why has your lie detecting ability disappeared today? Chi-Han realized she had been tricked. The victim's mouth is full of lies. The two raised their glasses. Ever since the first movie you were in, Tiger's Fong, I've always wanted to work with you. Moreover, I am definitely a #1 fan. Before the movie was even released, I already remembered your face. Chi-Han was a little surprised. You saw the uncut version? He suddenly stared at her and said seriously, I was on the film set. The scene where you auditioned for the role of Tam Muoy was filmed by me. Chi-Han was astonished. What? She recalled the day of her first ever career audition. That difficult director said, I'll give you one more chance. Do you dare shave your head? Chi-Han was only 20 years old at the time. She replied coldly, if you dare to film it, I dare to shave it. After that, she cut her hair short, creating a very cool hairstyle and played that cold supporting female role. The director was very satisfied. Good, very good. Use her. Nguyen Thursday Thoy said, at that time, you were really interesting. She recalled the events of that day, blushing shyly. I'm sorry, I was too nervous then, and also too angry. I only remember 2 people on the set that day. One director who argued with me, and one assistant director who said he would be responsible for paying me. She changed the subject. It's very nice talking to you. He replied, the pleasure is mine. Chi-Han thought, everything that happened in the dance studio seems to be gradually fading away. I hope so. She seemed unaware that outside the restaurant, Chow Mang was sitting in a black car, pensively looking at the window where she was. Nguyen Thursday Thoy continued to talk about the first time he met her, seeing the girl with an extraordinary aura in front of him. At that time, he told himself, I must find this girl to act in a movie, my own movie. Chi-Han replied, I know you studied abroad, majoring in screenwriting and producing, which displeased your family, and you were cut off financially, but you didn't give up. You worked part-time jobs alone to pay for your studies. She recalled the image of him performing on stage, the spotlight shining on the main character, which was him. Chi-Han continued, from the first play you performed in the country, I've seen them all, so I've always followed your news. Nguyen Thursday Thoy raised his glass of red wine, proposing to Chi-Han. So, are you willing to give me a chance? She said shyly, to act in a movie? Of course, as long as you pay enough. Nguyen Thursday Thoy looked at her seriously. Besides acting, Chi-Han deliberately dodged. For a meal? You can call me anytime. I'll treat you to as many meals as you want. Suddenly, she saw a couple dancing in the distance. The image of that day, with Chow Mang, returned to Chi Han's mind. Nguyen Thursday, though he suddenly lifted her chin. They're different today than before I asked you out. Were you practicing dancing for the great earthquake? He asked, what happened? Chi Han hurriedly explained, I didn't dance well. I'm so upset. Nguyen Thursday, though he suddenly took her hand. Holding it gently, may I have this dance? The other people in the restaurant today couldn't help but be curious, buzzing with discussion. Oh, another successful proposal. A perfect match. Then everyone cheered together. Dance, dance, making Chi Han a little panicked. No, she thought to herself, this hand still holds his warmth. I want to keep it for a little longer. She casually found an excuse to refuse Nguyen Thursday Thoi's invitation, saying that she had sprained her ankle while practicing her dance earlier. Chi Han's fragile appearance made him not want to force her anymore. He had to make another invitation. Let's go see the back kitchen of the restaurant. There are many flowers inside that don't belong to winter. Chi Han smiled and walked ahead. What kind of flowers? Nguyen Thursday, though he thought to himself, rejected twice. It seems today is not a good time. Then the two of them followed the waiter upstairs. Nguyen Thursday, though he suddenly looked down and saw Chow Mang sitting in the car waiting for Chi Han. This bodyguard, he's really as sticky as superglue. Chow Mang suddenly realized that someone seemed to be watching him at the Great Earthquake film set earlier. At the end of December, when the play The Great Earthquake secretly began in the dressing room. The hardest part of this play is Chi Han's makeup. The play's producer, Jiang Lu, asked uncomprehendingly, then why did you and my two still insist on choosing Chi Han? Her appearance doesn't fit Zhao Yingmei's character setting. Zhao Yingmei is the most ordinary, most unremarkable woman in a crowd. But Chi Han is different. She's too beautiful. My two, beside him, retorted, because in the video, Chi Han was the most special one. Then he handed his phone to the producer. See for yourself. A woman asked, is Zhao Yingmei's makeup done? A voice rang out, coming. A woman with long hair loosely tied at the back of her neck walked over. She wore a long, light pink dress and high heels. It was Chi Han, who played Zhao Yingmei. Chow Mang looked at her and chuckled softly. Chi Han asked curiously, what are you laughing at? Chow Mang replied, you look very cute like this. Chi Han gave a faint smile. I'm cute like this? I'm afraid there's something wrong with your eyes. Suddenly, Chi Han's expression became extremely unsightly. She couldn't believe her eyes. Why are you here? A man with a scruffy beard, a cigarette in his mouth, and somewhat disheveled clothes was walking towards her from out of nowhere. This person looked very much like the father in her memory. Chi Han's expression instantly became extremely ugly. Impossible, how could Dad? Before her was the image of her father, with a scruffy beard and half a cigarette dangling from his mouth. There was a long, fierce-looking scar at the corner of his eye. Chi Han's mood at this moment was extremely complicated. She really couldn't believe her eyes. Here, Chow Mang gently stroked her hair, comforting her. It's not him. He gently pulled her into his arms. It's not that person. The people around them suddenly started chattering. Ha ha ha. With Brother Mang and Sister Chi Han in this makeup, I can't even recognize them. All right. Zhao Yingmei, hurry over here. Your husband has arrived. It turned out to be the actor playing opposite her today. Only then did Chi Han's expression improve a little. She turned to look at him, just in time to meet Chow Mang's gentle gaze. You fool. The scene of her practicing dancing with Chow Mang a few days ago suddenly appeared in Chi Han's mind. Her cheeks flushed, and she pushed Chow Mang away. Don't come near me. Stay a little further away from me. After speaking, she pulled the makeup artist beside her. You, help me remove my makeup quickly. I still have to go to the sweetness set this afternoon. Her actions were a bit abrupt, and the staff member beside her was pulled away before they could even react. Chow Mang thought to himself, I don't remember her being so afraid of that bastard before. Could it be that something happened in the past that I don't know about? At the Sweetness film set, the staff were busy from morning till night. The director shouted, cut. Looking at his expression, he seemed extremely angry, scolding the actress in an Angian. Please use your brain a little. You know now that Tuan Quan is your love rival, but you're not supposed to hate her. You're feeling guilty, understand? The director continued to scold. Tuan Quan can be said to be your master. You stole her master's wife. Don't you feel ashamed in your heart? Even though Nan Angian turned her face away with an indifferent expression, he continued to speak. Big sister, we don't have much time. Can't you just get it right in one take like Chi Han? In another corner, the two actors playing the master's wife and the master were sitting together, chatting while running lines for the next scene. When Nan saw this scene, she was both angry and jealous. On what grounds does she get to rest over there, while I have to stand here and get scolded? Nguyen Thursday, though, he looked at Chi Han with deep affection, practicing his lines. You say you're not good enough, but in my eyes, you are very good. To be able to meet you, to be with you, sometimes I wake up from a dream laughing. I am the luckiest and happiest person in this world. Chi Han stared at him blankly. Oh my God. She was as if imagining the male lead in some competition. I'm done for. What's the point of playing Otome games anymore? This voice is clearly that of the male lead in an Otome game. While she was lost in thought, a hand reached out, pulling down the script that was covering her face. Nguyen Thursday, though, asked, when will you give me an answer? She winked suggestively and replied, my personality is a bit like Tuong Kwan's. We both don't like men who take the initiative. Nguyen Thursday, though, smiled gently and replied, my personality is also very similar to Yen Duong's. At this point, he looked straight into Chi Han's eyes. If I like someone, I'll say it directly. Hiding it is not my style. After that, he and Chi Han exchanged lines, neither giving an inch. If you don't answer me, I'll ask you once every day. What if I don't agree? I'll keep trying, asking you twice a day. Chi Han burst out laughing. Ha ha ha. This is not the behavior of a gentleman. Suddenly, Nguyen Thursday, though, stood up. A true gentleman, first of all, cannot deceive himself, cannot be fake. Then he turned around and stood in front of Chi Han. I like you very much. In front of Chi Han was a tall man with a sturdy build. He wore a neat suit and said seriously, I want to be with you. This is what I truly feel. Chi Han suddenly didn't know how to reply. Outside the film set, Chow Mang was waiting for Chi Han. Whispers reached his ears. Hey, look, is there something going on between those two? Probably. I saw them having a private dinner together a few days ago. No way. My idol. The more he listened, the uglier Chow Mang's expression became. The handsome man in the neat suit, his face growing darker, his brows furrowed tightly. The whispering didn't stop. Someone even voiced their support. This couple is so cute. It wasn't until the early hours of the next morning that the film crew finished the last few scenes of the day. Only then could the actors go home to rest, preparing for the next day's shoot. When Chi Han came out, she was surrounded by tall bodyguards. In front of her were hundreds of cameras working frantically, scrambling to capture her every moment. She's out. Ji Han, Ji Han, Ji Han. All around, the flashes from phones and cameras were constantly aimed at her. Chi Han's body was already tired from a day's work, and being pushed around in the crowd made her even more exhausted. Chow Mang pulled her into his arms, letting her lean on his shoulder, and reminded her, hurry up, the schedule has been leaked. Nan Nguyen and Nguyen Thursday, though, have already left. Now it's all people surrounding you. Suddenly, a large spotlight went out, and a few inappropriate hands reached beyond their limits towards Chi Han. Sister Chi Han, you're so beautiful. I love you. Hung hung. She suddenly felt scared. Chow Mang keenly noticed. Getting handsy? It seems they're not just die-hard fans anymore. He quickly grabbed her hand and pulled her away. Chow Mang shouted an order. Han Ian, drive the car. You blocked them. He quickly pulled Chi Han inside. Chi Han asket dao bu flin. Chow Mang, where are we going? He didn't answer, continuing to pull her inside. In the stairwell, the two stood in an intimate position. Chow Mang pressed her tightly against the wall. As a result, their lips were very close. Chow Mang said, don't talk. After speaking, they were like a pair of lovers reunited after a long separation, using that kiss to release the longing of many days and at the same time to express their feelings for each other. Chi Han thought to herself, how did it come to this? Outside, the crazed fans had not yet given up. They were still trying to find a glimpse of Chi Han. Oh, I haven't gotten a picture of her yet. Didn't Chi Han go this way? Find her. Quick, quick, quick. The deep kiss gradually stopped. She was still bewildered. What was that? Do we have to hide here like thieves? In this shopping mall, the emergency exit won't even open. This is a fire hazard. He moved a little closer to Chi Han, reminding her, hurry up. The schedule has been leaked. She pushed him away, a little unnaturally. You're standing too close. Chow Mang felt unhappy. Ever since the gym, you've been rejecting me, avoiding me, but with that other person, you seem very happy. In Chow Mang's mind was the image of Chi Han and Nguyen Thursday, though happily together, juxtaposed with the scene of her being cold and indifferent, avoiding him. Thinking of this, an uncomfortable wave of jealousy rose in his heart. He grabbed Chi Han's hand, pinning her against the wall and asking, do you like that person? However, he seemed to still lack the courage to hear her answer. He covered Chi Han's mouth with his hand. I don't want to hear it. After speaking, he wrapped one arm around Chi Han Chi-Han's waist, used the other to lift her chin, and continued to kiss her. This time, Chow Mang's kiss was even more intense, carrying a sense of possession, as well as Chow Mang's jealousy toward her, making Chi-Han unable to help but sigh internally. This kiss is even more passionate than the exploratory one before. The deep kiss ended. In the intimate position, the relationship between Chi-Han and Chow Mang was no longer simply that of an employer and a bodyguard. She muttered to herself in amazement. His kiss is like it has an anesthetic power. Chow Mang's hand on her waist quickly slipped inside her thin coat. Chi-Han was startled, her face flushed, and she let out a shy cry. Their faces were inches apart. The atmosphere became even more intimate. Chi-Han's cheeks were as red as ripe tomatoes. She lowered her head, covering her mouth with her hand, trying to hide her embarrassment. How could he? Chi-Han thought to herself, I should give him a slap, just like when she was young and was forcibly kissed by a male actor on set. That slap of mine was both painful and precise. But when she looked up at the young man in front of her, she criticized in a trembling voice. The technique isn't very good. Chow Mang frowned slightly, remaining silent. Then he reached out and yanked his tie loose, the young man's face both serious and a little wicked as he said, Then you teach me. Chi-Han was stunned by his provocative attitude. She sighed internally. Is this still Chow Mang? Who on earth corrupted this guy? The air was filled with sweetness and romance. Just as readers thought there would be passionate, fiery, dazzling scenes, he suddenly pushed the door open and burst in, shouting, Brother Mang. Sister Chi-Han. The young girl saw the two of them stuck together like glue, with Chi-Han still nestled in Chow Mang's arms, and froze on the spot. He got the hint and quickly slipped away. She peeked her head out from behind the door, saying awkwardly, I'll close the door, I'll come back later. The two people in the room became even more awkward, not expecting someone to appear at this moment. Chi-Han tried to act calm, puffing her cheeks, both angry and embarrassed, and stomped hard on the toe of Chow Mang's shoe. The young man trembled in pain, but didn't dare to make a sound, silently enduring her anger. Hiyu, watching the fun from behind, saw Chi-Han's embarrassed back as she ran away and covered her mouth to stifle a laugh. So Chi-Han has this kind of expression too. The night sky sparkled with stars, as if inlaid with magnificent gems. Chi-Han's room was still lit, and an Otome game was playing on her phone. The singing echoed in the room. You say you're not good enough, but in my eyes, you are very good. I want to see you every time I wake up, whether you're happy or not. I really want to hold you tight. Chi-Han was comfortably soaking a hot bath. Steam swirled around, and hearing the singing, she seemed to remember something, and her whole face gradually turned red. She shyly patted her cheeks with her hands. Isn't it just a kiss? What's the big deal? Holding her phone, Chi-Han happily thought about her idol. Her heart filled with affection. She thought to herself, who the hell is Chow Mang? Is he as handsome as my idol? The song continued to play. To be able to meet you, to be with you. Sometimes I wake up from a dream laughing. I am the luckiest and happiest person in this world. Chi-Han had now finished her bath, stretched, and lay on her comfortable bed. She typed on her phone with both hands. Can you kiss me? The last line of the song successfully made Chi-Han recall the recent scene. The two of them facing each other, Chow Mang gently leaning in to kiss her. And his provocative words, then you teach me. Those images and words kept circling in her head, impossible to forget, making Chi-Han both blush and feel angry. The night sky sparkled with stars. Chi-Han's villa was submerged in the quiet, dark night. Not a single room was lit. It seemed everyone had fallen asleep. Suddenly, there was the sound of rushing water. The curtains fluttered in the wind. A figure in black trousers and leather shoes stepped lightly on the floor. Chi-Han didn't know what was happening yet. She was sleeping peacefully on her comfortable bed. Her long black hair spread out. A man dressed as Count Dracula, with a British royal style, bared two sharp fangs, and called Chi-Han. He approached the sleeping girl, his face close to Chi-Han's forehead, and said softly, wake up. That fang mouth slowly slid down to her smooth, fair neck, continuing to call, Chi-Han. Wake up. Suddenly a voice shouted, let her go. Chi-Han woke with a start, her eyes wide as she looked around. At some point, a group of stunningly handsome men had appeared around her. Each had a different style, leaving Chi-Han staring in a daze. There was a gentle, jade-like man in ancient style, a cold and dangerous Count Dracula, a scholarly and polite senior student, a wild and unruly young gangster, a handsome and domineering CEO, and also a gentle and protective boy next door. They all spoke up to claim ownership. She is mine. Another retorted, she's mine. Yet another cut in, get lost. She's mine. The other refused to yield. No, she's mine. What was even stranger was that they all had Chow Mang's face. Chi-Han ruffled her hair in confusion. Her cheeks flushed, screaming internally. What the hell is this? A moment later, Chi-Han was standing in the kitchen. She slammed a water bottle down on the table, frowning and thinking angrily. How audacious, daring to be so disrespectful, not even spare me in my dreams. It turned out that everything that had just happened was just a dream of hers. Chi-Han unconsciously recalled the scene of Chow Mang forcibly kissing her in the emergency exit, her gaze turning to the water bottle. She pondered for a moment. Wait a minute, that kid. He's really experienced. The unopened water bottle was slammed down on the table again by her in anger. Chi-Han sighed and thought, he must have had many girlfriends, and he usually pretends to be so serious. TSK. She ran a hand through her long hair, then chided herself in shame. Ah, damn it, I've lived this long for nothing. My past relationships were basically a waste, yet here I am, my mind muddled over a single kiss. On what grounds did Zhou Mang break my habits? How could he possibly have the ability to break them? Suddenly, Qi Xing felt a figure pass by. She whipped her head around and saw He Yu, dressed in pink polka dot pajamas, standing at the door. The two of them locked eyes. Qi Xing let out a soft ah, surprised that this girl was also awake at this hour. Seeing He Yu say nothing and just stare at her, Qi Xing explained guiltily, what happened last night between me and Zhou Mang, it's not what you think. His leg was hurting at the time. I was just helping him up a bit. He Yu continued to stare at her, looking confused. A guilty conscience needs no accuser. No one had asked anything, yet she was already jumpy. Our dear sister Qi Xing seeing no reaction from her. Qi Xing grew even more panicked. It's not because of this that I can't sleep. It's because I was thinking about work. Work is too busy. Both films are about to start shooting. I don't have time to think about these things. He nodded and replied, yes. Qi Xing continued to explain. I just came out for a drink of water. I don't have insomnia. I sleep very well. He nodded profusely. Yes, yes. With that, Qi Xing grabbed her cup and fled, leaving He Yu standing there all alone. She didn't forget to wish her. Well then, good night. Watching her hurried figure, He Yu couldn't help but think speechlessly. Qi Xing, oh, Qi Xing, the cup is empty. He Yu brought the cup of water to her lips and took a sip, continuing the thought she hadn't had a chance to voice. I didn't say anything. And I wasn't thinking anything either. Ding dong. The notification sound for a new message rang out. He took out her phone to look. In the chat, someone asked, Brother Mang, what's up? Why aren't you sleeping in the middle of the night? What are you doing push-ups for? A photo of Zhou Mang doing push-ups on the floor was sent through. He was speechless. She glared at the phone screen angrily, calculating, I don't know anything. Don't force me. The scene changed to Zhou Mang's room. The sink was spotless, not a speck of dust, shining like a mirror. He was already fully dressed, standing there fixing his hairstyle. An excellent physique, firm and healthy. A flawless face with no imperfections and well-defined features. In short, a perfect 10 with nothing to criticize. Zhou Mang stepped out confidently, his handsome face radiant. Qi Xing and He Yu were both incredibly surprised to see him. He Yu spoke up, Brother Mang, Sister Qi Xing and I are going for a run together today. You should go back and rest. Zhou Mang was a little confused by the young girl's words. Then he confidently patted He Yu's shoulder and instructed, you go back, leave it to me. He Yu glanced behind her and immediately felt Qi Xing's gaze, sharp as a knife, as if wanting to eat her alive. She hurriedly refused in a loud voice. No way. I like running. I want to run. After speaking, she and Qi Xing vanished like a puff of smoke. Zhou Mang probably understood that Qi Xing wanted to avoid him. The corner of his mouth lifted slightly, and he let out a soft laugh. You can't escape. The scene changed to a grand, magnificent building on a bustling street. Qi Xing was confiding in her best friend, Zheng Miwen, a girl in a black suit with edgy short hair. Wenwen, listen to me. Qi Xing's steady voice rang out. I was forcibly kissed by a man. Zheng Miwen's hands, which were typing on the keyboard, stopped. She turned to Qi Xing and said, I'll go handle him for you. Qi Xing continued, he's very handsome, my type, and we have a bit of a history. Qi Xing rested her head on Wen's shoulder, the two looking extremely close. Zheng Miwen replied, then you handle it yourself. After saying that, as if remembering something, she hurriedly exclaimed, wait a minute, could it be the person you told me about before? Your hero, the little brother who saved you? Qi Xing slumped onto the table dejectedly and replied, "Yeah, that's right." Wan excitedly grabbed Qi Xing's hand, jumping up and down as she said, "My dear sister, go for it." Qi Xing lowered her eyes, her voice sad. I don't want his pity." Zheng Miwen was surprised by Qi Xing's attitude. She gently stroked her friend's long hair, patting her head comfortingly. How rare. Our Qi Xing is actually this heartbroken over a little brother. Qi Xing placed a hand lightly on her chest and continued to ask Zheng Miwen, "There's one more thing. Ruan Shushi's older sister invited me to their family's party. What do you think she means by that?" She recalled the image of Ruan Shushi standing under a tree, smiling as he invited her to the party. "My sister really likes you. She's always wanted to get to know you." Zheng Miwen was a bit stunned, asking curiously, his older sister, the boss of Yuanshu Entertainment? After thinking for a moment, Wenwen turned to Qi Xing and said loudly, "Xing, this is an opportunity. If Yuanshu Entertainment is willing to help, you can terminate your contract with Fengchuan." Zheng Miwen emphasized, escape from Lin Zhichuan's control. Her voice was so loud that Yu, who was eating a bun at the opposite table, had to look up. After a moment of thought, Zheng Miwen offered her assessment. "Compared to that little brother, Ruan Shushi is your right and best choice." She lowered her head slightly in thought. Qi Xing sadly admitted, "You're right, Ruan Shushi is of course the best choice." The scene changed to the entrance of Fengchuan Entertainment. Zhou Meng had already opened the car door and was waiting for her. Broad shoulders and long legs. His tall figure next to the glossy black car was incredibly striking. He looked at her and said, "I'll take you to the dance studio." Qi Xing stared blankly at Zhou Meng, her long curly hair blowing in the wind. She asked herself, "But what am I hesitating for?" Seeing the car door he had opened, she turned away, instinctively avoiding Zhou Meng's gaze. She lowered her eyes and said softly, "Let Yin take me." Zhou Meng was very insistent. He glanced over, then replied to Qi Xing seriously, "I'm the one in charge of the security team. From the passageways, the electrical circuits, to the camera routes in the dance studio, I know them all. If Yin goes in my place, he'll have to regather the information I've already prepared." Behind him, Yu and Yin, one above the other, watched the drama with wide eyes. Both of them absolutely complied with his arrangements, without any objection. Zhou Meng presented a tight and correct argument. That would be a complete waste of time, and it would also delay your class. Qi Xing stood before him, her head slightly bowed, unable to refuse. Yu, confused, chimed in to persuade Qi Xing. "Ah, Brother Meng has a point. Yin and I also have to do work for Sister Xiaoyan." Qi Xing knew she couldn't convince them. She angrily slammed the car door shut, making a loud noise. Zhou Meng said nothing. He drove in serious silence. Qi Xing sat in the back, her expression sorrowful, lost in thought. "That's right. I'm just the person Zhou Meng's team is assigned to serve, not their employer. Whatever Fengchuan company arranges, they do." The beautiful girl rested her chin on her hand, looking at the scenery outside the window, her slender legs crossed. Her long hair swayed gently. Arriving at the dance studio, Zhou Meng had taken off his outer black suit jacket, wearing only a white shirt, and sat quietly in a corner observing Qi Xing as she moved gracefully to the music. She had changed into a comfortable, form-fitting athletic outfit. Zhou Meng thoughtfully recalled a video of Qi Xing's television interview. When a reporter asked about her relatives and family, she had elegantly replied, "My parents, they're no longer around. After starting college, I never went back to my hometown. I spent most of my holidays at school or in my aunt's house." The memory ended. Qi Xing had paused her practice. She walked towards where Zhou Meng was sitting to get some water. He quickly handed her a water bottle. Qi Xing didn't take it. She looked at him distantly and said coldly, "I don't want to see you. Get out." Zhou Meng's eyes darkened. He suddenly asked an unrelated question. "Why did you have to lie?" Qi Xing was very surprised. She turned and looked at him angrily. She cursed inwardly. Have I given him too much freedom and permission? He's younger than me. How can he speak so impolitely? Facing her, Zhou Meng acted as if nothing was wrong and reached out to press the play button for the music. Qi Xing repeated once more, "Get out, I want to practice alone." Not only did Zhou Meng not listen, he instead reached out and turned off the music. He approached Qi Xing and continued to press her. "Why did you say your parents were both dead?" Qi Xing was stunned by his question. Zhou Meng's voice rang out again. "Why do you have to lie about things related to your father?" Qi Xing's face turned pale as she recalled the past. The image of being pinned to the ground by her own father Qi Rong, his hands grabbing her hair as he beat her mercilessly, flooded her memory. This was a dark memory that she could never forget in her entire life, and one she never wanted to recall. Qi Xing gave Zhou Meng a cold glance. It's none of your business. Night fell, and a myriad of stars twinkled. The dance practice ended. Qi Xing had changed back into the clothes she arrived in. She stood quietly in the shadow of a tree, waiting, her long hair loose, a black and white checkered scarf wrapped snugly around her slender neck. Qi Xing recalled what happened earlier. As Zhou Meng's tall, straight back walked away, he had instructed, I'm going to the parking lot to get the car. Qi Xing lowered her eyes and sighed, murmuring softly, we usually walk together. As she was lost in thought, Lin Jichuan appeared from nowhere. Seeing her, he called out, Qi Xing. She didn't answer. He continued, I came to pick up my niece. Do you practice dance here too? Qi Xing paid no attention to Lin Jichuan. She took out her phone to look at it and replied softly, yes. Seeing Qi Xing's disdainful attitude, Lin Jichuan pursed his lips unhappily. Then he continued to ask, I heard Wan Shushi is pursuing you? Qi Xing was startled, not expecting him to ask about this. Lin Jichuan sneered, you choosing him is really no better than choosing me. Qi Xing shot him a disgusted look. He used a patronizing tone to tell her, Wan Shushi is not a suitable match for you. At this point, Qi Xing was truly angry. She looked at her phone screen, her voice laced with disgust. What's it to you? Lin Jichuan touched his chin, his eyes behind the gold-rimmed glasses flashing with a cunning glint. I have to prevent him from luring you away. After Yuanshe Entertainment restructured, that sister from the Yuan family has great ambitions. They've already poached quite a few talented people. Qi Xing raised an eyebrow and sneered. Is that so? So in your heart, I'm also considered talent? Lin Jichuan smirked. Of course you need 1 or 2 useless stepping stones. Otherwise, how could one become a rare talent? If you can't take the hint, I'll just say it directly. Qi Xing remained focused on her phone, ignoring him. Lin Jichuan walked past her, repeating once more, Wan Shushi is not a good match. You choosing him is really no better than choosing me. Qi Xing raised an eyebrow, pouting as she thought. She suddenly recalled a previous conversation. Sister Chang Xiaoyan had once told her, look, Lin Jichuan's ex-girlfriends all look a bit like you. As she spoke, she showed Qi Xing the photos on her phone and asked, what does he mean by this? Qi Xing looked at the photos of the 3 girls. And indeed, they all bore some resemblance to her. Qi Xing asked curiously, is he hung up on an old flame? Back in the present, Lin Jichuan's steady voice continued to drone on. You choosing him is just going with the flow, isn't it? You just want someone to love you, to like you, to indulge you unconditionally. Wan Shushi can't do that. Lin Jichuan stopped and looked at Qi Xing, his hands in his pockets, and said, you and him, you're both knives. Being with him, you're bound to end up with your head bloodied. Qi Xing avoided his gaze. She cursed inwardly. This person is so annoying. Qi Xing was angry, but could do nothing about Lin Jichuan. She frowned and rolled her eyes, having already refuted him 49 times in her head. Wan Shushi is a knife? What kind of knife? How could there be such a handsome knife? If he's a knife, then what is Zhou Meng? Her mind suddenly conjured an image of an iron plate, and the sight of Zhou Meng with his arms crossed, looking cold and disdainful, his face perpetually expressionless. Thinking of this, Qi Xing couldn't help but laugh out loud, her eyes curving like crescent moons. Seeing her attitude, Lin Jichuan immediately became furious. He frowned unhappily and said angrily, I'm talking to you. Qi Xing was completely unconcerned, her hands still holding her phone. She replied, I'm listening, it's all nonsense. Lin Jichuan couldn't take it anymore. He suddenly rushed in front of Qi Xing, grabbed a lock of her long hair, and yanked it hard. Ignoring her pained frown, he roared, Qi Xing, take a good look at what the hell you are. The matter with your father, if I hadn't helped you solve it, don't you forget without me, you'd be nothing right now. Qi Xing frowned in anger. Her eyes, as she looked at Lin Jichuan, flashed with a dangerous glint. Suddenly, Qi Xing raised her hand and smashed her phone straight into his head. The impact made a crisp sound. Startled, Lin Jichuan let go of Qi Xing's hair. He staggered back, clutching his head and groaning. The bloodstained phone was held tightly in Qi Xing's hand. She stepped forward and grabbed him by the collar, lifting him up. Her murderous gaze was fixed on Lin Jichuan's face, which was contorted in pain. Under that gaze, Qi Xing angrily raised her hand high again. Lin Jichuan, both angry and scared, shouted, Qi Xing, you dare? Suddenly, a hand gently grasped Qi Xing's raised arm. From who knows when, Zhou Meng had appeared behind her. He leaned in and whispered into the still startled Qi Xing's ear, "Don't dirty your hands." With that, Zhou Meng's brows furrowed, his anger flaring, his sharp gaze fixed on Lin Jichuan. His body leaned back slightly, gathering momentum before lunging forward. The veins on his forehead bulged. A thunderous punch landed squarely on Lin Jichuan's hateful face, creating a dull thud. He fell backward, unconscious, his right cheek bruised, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, looking utterly pathetic. Qi Xing and Zhou Meng glanced at Lin Jichuan lying on the ground, then turned and walked away. Only then did Zhou Meng speak up and ask, "What happened?" Qi Xing turned to look at him, asking in surprise, "You don't know what happened? And you just hit him like that?" Zhou Meng's handsome face creased into a frown as he replied nonchalantly, "I've wanted to hit him for a long time. It was a rare opportunity, couldn't pass it up." Qi Xing couldn't help but laugh, looking at Zhou Meng happily. Under the streetlights in the night, she looked so gentle and beautiful. Qi Xing shook her head slightly, the wind blowing through her soft hair. "You're such a fool." But inside, she felt a secret happiness. "But you're the first and the only one to stand up for me." Qi Xing walked lightly, her heart in turmoil. Why? Why is it always him? The distant past and what just happened, like two parallel lines, intertwined. That year, the young Zhou Meng had saved her, helping her drive away her wretched father. Now, he had taught her enemy a lesson without a single word. Qi Xing looked at the tall figure walking behind her and sighed to herself, "It's always him. I don't understand, but it seems I don't need to." Qi Xing stood in front of Zhou Meng, the tips of their shoes touching. Zhou Meng held out his hand, waiting. The petite girl gently placed her hand in his large palm. In this moment, it was as if they had shut out the world around them, with eyes only for each other. They were no longer a famous female star and a bodyguard. All distance was erased, and they were just a couple on a secret date in the night. Zhou Meng broke the silence. "What are you smiling about?" Qi Xing didn't answer, her eyes filled with joy, thinking to herself, "I just know that I'm very happy right now. That's enough." Suddenly, Qi Xing slipped. The thick snow under her feet made her stumble and almost fall. Qi Xing cried out in alarm. "Zhou Meng." He rushed towards her, shouting, "Be careful." Before she could fall, he had caught her securely. Their posture was incredibly ambiguous, but also no less romantic and artistic, like a couple dancing in the falling snow. Qi Xing's face flushed red as she thought, "What if someone takes a picture of this? Will Sister Xiaoyan worry again?" Her small face grew redder and redder, the blush spreading to her ears. Qi Xing pressed her cheek against Zhou Meng's chest, closing her eyes happily, letting go of everything. Let them take pictures. At this moment, she didn't care about anything anymore, letting go of all her defenses and facing her true feelings. Zhou Meng lowered his head slightly and gently placed a kiss on Qi Xing's forehead. The space froze. Time seemed to stop at that moment. The figures of the handsome man and beautiful woman were as beautiful as a sculpture. The scene changed. A moment later, the car's headlights flashed. Qi Xing and Zhou Meng were in the car. She looked up and said cheerfully to him, "I still have to go to one more place to buy something." Zhou Meng casually asked, "Buy what?" "You can just have you go get it for you." Qi Xing smiled and replied, "New clothes." She raised her eyebrows slightly, the corners of her lips curving as she continued, "Wan Shushi wants to take me to meet his family." The car sped down the street, the snow outside falling thicker and thicker. Qi Xing sat in the car watching the scenery, chattering nonstop. "Zhou Meng, look at that building. I used to come here a lot." In stark contrast to her, Zhou Meng sat beside her driving with a grim expression, his brows tightly furrowed, in no mood to talk. It seemed that Qi Xing's earlier statement about going to meet Wan Shushi's family had angered him. Qi Xing continued, "There are a lot of film crews inside. Directors all cast their actors here. Minor actors with no background, no backing, could only come here often to check the notices, looking for opportunities." Qi Xing looked up at the tall, brightly lit building, her steady voice ringing out. Every room was packed with people. Actors and their managers were constantly talking to casting directors. You could receive several hundred resumes in a single day. Zhang Miwen and I would each hold several dozen sets and go from room to submit them. There were truly so many handsome men and beautiful women. Zhou Meng glanced at her, a sense of vigilance rising in his heart. "Who is this Zhang Miwen now?" Only then did he finally ask, "Weren't you already signed with Feng Chuan? Why did you still have to go submit resumes yourself?" Qi Xing turned to look at him and explained, "I hadn't signed yet at the beginning. Later, I had a fight with Lin Jichuan, and he didn't assign me a new manager. so I went to submit resumes here myself. Qi Xing closed her eyes, remembering that difficult time. Zhou Meng focused on driving, his heart aching for her. It must have been very hard back then, right? The car stopped in front of Building 104. Qi Xing waved at a girl in the distance, saying happily, "We're here. We're here." Zhou Meng watched her in silence, thinking to himself, she will definitely become more and more famous in the future, and the past she doesn't want to talk about will be dug up by people. She needs someone who can back her up. Qi Xing had gotten out of the car and was happily chatting with the girl with 2 pigtails from before. Suddenly realizing Zhou Meng was still in the car, Qi Xing turned and called to him, her eyes sparkling with joy. "Zhou Meng, hurry up and come over here. Over here." Zhou Meng rubbed his forehead in thought, a hint of sadness on his face as he thought, "That person isn't me. I can't help her." In the fitting room, Zhou Meng sat stiffly, not moving a muscle. The women around him wouldn't stop scrutinizing him, making his face a little unnatural. Suddenly, the fitting room curtain was pulled open with a swish. From behind the thin black curtain, Qi Xing slowly peeked her head out and called softly, "Zhou Meng, come in and give me a hand." Seeing Qi Xing, Zhou Meng immediately turned his face away, his cheeks flushing red, and replied with some embarrassment, "I'll go find your friend. She has a big client. She's with a customer right now. Don't bother her." Qi Xing said quickly. So Zhou Meng sighed and resignedly followed her into the fitting room. As soon as he entered the room, Zhou Meng froze. Before him was Qi Xing. At this moment, she was wearing a form-fitting, solid black dress that accentuated her captivating and alluring curves. More importantly, the V-shaped open-back design completely revealed Qi Xing's smooth, bare back. Faced with this sight, Zhou Meng stared without blinking. He stared at her, then stepped forward, placed his hands behind her back, and helped her fasten the strap of her dress. "Is it beautiful?" she asked softly. "It's fastened," Zhou Meng said shyly and let go of his hands. "Do you think the Yuan family will like me wearing this? Is it too ostentatious? I should wear something a bit more conservative." Qi Xing turned around and said hesitantly, "But I have a shawl, a milky white one. It goes very well with this dress. It's beautiful." Zhou Meng's voice tore through her sky, full of doubts. Hearing this, Qi Xing was stunned. "Anyone who sees you will like you," Zhou Meng continued. Qi Xing turned to Zhou Meng. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Suddenly, Qi Xing reached out, grabbed Zhou Meng's collar, and pulled him down. She stood on her tiptoes and decisively kissed him on the lips. Zhou Meng immediately wrapped his arms around her, one hand supporting the back of her neck, the other holding her waist tightly, kissing her back fiercely. A sweet atmosphere filled the fitting room. It seemed as if everything was still, and only the thumping heartbeats of the 2 young people could be heard. Suddenly, voices from outside drifted in. "In Shanghai, I also have a store, it's just that the belts were only shipped today. If President Yuan is not in a hurry, I'll have them sent over to him. It's fine, just give them all to me. It just so happens I'm going to Shanghai tomorrow." The conversation continued, breaking the romantic atmosphere on the other side of the curtain. Qi Xing stopped, pulled back the curtain, and stepped out. "Yuan Shushi, why are you here?" she asked in surprise. "I came to pick up some clothes for my eldest sister." Yuan Shushi replied gently. "We leave tomorrow. If you're not planning to go with the film crew, you could take my plane." Yuan Shushi continued. "Wow, truly a rich family," Qi Xing exclaimed excitedly. Watching Qi Xing talk to another man right in front of him, Zhou Meng was speechless, an indescribable feeling rising in his heart. He hid behind the curtain, wiped the corner of his mouth, and told himself, it seems that kiss just now didn't have any special meaning either. The next morning, Qi Xing took the film crew's flight to depart. Sitting in the airplane cabin, it was unclear what Qi Xing was thinking, but she seemed to have something on her mind. Suddenly a voice rang out. "Qi Xing, is that thing true? The rumor going around the industry now is that Mr. Yuan is pursuing you, saying you might be poached by Yuansha Entertainment." Hearing this, Qi Xing was extremely surprised, her eyes wide, her mind full of question marks. Sister Qi Xing and Mr. Yuan are good friends. They get along, so they talk a bit more. Who's spreading such baseless rumors? Qi Xing's assistant immediately retorted. This film was invested in and produced by Chen Luoyang, and Yin Yin is his girlfriend. Doesn't Yuan Shushi need to avoid suspicion? Chi Xing quickly spoke up. He's close with me, and he's close with you too. The last time you two went for hot pot without calling me, I've noted down this debt. Chi Xing added with a sidelong glance. Seeing this, the colleague who had just spoken scratched her head and smiled sheepishly. Don't be angry. Don't be angry. I'll make it up to you next time. After saying that, she took her leave. Afterwards, Chi Xing's expression was serious, her brows tightly furrowed, clearly deep in thought. This has nothing to do with Ruan Shushi. So who on earth spread the rumor? Thinking of this, she suddenly stood up and said, I'm going to the restroom for a bit. This won't do. I have to get Sister Xiaoyan to investigate. She thought as she walked. Chi Hung accidentally tripped and lost her balance, stumbling forward. Ah, Chi Hung, be careful. The assistant's scream rang out. Suddenly, she fell into a warm embrace. Hurriedly looking up, she saw it was Zhou Meng who had caught her. The scene before them seemed to pause for a beat as a reversed Wheel of Fortune tarot card flew past their faces. This card represents unexpected events, insurmountable obstacles, and a deviated path. Does this card foretell the fate between the two of them? The morning sun cast a golden hue on a corner of the building. In the small coffee shop downstairs, Chi Hung was sitting across from NAMA-MANGAI. I admit, in my relationship with him, I am a shameless person, but we truly love each other. Chi Hung said arrogantly. Hearing this, NAMA-MANGAI, who was sitting, suddenly stood up, raised her hand, and with a sharp sound, slapped Chi Hung hard across the face. Shameless. NAMA-MANGAI gritted her teeth and shouted. After receiving the resounding slap, one side of Chi Hung's cheek immediately turned red and swelled up. She looked up, staring directly at the woman opposite her. The atmosphere was tense. Two pairs of eyes locked onto each other like enemies. Cut. The director's voice shattered the silence. Has Chi Hung really memorized all of Ouyang Shue's lines? The scriptwriter quietly asked the director beside her. Of course, she rehearses lines with Nguyen Thursday, Doi every day. She can act out all of Ouyang Shue and Yin Yang's confrontation scenes. The director replied in a loud voice. After speaking, the director suddenly turned to NAMA-MANGAI and said seriously, You just saw how Chi Hung played Ouyang Shue, right? Just act the way she did. Hearing the director's words, NAMA-MANGAI frowned, looking unconvinced. What's so great about this? There wasn't even a single tear. I can't see how wronged she feels at all. Ouyang Shue's emotions here aren't that extreme. She doesn't need to be so melodramatic and weepy. The scriptwriter immediately retorted. She's a grown woman now. She won't burst into tears at the slightest provocation anymore. Chi Heng's portrayal is correct. The scriptwriter emphasized. Faced with the current situation, Chi Hung just stood quietly to the side. She smiled bitterly, frowning as she thought. They know we don't get along, and I don't have any backing, so they want to use me to provoke her. What a clever scheme. I have the power here. However I say to act, you have to listen. I have faith in your ability to imitate. The director's voice made NAMA-MANGAI very uncomfortable. She suddenly turned around, glaring at Chi Hung with hostility. Facing NAMA-MANGAI's murderous aura, Chi Hung remained calm, thinking to herself, What's this? Does everyone think I'm an easy target that anyone could just come and push around? Thinking this, she clasped her hands and spoke up. Sister Nan, the two of us need to cooperate well for this film to be good. Chi Hung continued smugly. Later, you tell me, should I hit for real or fake it? What do you think? NAMA-MANGAI replied angrily. Chi Hung maintained a calm expression, gently twisting the silver ring on her finger as she replied coolly, Understood. What do you mean? Are you trying to ruin my face? NAMA-MANGAI frowned and countered. Stop arguing. This isn't an ordinary ring. This is a relic from Yin Yang's mother. The engagement token Yin Yang gave to Tuan Quan. The director hurriedly cut through the tense atmosphere between the two. Ouyang Shue stole Yin Yang from Tuan Quan, so after you slap her, you should walk away while fiddling with the ring. Chi Hung said with her arms crossed, her voice raised. Extremely angry, her unwillingness gradually turned into heartache. Regarding Chi Heng's suggestion, the scriptwriter enthusiastically agreed. This detail is handled very well. NAMA-MANGAI's expression became increasingly ugly. Her eyes filled with rage. Sister Nan, shall we rehearse again? Chi Hung continued with a smile. You're something else. NAMA-MANGAI retorted with a pout. Hearing this, Chi Heng's lips still curled as she said, Sister Nan is always teaching me so many things. On the other side, The crew members were gathered in small groups, gossiping. Chi-hung won, right? No. The two big sisters arguing is much more exciting than the movie. Filming is so boring. Much more boring than the final product. Oh no, I'm doomed. Sister Xiao Yin isn't here. There's really no one to advise her not to play with fire. The scriptwriter said softly. The scene returns to Chi-hung and Nan-Engian. Fine, for the sake of the film's effect. You can use a little more force. Nan-Engian said to Chi-hing through gritted teeth. Then she turned and looked back to say, all departments, wait for me a moment. I'm gonna touch up my makeup. Xiao Shu, the wine your sister mentioned last time, Luo Yang found it. The day after tomorrow, we'll bring it over for him to taste with us. Nan-Engian said cheerfully to the man opposite her. That would be great. Hearing their conversation, Chi-hing's expression suddenly turned icy. She fell into deep thought, her heart full of questions. The Nguyen family's dinner party also invited Chun Luo Yang and Nan-Engian. Why are so many people going? After work, sitting in the moving car, Chi-hung was still thinking about many things when her assistant suddenly spoke up. Sister Chi-hung, your acting was amazing. No wonder the scriptwriter wants to add more scenes for you. Add more scenes? Chi-hung asked in surprise. Yes, I heard the scriptwriter telling the director that she convinced the boss to add more scenes for Tuan Quan. The assistant explained. When did you hear that before filming? Chi-hing pressed on seriously. Faced with Chi-hing's question, the assistant thought for a moment, then quickly replied. Yes, before filming, right when we arrived at the set. You went to the restroom. What's wrong? Is something not right? Zhou Meng, who was driving, turned slightly to ask. It's very strange. If the scriptwriter wanted to add scenes for me, it means he understands and acknowledges my acting. So why was he surprised that I had memorized all of Ouyang Shue's lines? Chi-hung said, resting her chin on her hand, a look of confusion on her face. Recalling the moment the scriptwriter said that, Chi-hung became even more bewildered. She added, and he even managed to convince the boss, Chun Luo Yang. You have to know, Chun Luo Yang and Nan-Engian are a pair. With that, Chi-hung quickly pulled her phone out of her bag and called her manager. Hello, Sister Xiao Yin. Can you check the contract for Sweet Sparkle for me? Here's what happened. She recounted the entire incident to Xiao Yin, then let out a sigh of relief and said, there's no problem with the contract. No matter who decided to add the scenes, it won't harm your interests. That's good then. The assistant beside her replied happily. Then Chi-hung opened her handbag to get something, and suddenly a tarot card appeared before her eyes. Unexpected events, insurmountable obstacles, a wrong path. She held the card in her hand, deep in thought, her expression serious, her cold eyes thinking to herself, it seems this isn't anything good. 2 days later, to prepare for the dinner party at the Nguyen residence, Chi-hung and Nguyen Thursday, though arranged to meet in the lobby of the office building. Sorry, I'm a little late, Chi-hung said as she walked over gracefully. Chi-hung looked absolutely stunning. She wore a sparkling black long dress with a high slit that was extremely eye-catching, and around her neck was a very elegant green beaded necklace. We won't be late, will we? Chi-hung asked Nguyen Thursday, though softly. Chi-hing's assistant was about to get in the car to go to the party with her, when a hand suddenly grabbed her shoulder and pulled her back. I'll go, Zhou Meng said firmly. Huh? The assistant was very surprised. Sister Chi-hung wanted to take me to broaden my horizons. The assistant said, on the verge of tears. I'll go. Zhou Meng remained firm, and the assistant had to accept dejectedly. It's much more convenient for a female guest to be accompanied by a female bodyguard. Nguyen Thursday, though, quickly said to Zhou Meng through the car window, but Zhou Meng didn't change his mind at all. He said emphatically, I am in charge of Miss Chi-hung's security. According to the contract, I must be present at any major event Miss Chi-hung attends. He silently grumbled to himself, so stop with the nonsense. At Zhou Meng's words, Nguyen Thursday, though, fell silent, while Chi-hung smiled faintly. A bodyguard like him is so dedicated. Nguyen Thursday, though, spoke up. He's adorable, isn't he? Chi-hung asked with a smile. Hearing this, Zhou Meng was a bit flustered, standing silently at a loss for words. Nguyen Thursday, though, turned his face away, thinking to himself, adorable? Looks like it's about to rain. The car arrived at the Nguyen family's villa estate. The magnificent villa was splendidly decorated with fresh flowers and candles. Inside the villa, the scene was incredibly lively. Chi-hung and Nguyen Thursday, though, slowly walked in, looking absolutely glamorous. It's cold. Nguyen Thursday, though, said softly. Find him. A loud shout made Chi-hung and Nguyen Thursday, though, stop at the entrance. If he doesn't show up today, what kind of party will this be? A woman in a white power suit shouted, "Sister, did Eric run off again?" Nguyen Thursday Thoy spoke up and asked, "Xiao Shu." Seeing Nguyen Thursday Thoy, the woman's tone softened a little. "You know so many girls, but this one is the prettiest." The woman continued, "Sister, Chi Hung is my good friend." Nguyen Thursday Thoy quickly explained, "Is this a preemptive strike?" Chi Hung thought with a wry smile. "I've seen Jianghu that you acted in. It was very good. Chu Feng has praised you many times, and I can count the people he praises on one hand." The woman continued, "The Dr. Ku Feng?" Chi Hung asked in surprise as she extended her hand. Suddenly, the woman shouted, "Have you checked the parking garage? Have you looked?" She had no sense of propriety. She was clearly furious. Then she abruptly turned and walked away, leaving Chi Hung's outstretched hand hanging awkwardly in midair. Chi Hung wanted to shake her hand, but she left too quickly. "Is your family doing well?" The woman from before blended in with the other guests as if nothing had happened, leaving Chi Hung and Nguyen Thursday Thoy speechless. "Haha, your sister's really... We must look so awkward, right? I'm hungry. Let's go find something to eat," Chi Hung said softly. Okay," Thursday Thoy replied. So Thursday Thoy and Chi Hung moved to the dining table. The delicacies at the Nguyen residence were dazzling. The table laden with lobster, steamed squid, strawberries, and cakes. Nguyen Thursday Thoy stopped to talk to someone else, while Chi Hung went to the dessert table. "Chi Hung," a voice from behind caught her attention. Chi Hung turned around and said in surprise, "My Tu, why are you here too? It's all familiar faces. This circle is really small," My Tu said softly. Afterward, Chi Hung and My Tu went out to the balcony for some air and a chat. My Tu asked Chi Hung bluntly, "Have you chosen Nguyen Thursday Thoy?" "Can't I?" Chi Hung immediately retorted. Seeing this, My Tu's expression turned serious, his eyes asking, "Then what about that bodyguard?" My Tu's words continued, "Have you decided who to choose?" Two streams of thought appeared in Chi Hang's mind. On one side was Zhou Mang, on the other was Nguyen Thursday Thoy. "It's Zhou Mang, isn't it?" My Tu asked softly. "He has charisma, and he's handsome. I like him a lot." Chi Hung replied, looking up. "What do my affairs have to do with him?" Chi Hung added, then proudly turned and walked away, but a hint of confusion flickered across her face. "Oh, who took that photo of you at Lan Kwai Fong? It's beautiful. I think it's even better than your magazine photos." My Tu said excitedly, resting his chin on his hand. "Is that so?" Chi Hung replied softly. "Didn't you see the camera lens? You didn't see the person?" Chi Hang's voice continued. "Don't mention the camellia flower again. I don't like that expression." My Tu frowned and retorted, "What's wrong with a camellia flower? I think you're exactly that kind of person. Purity and sensuality can absolutely coexist in one woman." My Tu said seriously, "This is my compliment." Hearing this, Chi Hung said no more. She quietly turned and walked back into the hall. Just as she reached the door, Zhou Mang suddenly appeared, causing her to pause for a moment. She asked with wide eyes, "Why are you here?" "I brought you here. Have you forgotten?" Zhou Mang replied coldly. "Aren't bodyguards allowed inside?" "Where's he?" Chi Hung continued to ask. "He was outside. My Tu said I'm his cousin, so he brought me in." Hearing Zhou Mang's words, Chi Hung immediately turned to look at My Tu, her eyes filled with a murderous glare. Then she and Zhou Mang walked into the party. Holding a plate of pastries, Chi Hung said, "You look so stiff. Anyone can tell you're bodyguard, not My Tu's cousin. You can dance with me later after I finish dancing with Nguyen Thursday Thoy," Chi Hung said in a loud voice. Seeing this, Zhou Mang immediately frowned, his mouth tightly clamped on a half-eaten biscuit stick he hadn't swallowed yet. "I'm not dancing. Either you dance with me first, or I'm not dancing at all," Zhou Mang replied firmly. "The first dance is for Nguyen Tran and her son," Chi Hung said. Suddenly, a voice spoke beside her ear. "Hi, Chi Hung." In front of her were a few actress friends from the industry, happily waving at her. "And this is?" They saw Zhou Mang beside her and asked Chi Hung curiously. "Teacher My Tu's cousin," Chi Hung quickly replied. Then she turned to Zhou Mang and asked awkwardly, What's your name again?" Zhou Mang didn't answer her, but decisively turned and walked away. "Wow, that temper, just like Teacher My Tuesday. What a personality." Chi Hung replied, Yes. They're cast from the same mold." The other actresses chimed in, giggling. Zhou Mang's expression was extremely ugly as he hurried away. "What's so funny?" Nguyen Thursday, Thoy spoke up. Then he bowed, extended his hand, and said softly, Miss Chi Hung, may I have the honor of this dance? Chi Hung didn't hesitate, quickly placing her hand on Nguyen Thursday Thoy's. The two of them walked to the center of the hall and danced magnificently. The scene seemed to shrink, and before their eyes was only the world of the two of them dancing. But in the crowd watching the dance intently, there was a pair of incredibly deep, possessive eyes, and they belonged to Zhou Mang. Seeing Chi Hung dancing with another man right in front of him, Zhou Mang's face darkened, devoid of any smile. Chi Hung caught a glimpse of Zhou Mang's expression, and she pursed her lips, feeling a bit of self-reproach. What are you thinking about? When Thursday, Thoy suddenly spoke up. Chi Hung remained silent. While they were dancing, my two suddenly cut in. Hey, Xiao Shu, let's play hide and seek. The winner gets a French kiss from Eric. When Thursday, Thoy stopped, frowning at my two. Do you know where he is? I don't. My two quickly replied. Suddenly, an idea flashed through Chi Hang's mind. She immediately grabbed my two by the collar and dragged him away. Excuse me, I need to borrow my two for a moment. Then she pulled him outside. Su Jing convinced Chen Luo Yang to add scenes for you. That's impossible. The scriptwriting fee for Sparkle is only 3 million. That's Su Jing's friendship price. My two continued, confused. For just that much money, why would someone go through the trouble of revising the script? A revised script has to be sent for review again. Who has the time to look for trouble for themselves? My two added. Hearing this, Chi Hing's expression suddenly turned serious, as if she had realized something. It seems someone is plotting against me, but who could it be? Suddenly, my two turned his head and exclaimed in surprise, Ah, your sworn enemy has arrived. Chi Hung stopped thinking and gently turned in the direction my two was looking. Outside the hall, Nan Angian, in a fiery red gown, was slowly walking in with Chun Luo Yang, both wearing arrogant expressions. Nan Angian, with her arm linked through Chun Luo Yang's, slowly approached, smiling brightly as she said, Chi Hung, so you know Teacher My Two? We got to know each other through a fight. My two replied with a curl of his lips. I think it's more like your foul mouth offended someone. When Thursday, Thoy's sister added. Chi Hung and Xiao Shu are now the two most important core characters of our film crew. They're truly special, truly wonderful. Nan Angian said with her chin held high. Chun Luo Yang stood beside her, his expression indifferent, saying nothing. We were originally worried that Ms. Su Jing's new script would be different from the original work, and that it would be a bit difficult for Chi Hung to act, but she had no problems at all. Her line delivery was incredibly smooth. Nan Angian continued coolly, resting her chin on her hand. Hearing this, Chi Hang's expression suddenly turned serious. She frowned, a big question mark appearing in her mind. Back when I suggested revising the script to Luo Yang, he even said I was being nosy. Nan Angian added with a friendly smile. So that's how it is. In that case, I really have to thank you, Sister Nan. Chi Hung replied with an equally competitive smile. The atmosphere was incredibly tense. Although Nan Angian and Chi Hung were smiling and talking on the surface, inside they were filled with irreconcilable rage. Faced with this situation, my two and Nguyen Thursday, though could only stand by silently, not daring to say a word. Nguyen Thursday, though suddenly spoke up. Why revise the script? Isn't the review process strict now? If the script is revised, the Bureau has to review it again. Won't that delay the filming schedule? It was Nan Angian who felt the script had weakened the character of Tuong Quan. She was only considering the realism of it. Her suggestion to add scenes for Chi Hung was to make the entire film more logical and complete. Chun Luo Yang replied in a loud voice, his hands in his pockets. Back then, when Lin Trixian recommended you to me, I had never worked with you, so I was indeed very worried. Chun Luo Yang continued, looking towards Chi Hung. At this point, a few party guests also started to gather around to watch the commotion. But Nan Angian convinced me that the script's problems were indeed not simple. Nguyen Thursday Thoy, holding a glass of red wine, said, originally, Bui Veen was also coming, but she was urgently called back to Beijing for a meeting. My two, what on earth did you write? Hearing this, Chen Luo Yang's face suddenly darkened. He frowned, silently fuming. Bui Veen. My two, I'm asking you, what on earth did you write? Nguyen Thursday Thoy pressed, the small piece of cake in his hand still uneaten. My two replied in a loud voice. After the film is edited, I'll call you for a private screening. How about that? Just a screening? What kind of film has you and Bullied so tense? I'll chip in some money and see for myself. Ngwin Thursday, Thoy said with a smirk. In short, it's a good film. My two replied softly. Hearing this, Chun Luo Yang's expression grew even uglier. He frowned, staring thoughtfully in one direction. Chi Hung, let's go over there and get some hot food. Ngwin Thursday, Thoy said hurriedly. Just as Chi Hung was about to leave, Nan Engian's voice made her stop. Chi Hung knows, Nan Engian said softly. Just ask her. Chi Hung's expression immediately turned ugly, staring straight at Nan Engian. You know too. At Nan Engian's words, Chun Luo Yang also turned around abruptly. His sharp gaze was enough to frighten even the arrogant Nan Engian. Today, I must expose her for adding her own scenes in front of everyone. Nan Engian's expression remained unchanged, secretly gloating that Chi Hung's matter was about to be exposed. Chi Hung remained silent. Seeing this, Nan Engian continued to add fuel to the fire. Chi Hung, aren't you the female lead of the Great Earthquake? The atmosphere suddenly became extremely tense. Suddenly, a crashing sound shattered the silence. A glass of red wine was thrown straight at Chi Hung's face, soaking one of her shoulders. CEO Chun, you've gone too far. Ngwin Thursday, though he stood in front of Chi Hung, saying angrily, You're something else. Chun Luo Yang slammed his glass on the table and said through gritted teeth. The crowd at the party immediately erupted into a commotion. Some took out their phones to record, while others whispered among themselves. Playing mind games with me? You're not at my level yet. As long as I, Chun Luo Yang, am around, you, Chi Hung, can forget about ever making it in this industry. Chun Luo Yang said with extreme arrogance in front of Chi Hung, then abruptly turned and left. At this moment, Chi Hung just stood quietly in a corner, not saying a word. Luo Yang, Nan Engian called out, chasing after Chun Luo Yang's retreating figure. He decisively shook off Nan Engian's hand, his eyes fierce. In my entire life, the thing I hate most is a fool who thinks they're smart. Nan Engian, with tears in her eyes, stood there cowering. Xiao Shu wants that girl? Chun Luo Yang turned his head and asked Ngwin Thursday Thoy. How could that be? Thursday, Thoy has a fiancé from a well-matched family. Ngwin Thursday, Thoy said coldly. The scene was quite chaotic at this point. Ngwin Thursday, Thoy anxiously searched for Chi Hung, his eyes full of worry, silently calling in his heart. Chi Hung, where are you? Have you seen Chi Hung? Ngwin Thursday, though he saw my two, and asked hurriedly. She left. She doesn't have a car. She's walking down the mountain. Teacher my two replied, a cigarette in his mouth. Seeing this, Ngwin Thursday, though he immediately walked towards a bodyguard and said, bring the car around. You're an interesting person, nothing like your sister. My two said softly. Did you already know that my sister wanted to invest in the Great Earthquake? Ngwin Thursday, though he said, turning around. Bullied didn't come here to raise investment funds, did she? She won an award in Berlin, and you're the scriptwriter. How could this film possibly lack investors? My two replied with a sneer. It was my sister who called Bullied here. You knew everything, so why didn't you tell Chi Hung? You could have warned her, told her not to come. Ngwin Thursday, though he replied resentfully, his eyes full of blame. Don't you find this very interesting? I like to set the stage for others to perform, and I also like to watch the play. I had a great time tonight. My two mocked, his eyes speaking volumes. Of course, the director of this play is Yuan Zhuan. Nan Engian and I were merely mutually benefiting, taking advantage of the situation. With that, my two took the cigarette from his mouth and pointed at Ngwin Thursday Thoy. You're also a character in this play of mine. Ngwin Thursday Thoy's face contorted, and he roared in anger. You psycho. Seeing this, my two said calmly, men in love are so interesting. Blindness isn't just a woman's prerogative when in love. You see, he even forgot to ask me where Chi Hung's two bodyguards went. The scene leaves the party, panning towards the distant sky. At this moment, on the small row below, Chi Hung was walking step by step. As if sensing her mood, the sky opened up and poured down rain. Chi Hung remained unfazed, walking gently in the rain, her mood quite somber. Suddenly, a figure appeared before Chi Hung, causing her to stop in surprise. The scene flashes back to before the rain. Zhou Meng and he were stopped by the Yuan family's bodyguards. "Excuse me, may we see your invitations?" One of the bodyguards spoke up. He Yu immediately panicked. She said worriedly, "Oh no, Brother Meng, the fact that your teacher my two's cousin is about to be exposed." Suddenly, a shout of "something's happened" came from the main hall, catching Zhou Meng's attention. He saw Nan Engian chasing after Chun Luoyang. Luoyang, wait for me. Luoyang, let me explain." Zhou Meng's heart grew increasingly agitated. "Brother Meng, it seems something happened at the villa. Is Sister Qihong okay?" He said worriedly. "Let's go check." But before the two could take more than a few steps, the Yuan family's bodyguards decisively raised their hands to block them. "Excuse me, you two cannot enter without an invitation." Seeing this, He Yu and Zhou Meng frowned, their expressions turning serious. Seeing their intimidating faces, the group of bodyguards was a little scared. "Take them down in 5 seconds." "Okay." The two made a silent agreement. Suddenly, my two's appearance broke the stalemate. "Cousin, there you are. I've been looking all over for you. Come on, I'll take you two to get something good to eat." My two forcefully pulled Zhou Meng and He Yu away in front of the bodyguards. "Qihong isn't in the villa. She went down the mountain by herself." My two whispered to Zhou Meng. "What?" He Yu exclaimed in shock. "Where's Nguyen Thursday Thoi?" Chow Meng asked angrily. "Still in the villa, comforting the guests." Mach 2 replied calmly. "You have a car. Why didn't you take her home?" Chow Meng questioned with a frown. His fists clenched. Why should I?" The words had just left his mouth when a loud smack was heard, and Mach 2 staggered. Chow Meng had landed a heavy punch on Mach 2's face, then stormed off. Chi-Han went toward the side door. "You should go find her there," Mach 2 said, holding his face. "That guy really deserved that punch." Hai Noyet commented from behind. The scene cuts back to Chi-Han. She was still walking in the rain in astonishment, looking at the young man in front of her. "Corpse bride, Eric," Chi-Han blurted out. The person opposite her gave a radiant smile and nodded. "Eric, let me borrow your phone," Chi-Han said in a low voice, crossing her arms. "I don't have one," Eric replied. "It really is him." Chi-Han thought to herself, "Please let me borrow it." "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone about your whereabouts," Chi-Han pleaded. "When I play hide-and-seek with my mom, I never bring my phone." Eric said mockingly. "Do you need me to take you home?" Eric asked, leaning in close. "I just escaped from your castle," Chi-Han quickly replied. "Ha ha ha, so you're the long-haired princess." Eric clutched his stomach, laughing loudly. "What the hell is so funny?" Chi-Han thought angrily. Seeing the white shawl stained by Tran Lac Duong's wine, Eric asked urgently, "Is this blood?" "Princess, you're hurt." As he spoke, Eric reached out to grab it. Suddenly, a large hand appeared out of nowhere, gripping Eric's wrist tightly and stopping him. Looking up, both Eric and Chi-Han were stunned. Chow Meng. Chi-Han thought. It was indeed Chow Meng. At that moment, Chow Meng was searching for Chi-Han in the rain, completely soaked. His hand still held Eric's wrist firmly. He was wearing a suit, standing in the rain, letting the water drench his hair and body, coldly looking at Chi-Han and Eric. She felt a little surprised. Chow Meng. He glanced at the young man beside her. It turned out that boy was Vien Tone's son, Vien Du, 20 years old this year. Then he said, "The person looking for you is nearby." Vien Du asked in alarm, "Huh, really?" After that, he quickly turned and ran off, not forgetting to joke before he left, "Goodbye, princess. Goodbye, night." The rain grew heavier. In the deserted forest, only Chow Meng and Chi-Han remained. He took off his suit jacket and draped it over her, so she wouldn't be cold. A few raindrops lingered on Chi-Han's face, making her look even more heart-stirringly beautiful, fragile, and in need of protection. She asked him, "How did you know I was here?" He replied, "Mach 2 told me." He also lent us his car. Hanoyet is already at the parking lot. Chi-Han silently cursed Mach 2. She said angrily, "What a nuisance. I don't understand what he's thinking." Suddenly, Chow Meng looked down and saw the high heels on Chi-Han's feet, then turned and squatted down. "It's not convenient to walk on a mountain path in high heels. I'll carry you." Chi-Han felt completely awkward, not knowing what to do. Chow Meng continued to explain, "Noyet can't drive the car in. We have to walk down." Unconsciously, she reached out and touched the suit jacket Chow Meng had draped over her. It still held his warmth. Then she bent down and climbed onto Chow Meng's back. She thought to herself, "It's so warm." The more she thought, the more Chi-Han's cheeks flushed, just like him. In the pouring rain, Chow Meng carried Chi-Han and slowly walked out of the forest. In front of him, Chi-Han still seemed a bit shy. "I'm very heavy." Chow Meng comforted her. "I could run while carrying you." "You're much lighter than Han Noyet." She asked curiously, "You've carried Han Noyet before?" on a mission before. Han Noyet was grazed in the leg by a stray bullet. Han Nian was protecting the wealthy merchant, and I carried Han Noyet to escape. She felt a bit dazed. Chow Meng continued to affirm, "It's true." Later, the three of us discussed it and felt these jobs were too dangerous, so we quit. Unknowingly, hearing about the hardships in Chow Meng's past, Chi Han began to cry out of empathy. So that's how it was. Then I should thank Han Noyet and Han Ian. She was still crying. Her tears streamed down, mixing with the rain. Then Chi Han realized her own tragic situation and cried even harder. "I won't be able to act anymore." Chow Meng suddenly stiffened, and then his cheeks also gradually turned red. A single tear slowly rolled down. "Didn't Nguyen Thursday though help you? He likes you. He should help you." Chi Han lay peacefully on Chow Meng's back, her arms wrapped around his neck. "It's not that simple, and besides, it's not him." The two of them had walked out of the dense forest and reached a deserted intersection. She affirmed once more, "The person I need is not him." Chow Meng set Chi Han down. The two tall figures, a man and a woman, stood facing each other, holding hands, silently gazing into each other's eyes. Chi Han suddenly felt a bit shy. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, her gaze darting away, her cheeks flushed. "Why do I feel so shy? Find another topic to talk about." Then she tried to change the subject to break the awkward atmosphere. "Have you seen La La Land?" Chow Meng began, in a serious tone that surprised her. Under the downpour, Chow Meng looked at her seriously, once again affirming his intention. "You should choose Nguyen Thursday though." The night sky was pitch black, the raindrops growing denser, falling on Chi Han and merging with her tears. "I really don't want to choose Nguyen Thursday though." After saying that, she squatted down. "Nguyen Thursday though likes me, and he can help my career." Chi Han's tears continued to fall. She continued, "Nguyen Thursday though has a fiancé." At this point, Chi Han seemed unable to hold back her emotions any longer, bowing her head and burying her face. Mach 2 told me, why should I avoid the right choice to walk a more difficult, rugged path? Everyone in the industry knows, it's just that no one told me. Her tears fell more and more. I tried so hard to convince myself. Then she held her hand out in front of her, wondering, when was the last time I cried like this? Then Chi Han raised her hand, wiping away the tears streaming down her face. Her eyes were filled with sorrow as she realized, that's right, at my mother's funeral. She thought, sometimes I even wonder if I was born unlucky. Images of Chi Han's past flashed through her mind. When she was a high school student, her mother passed away forever. Chi Han stood stunned, holding her mother's portrait, crying silently. "Sobi, Sobi, Mon, Sobi, Mon." Out of nowhere, a hand reached out and slapped her hard across the face with a sharp crack. That person scolded, "What are you crying for? You're such bad luck." Chi Han's face was red and swollen from the slap, starting to bleed. The people around were just as cruel, cursing and insulting a teenager who had just lost her mother, completely disregarding her feelings. So unfilial. Someone said. Another person said, "I think she's deliberately holding her mother back, not letting her pass on peacefully." Someone else chimed in, "I think she's deliberately provoking her father." That year, Chi Han was only in high school. She was still an innocent girl, unable to fight back against any of the taunts from those around her, only able to endure helplessly. All good things avoid me, have nothing to do with me. Losing my mother caused me immense pain. The young Chi Han lost her mother, and the grown-up Chi Han lost the career she loved with all her life. It was as if she was feeling the same deep, indescribable pain. She wondered, and now why am I so heartbroken? Is it because of Nguyen Thursday Thoy, or because of someone else's humiliating scheme? Suddenly, Chow Meng bent down and hugged her tightly, as if wanting to merge her into his own body. Then Chi Han realized, no, it didn't seem like that. She was completely enveloped in Chow Meng's arms. Cried out, "I've always had many things I don't understand. Just charging forward is enough. I shouldn't start overthinking just because someone is a little nice to me." Chow Meng told himself silently. Things in this world still require qualification. Chow Meng was still holding her, raising one hand to let Chi Han's head rest on his shoulder. Chi Han was still lost in thought, while he was still lamenting. Damn qualifications. If he can't protect you, and even hurt you like this. Thinking this, Chow Meng gently kissed Chi Han's forehead, a kiss that seemed to carry his wish to protect her. He promised himself, then from now on, I will never let you go. Chi Han suddenly realized something. She started crying again, blaming him. "Chow Meng, How could you tell me to choose Nguyen Thursday, though? Outside, the rain was gradually stopping. Hanoyet had also just driven to the meeting spot. She stuck her hand out the window, raised it high, and waved. Sister Chi-Han, Brother Mang. Being in the rain for too long had given Chi-Han a cold. She had no choice but to use his jacket to blow her nose. Chow Mang was speechless. That's my most expensive jacket. Chi-Han turned away coldly, comforting him, as well as herself. Tomorrow will be better. He gazed at her intently. His eyes were complex. Chi-Han suddenly turned her head back, looked at him, and gave a faint smile. Asking, right? But life always brings us unforeseen surprises. Once bad luck arrives, it brings a series of other terrible things with it. Things never go as planned. News about Chi-Han's father still flooded the headlines, with titles full of negative information. Chi-Han's father sentenced to 30 years for fraud and aggravated assault. Chi-Han's father imprisoned for 10 years. She never once checked on him. Chi-Han once fought with her father on the street. Chi-Han's public image worsened. Below the news articles were floods of insults and curses against her, extremely vicious. On the second day, even more malicious rumors about Chi-Han were released. First, that she suppressed members of a girl group, not wanting them to steal her spotlight. So she threatened and prevented the girls from attending an important party. Then a film director accused her of trying to use the back door, seducing the director and producer. The director and producer were both decent men. When she failed, she got angry and sent their chat logs to the director's wife and the producer's girlfriend. Netizens' comments became even more contemptuous, expressing their disgust for Chi-Han. On the third day, unfavorable news about Chi-Han continued to spring up like mushrooms after rain. Today's news was about her love life. She was madly infatuated, had a failed confession, had ulterior motives, and was taken to the police station. In the comments section, negative comments were still dense, cursing her. At Chi-Han's private residence, Han Noyet read the fabricated negative articles about Chi-Han, unable to contain her anger, but she accidentally scrolled past a comment vindicating Chi-Han. It was clearly Truong, not Dong, who brought people to deal with Chi-Han. The police officer at the station is Truong, not Dong's uncle. I was an insider. My friend brought me to help her. But to her surprise, the comment immediately disappeared. Why can't I see that comment anymore? It was deleted. If it was deleted, it means it's true. Han Noyet comforted Chow Mang, Brother Mang. Don't believe what's on the internet. The person next to her immediately agreed. That's right, deleting it so quickly must mean the person who spread the rumor has a guilty conscience. Chow Mang sat on the sofa, looking out the window, silent. He thought to himself, of course, I know these things are fake, but these rumor mongers didn't just appear out of nowhere. Who was behind all this, pulling the strings? Then he looked towards Chi-Han's bedroom. His target is only Chi-Han. In her private room, clothes were strewn messily on the bed, and an ashtray was full of smoked cigarette butts. Chi-Han sat listlessly on the floor, surrounded by empty beer bottles. She said weakly, Fong Han has decided to give up on me. That's why they're letting Tam on to spread rumors like this. Lam Trick Shuyan sat on the sofa, with Oi Chiu Nim beside him. He adjusted his clothes and asked her, if I were giving up on you, why would I still come here to find you? He affirmed, I'm on your side. Chi-Han didn't look up and asked back, don't tell me Tam on 2 and the others are now working for your brother? Then she seemed to realize something. Wait, I'm also a Fong Han artist. If my reputation is damaged, it will affect Fong Han too. Why would your brother? Oh, I get it. Tranlak Duong and your brother have joined forces. Lam Trick Shuyan's brother, 40 years old. She continued, Tranlak Duong wants to get rid of me, and your brother wants Tranlak Duong's industry resources. He wants to snatch Fong Han from you. So he abandoned me. Lam Trick Shuyan offered a solution to the recent turmoil. Hold a press conference, apologize to everyone, then go visit your father, and this matter will be over. Chi-Han stubbornly refused. I'm not going. Chunin quickly explained. Chi-Han, I know the things on the internet aren't true, but right now, what's important isn't the truth, but quelling public opinion. Let's all be frank. Settle your family matters. Explain clearly to everyone, and they will understand. Lam Trick Shuyan couldn't stand her indifferent, defeatist attitude. He snatched the cigarette from Chi-Han's hand, stubbed it out, and questioned angrily, you're still so indifferent now? This is a huge crisis for you. Chi-Han refused to back down, immediately shouting, when I signed a contract with you people, I already said it, my family matters are absolutely not to be exposed to the public. She stepped forward, grabbing Lam Trick Shuyan by the collar. Lam Trick Shuyan, You also promised to help me handle these negative comments. You're the one who failed, so why are you pushing me out? He replied weakly. Even if the company can't control public opinion in the eyes of others, the one who lied is still you. Chihan retorted angrily. Then I won't apologize either. Who should I apologize to? In my heart, that person is already dead. I don't have a father. She thought to herself, I don't regret adding scenes. As long as I can act in the great earthquake, I can endure anything. Then she covered her face. What truly pains me is that the shadow I tried so hard to escape has once again latched onto me. The sound of a door opening loudly came from outside. Qiu Nan was shocked. Chao Meng, what are you doing? Chao Meng walked into Chihan's room. He grabbed Lam Trick Shuyan by the throat, then handed her a phone, reminding her, Mach 2's phone. His other hand was still gripping Lam Trick Shuyan's throat. He continued, you turn off your phone? He couldn't find you. Chihan answered the call. Hello. Mach 2 said on the other end, the script issue is settled. Get here before 12. We'll continue filming in the afternoon. Chihan was a little incredulous, asking again, are you sure? Mach 2 continued, remember, you are now the female lead of the great earthquake. Don't be late. Deep in her heart, Chihan asked herself, what lies at the end of the road? Opportunity. Articles about the drama also began to appear. The next day, at the set of the great earthquake, Qiu Nin said quietly, it seems there are no reporters here. Bui Veen, beside her, confirmed, no strangers came today. Don't worry. Before Chihan could greet her, Director Bui, suddenly something flashed past her. Something had passed. Behind her, Mach 2 was wearing a cute smiley face t-shirt, humming a few bars of a tune. She stammered, what's wrong with Mach 2? Bui Veen replied from the side, not a single word of the great earthquake script needs to be changed. He's ecstatic. It's a good thing you didn't break down. The authorities have relaxed censorship for this genre. Eric came out of the house, followed by Mach 2's High Princess. Hello. Chihan was surprised. Eric, you. Just call me Eric. My mom doesn't let me do these things, so I gave myself a fake name. Mach 2 had returned to his usual pensive state. He's our dance instructor, Veendu. Chihan asked, if your mom doesn't allow it, you still? Eric replied with a bright smile, I like dancing, not business. On what grounds can you act in movies, but I can't dance? It's unreasonable. Then he looked into the distance and noticed Han Noyet behind Chao Meng. He suddenly shouted with joy, heroine. Han Noyet was startled. Ah, I've been discovered. Mach 2 asked in surprise. What's wrong? What's going on? Chihan had to explain from the beginning. That day at the Veen family manor, our Han Noyet mistook a sneaking Eric for a thief and taught him a lesson. On the other side, Eric was happily asking to be Han Noyet's friend. Heroine, please teach me martial arts. Thank you. Han Noyet was at a loss for words. A crew member announced loudly, Director Bui, we're ready. We can start filming. Chihan thought to herself, this scene is an argument between Zhao Yingmei and her husband. The argument ends with a slap from Zhao Yingmei's husband. Zhao Yingmei and her son Nuonyuo clean up the messy room. Nuonyuo finds Zhao Yingmei's old childhood dance dress. He gives it to her and asks, Mom, this is for girls to wear. Zhao Yingmei looks at the dress, her heart full of nostalgia. That's right, this is for girls to wear. The director shouted, cut. She said to Chihan, not right, the emotion is wrong. Chihan, come over here for a moment. Over here. Her bodyguards were discussing in a corner. This is the 6th time Sister Chihan scene has been cut. Sister Chihan almost always passed in one take before. Is this scene that hard to act? Bui Veen asked her from the side. Chihan, were you afraid of injections as a child? She replied, very afraid. Bui Veen asked again. After the injection, was there anything happy that could make you forget the pain of the needle? Chihan thought, something happy, something happy. Happy something? Bui Veen looked at her helplessly. Nothing at all? She asked Chihan again. If not at home, then what about at school? Or would you watch a movie? Or listen to some music? Chihan was still hesitant. Then she looked toward Chao Meng. Over here, Veendu is praising. So cool. Han Noyet said, look, this kung fu set is the legendary Bajuanjin. Chao Meng was also looking at her. Chihan thought, it's strange. It seems no matter when I look at him, he knows immediately. Chao Meng quickly averted his gaze. Chihan also blushed and smiled. Silly. Bui Veen asked again, did you think of something happy? She replied, I thought of someone very funny, very silly, very naive. Then she asked Bui Veen back, if something bad happened to you when you were 18 and someone stood up to protect you, would you remember that person forever? She seemed a little surprised. A boy? Chihan replied, a kid who was only 13 He didn't really have any skills. He was just bold because there were a lot of people. When we fought, he had less spirit than I did. Besides, those things had nothing to do with him. The image of that boy appeared in Chi-han's memory. Sister, are you okay? Boy-veen suddenly understood. You like him? Boy-veen looked at her, holding a cigarette, and said, think about the boy you met when you were 18. Let's do it again. Chi-han snatched the cigarette from the director's hand, reminding her, don't smoke. Secondhand smoke also causes cancer. She held the cigarette in her hand, her cheeks slightly flushed, thinking to herself, I guess it couldn't be considered a crush back then, right? Having her cigarette snatched. The female director seemed a bit surprised, but then filming resumed. Boy-veen sat in front of the monitor, reminding the person next to her to continue. The scene for the Great Earthquake began. In the setting, Chi-han looked at the child's dress, replaying the image of the young man from when she was 18 in her mind, her heart fluttering, her cheeks flushed. Chi-han looked lovingly at the sparkling pink dress. Everyone on set was amazed by her natural, authentic performance. The director crossed her arms in satisfaction. Truly a good actress. Then the scene ended. The assistant director shouted loudly, cut. The director was so happy, she threw her image to the wind and ran to hug her. You did it, she continued. If you think about it, there are still happy things. Chi-han replied, yes, thank you. In the distance, Chow Mang was watching her, as if it had been a long time since he had seen her smile. A moment later, on the stairs outside the film set, Eric was sitting and chatting with Chi-han. He called me to ask about you. Said he called you, but couldn't get through. Princess, are you mad at my uncle? Chi-han was surprised by Eric's question and replied, huh? Of course not. Then she picked up her phone, only to find it had been turned off. My phone was too noisy, so I turned it off. The moment Chi-han turned it on, she saw countless missed calls. She was wondering whether to call back when she suddenly received a notification. Your friend, Nguyen Thursday Thoy, just posted something new. She immediately clicked on Weibo. The post was a picture of a woman who looked very much like Chi-han, but with an extremely pained expression. He wrote, tomorrow is a new day. The woman in the photo was Chi-han. She was shocked, is that me? When did he take that? Below the post, many comments asked him if that was NAMA-MANGAI. Some asked directly who he was talking about, while others mocked him. Chi-han said nothing, just sitting there quietly. It feels so lonely. Eric thought to himself, the princess is angry. But in reality, Chi-han wasn't paying any attention. She was just playing a game. Eric breathed a sigh of relief, so she was playing a game. Suddenly, Chi-han turned to him and said, the heroine plays this game too. If you want to be her disciple, you should go learn it. Eric was surprised. I'll go get my phone right now. With that, he hurried off. When she was alone again, Chi-han quickly turned off her phone and sighed to herself. Finally, some peace and quiet. She looked up at the clear blue sky above, her hair gently blowing in the wind, the scene so peaceful. Suddenly, a voice called out from somewhere. Chi-han. It was Chow Mang, who had come up at some point. He reminded her, the next scene probably won't be done until around 5 o'clock. Are you planning to go to dance practice? Chi-han smiled, of course I am. After filming was done, Chi-han and Chow Mang got in the car together to go to the dance studio. Chi-han thought, ever since the party at the Nguyen family's house, the relationship between me and Chow Mang has become more and more like a protectee and a bodyguard. We barely say a few words to each other. Occasionally our eyes meet, and Chow Mang is always the first to look away. I wonder if it's because I cried so miserably that day and scared him. Chow Mang didn't dare to look at her. He shyly avoided her gaze, his face slightly flushed. He told himself to hold back. Right now, she's completely focused on her career. He couldn't let her get distracted. Arriving at the studio, Chi-han and Chow Mang walked in. She saw a woman practicing and spoke up. Hello. That woman turned around and greeted her. You must be Miss Chi-han? It turned out the woman Chi-han saw earlier was the assistant dance instructor, Duong Chi-tam. She looked at Chi-han and said with a smile, it must be because your phone has been off, right? Teacher Tran couldn't contact you, so he notified your manager. He had to go abroad to handle some matters. For the next 2 months, I'll be teaching in his place. Chi-han smiled and replied, it's truly my honor. I'll be in your care then. Chi-tam smiled and introduced herself. I'm Duong Chi-tam. I look forward to your guidance. Then she turned to Chow Mang. And this gentleman is... Then she suddenly froze. Looking at the man before her, she greeted him naturally. Chow Mang, long time no see. In the dance studio, Chi-tam was passionately demonstrating her dance moves. She had a tall, slender figure that was not at all weak. Her long-term dance training had given her beautiful muscle definition. Even without makeup, it was hard to hide her beauty. Chi-hung was captivated by the sight. She couldn't help but sigh internally. This was a woman who made a good impression at first sight. Moreover, recalling the way Ji Xian had greeted Zhou Meng, she guessed this was a girl who was very popular with men. Ji Xian turned her head to look at her and asked, "What's wrong?" Chi Hung snapped back to reality and praised, "You have such a great presence." Ji Xian used a towel to wipe her sweat and said to her, "When I was little, I thought people who learned to dance were very beautiful, so I kept pestering my parents to let me learn. My hobby gradually became my job, and after so many years, I've gotten used to it." Then she sat down next to Chi Hung. "Now I can basically dance a little bit of every style, but I'm best at tango." Chi Hung said excitedly, "I want to learn tango too. Can you teach me?" Ji Xian happily agreed. "Of course. I heard it's for your new movie, right?" She continued, "I was once a body double for the female lead in a historical drama. Filming the dance scenes for her was quite tiring. For you to be willing to learn it yourself, you must really like this movie, huh?" Chi Hung replied, "It reminds me of things I've been through." Ji Xian asked again, "What have you been through?" Chi Hung looked at her, a little surprised, then quickly changed the subject, praising, "This protein bar is delicious." Ji Xian looked at her phone and asked, "Your co-star is Jiang Tsin. He's very good." Chi Hung replied happily, "He's my idol. I really want to dance with him in the movie." Ji Xian asked curiously, "So you've fallen for him?" Chi Hung turned to get something from her backpack beside her and replied with a smile, "How could that be? It's just admiration and aspiration." Ji Xian was silent for a moment, then said, "Jiang Tsin is married." Chi Hung's movements suddenly froze. She thought that she and Jiang Tsin were both actors in the same crew. So what did his marriage have to do with her? She looked at Ji Xian, who was smiling at her from across, and thought, what does she mean by that? Zhou Meng walked in from outside, interrupting her train of thought. Chi Hung, it's time. Let's go home. She stood up and said goodbye to Tang, Ji Xian. "Well then, teacher Tang, that's all for today's practice." Ji Xian replied, "See you next time." Then Chi Hung left. On the way back, Chi Hung asked Zhou Meng about Ji Xian, your ex-girlfriend. Zhou Meng didn't understand and asked back, "What?" Chi Hung said, "Tang Ji Xian, your ex-girlfriend." Zhou Meng replied, "She's not." This time, it was Chi Hung's turn to be confused. "Why that expression? It's a bit strange." She said, "She seems to have a good personality, so why does it seem like she doesn't like me very much?" Zhou Meng replied, "I don't know. I don't understand the minds of you women." Chi Hung said, Right. You men are the ones with the simplest minds." Then neither of them knew what else to say, and each focused on their own thing. Zhou Meng concentrated on driving, and she played with her phone. After a while, Zhou Meng spoke up, "Don't get too close to this person." Chi Hung smiled. "We've already made plans to see a movie tomorrow." Zhou Meng suddenly slammed on the brakes, unbuckled his seatbelt, turned to look at her, and said seriously, "No, cancel it." Chi Hung smiled. "Not unless you give me a reason." Chi Hung thought to herself, "Of course there's no such plan. Before the storm completely subsides, how would I dare to appear in public?" He continued driving and said casually, "I never speak ill of others behind their backs, especially not women. I just want to remind you, Tang Ji Xian is not what she seems." Chi Hung realized that it seemed Tang Ji Xian and Zhou Meng really did have some history. She said, "I know you two were dance partners." As she spoke, she turned her head to look out the car window at the passing road. "She told me." Chi Hung thought to herself, "TSK, how boring." This afternoon, in the dance studio, Ji Xian had shown Chi Hung a photo of her and Zhou Meng from their university days. "At that time, I was a teaching assistant at the art academy and also the instructor for the dance club. Zhou Meng was dragged into the club by his roommate. That's how we met," she recounted excitedly. "Zhou Meng and I were competition dance partners, or you could say I could also be considered Zhou Meng's teacher." Then she showed Chi Hung a photo of her and a young Zhou Meng together. "This is my favorite flower. I made him pin it on." Ji Xian smiled. Look at his unwilling expression. Chi Hung looked at the photo of Zhou Meng and Tang Ji Xian. A Zhou Meng like that was so unfamiliar. I tried to imagine myself as Zhou Meng's dance partner, but Tang Ji Xian was too perfect. I couldn't put myself in that position at all. Chi Hung felt a little anxious, biting her nails. No, I'm so stupid. How could Zhou Meng be like the ordinary man I've met? How could I put him in the same category as them? I shouldn't be testing him, nor should I be playing hard to get. For Zhou Meng, I was never the only option. under the snowy night sky. Chi-hung got out of the car. The movie The Great Earthquake was still filming. In front of everyone, Chi-hung continued to be an actress, and Zhou Meng continued to be a bodyguard, their relationship perfectly proper. After the scene ended, Zhou Meng brought a thick down jacket to put on her so she wouldn't get cold, but Chi-hung just wanted to quickly get to the set. She longed to become Zhao Yingmei. Chi-hung walked quickly towards the set, leaving Zhou Meng behind. Acting, it helped her temporarily escape the complicated feelings she had for Zhou Meng. The entertainment industry has never been short of rumors. Gossip like a star being suspected of crime, being detained, or getting into a knife fight, or young artists falling in love, breaking up, brawling, committing crimes, and going to jail were countless. Gradually, not many people remembered Chi-hung's affairs. In fact, no one really cares about the truth. In modern society, when people are overly dependent on electronic devices, falling in love and expressing affection are perfectly normal. People only have a natural interest in the trivial matters behind a celebrity's halo. They are nothing more than another piece of after-dinner gossip, to chat with neighbors and friends for a few days and then forget. Who has the energy to care if it's true or false, or a matter of life and death, since it has nothing to do with them anyway? Over here, in the break room, Chi-hung continued, "So don't worry. My issue will blow over in a few days." It seemed Chi-hung was talking so much that the person next to her couldn't quite keep up. She turned to Chi-hung and said, "This time, the one who wants to destroy you is Chun Luoyang. Luckily, besides the great earthquake, you don't have any other work right now." The assistant said angrily, "That useless Lin Jichuan, saying he can't afford to offend either Chen Luoyang or Feng Chuan, and wants you to stop working here." She was so angry she tore at her hair, cursing, "Chen Luoyang hates Pei Yuan to death. If you keep working at Pei Yuan's place, he will definitely stomp you to death." Chi-hung suddenly stopped. She said decisively, "I can't give up the great earthquake." Xiaoyan said, "I know, that's why I gave Lin Jichuan a piece of my mind. Now he hates me too." A strange voice chimed in. Chun Luoyang's heart is as small as his pupils. Unbeknownst to them, the director had been standing outside the door and overheard the two girls' conversation. She continued, "Not like a man at all." Xiaoyan asked, "Why does he hate you so much?" Chi-hung, and we were all curious. "Because I released the video of him kneeling and apologizing, and he's angry that I took away many of his resources. This is also not the style of an educated family." The director scoffed coldly and explained, "When he and I divorced, I was pregnant but didn't tell him. After signing the divorce agreement, I had an abortion. Chun Luoyang found out and said I didn't respect him, didn't cherish this marriage and family." She sneered. "He cherished it? He cherished it so much that he slept with Yin Yin?" The two were stunned after hearing this. Then she announced some bombshell news. "Oh right, Chun Luoyang and Yin Yin broke up." Then she ended the story. "You two are surprised, aren't you? After saying so much, I just want to tell you, for Chun Luoyang, face is his life. He has no principles. So what about you? Chi-hung, you always say the things that shouldn't be said." As expected, Pei Yuan's prediction came true. A long article of over 10,000 words about Chi-hung was published, with the headline, "Doing it despite knowing it's impossible." The article dug up Chi-hung's entire childhood and adolescence, Chi-rong and Sun Huan, the terrible past she had never mentioned. The second half of the article tore down Chi-hung as having only looks and no professional skills. Chi-hung stood in the white snow, reading the news. This blow from Chun Luoyang was very direct and vicious. Chi-hung was completely exposed to the public. She had nothing left to hide. She was the product of Chi-rong raping Sun Huan. The article claimed that she was always trying to escape her innate shame. The way to escape shame was to deny her own past. From somewhere, Zhou Meng walked over, took her hand, and whispered in her ear, "It's getting colder. Be careful not to catch a cold." Chi-hung sighed. "It's unbearable. Has this person gotten used to pitying me? But if I encounter a slight displeasure and become sad, he turned back time and become that 18-year-old boy again, always wanting to do something to protect me. I don't need anyone's pity, otherwise, wouldn't the past 10+ years have been lived in vain? But if that pity comes from his person, I always find it hard to refuse." Then the two of them walked home hand in hand. On the way back, Chi-hung excitedly asked Zhou Meng, "Have you read it? Every article praises how beautiful I am, right? Even the person who wrote this article can't deny that I'm beautiful. Worth it." Zhou Meng said nothing. He just popped a sweet candy into her mouth. Chi-hung recoiled in surprise, questioning, You dare to feed me such a scary thing?" Zhou Meng said helplessly, "It's dark chocolate. Sugar-free and low-fat. Chi Hung said with satisfaction. That's more like it. She smiled brightly and replied, thank you. Zhou Meng looked at her. His face flushed slightly, then he quickly looked away. He asked, you can still smile in a situation like this? She replied, this is exactly what I was waiting for. An open attack is easy to dodge, but a hidden arrow is hard to guard against. For him to attack so openly, it's actually not that hard to deal with. The next day, the movie continued filming. At the Great Earthquake set, Xiao Yin rushed into Chi Heng's makeup room, urgently announcing, Fengchuan Entertainment has also made a move. She excitedly told Chi Hung, Lin Jichuan has filed complaints with public accounts and the media, demanding the articles be taken down. Chi Hung, who was sitting in front of the mirror getting her makeup done for the shoot, looked at her and replied, all right, the article said I was deceived in my relationship with Lin Jichuan. The management contract is very unreasonable, with a breach penalty of 60 million. Xiao Yin said happily, that's right. Lin Jichuan thinks this affects the company's reputation. He scolded Lin Jichuan and sent people to handle it. There was a knock from the door. The door opened, and outside stood Zhou Meng and a woman dressed in black. Chi Hung asked, it's you. The woman immediately and quickly admitted her fault. Chi Hung, I'm sorry, it was my fault. I shouldn't have written that profile piece. Because of that article, the company received complaints, and I was fired. I truly know I was wrong. Please drop the lawsuit. I really can't afford to pay that much in compensation. I'm sorry. As she spoke, she knelt down in front of Chi Hung, crying and begging. Chi Hung asked her coldly, why did you think of writing about me? You interviewed me, and I actually had a very good impression of you. She replied, recently, all the topics I submitted to the editor-in-chief were rejected. Finally, the editor-in-chief gave me a topic shocking enough, and also gave me countless materials, so I accepted. I'm sorry. The woman just kept crying her eyes out. I'm sorry. Chi Hung was silent for a moment, then sighed and replied, all right, stop crying. As she spoke, she handed the female reporter a tissue to wipe her tears. She replied, I can withdraw the lawsuit, but you have to do me a small favor. After the shoot ended, Chi Hung and Zhou Meng were discussing something with the female reporter. After they finished talking, the woman turned and left. Zhou Meng asked her, is it really okay? Can you trust her? Chi Hung replied, right now, I need another topic to divert the netizens' attention and reduce the public pressure on me. Her abilities are not a problem. Besides, she and I have common interests. Helping me is also helping herself, isn't it? Then Chi Hung suddenly thought of something, ran off happily. Zhou Meng, I'm hungry. Let's go out and get something to eat. At a Chinese-style hot pot and barbecue restaurant, Chi Hung, wearing a white down jacket and a mask, was happy about the delicious food she was about to eat. Over there, they're selling cold noodles and sandwiches. She was about to run over to buy some when she noticed a lot of people there. So she had to turn back and ask Zhou Meng, you go buy it. If I get recognized over there, I'm done for. Zhou Meng agreed. Okay, don't run around. Chi Hung replied, don't worry. I promise I'll wait here. I won't leave your sight for even half a step. Hearing that, Zhou Meng felt relieved and turned to go buy the food. He sighed. He had thought she would be crushed by this incident. Just like before, when she was unhappy, she would just lie in bed without moving, not saying anything, not eating anything. It seemed that after confronting her most difficult-to-expose past, she had suddenly grown a tough suit of armor, able to withstand anything. Thinking of this, Zhou Meng couldn't help but laugh to himself. What a tough girl. Chi Hung stood in the crowd, her hat and mask covering her completely. She thought to herself, why does this mask smell of cigarette smoke? Then she couldn't help but temporarily take it off. It must be my Z cigarette smoke. He smokes on set, so it must have picked up the smell. Suddenly, a hand reached out from behind and yanked her back, startling Chi Hung. It turned out to be a sleazy-looking middle-aged man who called out her name, Chi Hung. It really is you. Chi Hung was very surprised, not expecting to be recognized so quickly. I'm done for. That perverted man didn't stop, shouting loudly to attract the crowd's attention. Chi Hung. It's the female celebrity Chi Hung. It turned out he was also a fitness live streamer on social media. He took out his camera and said to the people in his live stream room, brothers, we've struck gold today. It's really Chi Hung. Chi Hung had deliberately avoided the camera, but the man still tried to point his phone at her. Hello. I'm a fan of yours. A lot of people are fans of yours. Say hello. He continued to ask more outrageous questions. You look a bit haggard. Are you out of work recently? He continued to shamelessly ask more outrageous questions. Everyone says you're a female hooligan. Do you have anything to say? This time, Chi-hung couldn't take it anymore, angrily swatting his hand away, causing his phone to fall to the ground and shatter. But the disgusting man wouldn't let it go. He took out another phone. You think dropping my phone is the end of it? This time, he even loudly accused her to the crowd. Oh my God, Chi-hung. It was Chi-hung who broke my phone. Pay up, pay up. Everyone comment, pay up. Chi-hung was speechless. Big brother, you're a real pro at this streaming thing. She sneered internally. All right, I'll play along with you. Then she tucked her hair back. I wonder if this live stream has a beauty filter on. It's better if it doesn't. Then she took a small notebook out of her pocket and tore out a page. The man asked confusedly, "What are you doing?" Chi-hung still didn't answer. She seemed to be writing something on the notebook. He continued to threaten, "Pay up now." Chi-hung remained silent. After she finished writing, she took a hairpin from her head and clipped the paper and a few 100 yuan bills together. After doing so, Chi-hung squatted down and placed the paper and money on the ground. The man asked angrily, "What are you doing? What are you doing? This little bit of money, are you giving alms to a beggar?" A look of sorrow appeared on her face as she said, "I'm sorry. This is all I have on me. It's not enough. You can contact me at the number on the paper." Just as she was getting into character, she noticed he had returned. "It's over. Zhou Meng is here." Seeing this, she quickly apologized. Zhou Meng approached. "Are you okay? Who was that?" Chi-hung quickly pulled him away. Don't go over there. The ending is very important." Then Chi-hung smiled with satisfaction, while Zhou Meng still didn't understand what she was up to. "What did you do now?" What happened yesterday, just as she predicted, was bound to spread online. The poster was Highlang entertainment news. The content was simple, just a streamer encountering Chi-hung at night. Chi-hung angrily dropping the streamer's phone, accompanied by video. Below the post were over 13,000 comments, most of which defended her. For example, "Even though she's no saint, it's true that she's beautiful. Even if she's a star, even if she has many bad scandals, a girl alone at night being harassed by a sallow-faced, obese man, anyone would be scared. It's not Chi-hung's fault." This streamer said several times during his run that this selfie stick was no good. It was about to break. The direction of public opinion was surprising. They were all criticizing the rude man from yesterday. "This selfie stick is no good. It's about to break." That's right. And then Chi-hung even took out all her cash to compensate him, and also wrote down her contact information, which is enough to show her sincerity. The next day, the incident with Chi-hung's live stream became a top search topic, the theme being, do artists need to be honest about all personal matters? And Chi-hung took advantage of this, with the help of her best friend, Zhang Miyun, and the female reporter, to successfully divert the topic. Chi-hung, wearing a simple dark outfit, sat in a room, her chin propped on her hand, boredly scrolling through social media, when she suddenly stopped at a post from an account called Handsome Guy's Gym, posted 4 hours ago, which included a photo of Chi-hung and Zhou Meng walking together last night, with the caption, "She has a boyfriend, I'm the real whistleblower." Full video, price negotiable. And this message stunned her. She selected a photo taken from behind, zoomed in to look closely. Zhou Meng was very tall, so she only came up to just past his shoulder. This height difference was very nice. Chi-hung smiled, constantly praising to herself, "This photographer's skills aren't bad. I didn't expect that I would look so good with him." Then Chi-hung clicked on the bottom right corner of the screen and shared the photo. Chang Xiaoyan saw her staring foolishly at her phone and felt a chill down her spine. "Xiaohung, is someone scolding you again? That smile is so creepy." Zhou Meng, sitting in the driver's seat of the car, heard his phone notification and slowly opened it. On the screen was the photo of the two of them walking together on the night street. His facial muscles relaxed, his lips pursed into a line, and he broke into a happy laugh. He nudged Yin with her elbow, standing outside the car looking at Zhou Meng's expression, thinking to herself, "What's Brother Meng looking at? That smile is so creepy." A week later, at the Great Earthquake set, the last scene's effect was very good. The director watched for a moment and then satisfyingly called cut. Everyone gradually gathered into a group. Great acting. This scene passed in one take. It's amazing. Amazing. The male lead this time is played by Jiang San. He followed behind Chi-hung with small steps, scratching his head shyly. "I'm sorry, I forgot my lines." A moment later, Jiang Sun, having changed his clothes, stood to one side observing. Another colleague laughed and teased. "What's wrong?" Were you staring at her in a daze during the scene, just now? He said shyly, hee hee, I didn't expect Chi Hung to be such a good actress. Another person chimed in. Chi Hung doesn't have a boyfriend. Jiang Tsin's face fell. Isn't there a rumor that Wan Shushi is pursuing her? Besides, oh my, I've seen you joking around with Chi Hang's bodyguard more than once, haven't I? He laughed heartily. That's right, chaos is more fun, more exciting. Jiang Tsin looked towards Chi Hung and accidentally met Zhou Meng's knife-sharp gaze on him and softly said a sentence. Makes sense. Zhou Meng approached Chi Hung. She curved her lips. What did you overhear just now? He opened his mouth to warn her that Jiang Tsin guy. Suddenly a group of people ran towards them, interrupting their conversation. Chi Hung, you acted so well just now. Sister Chi Hang's dancing is also beautiful. If I were Wang Jing, I would also be mesmerized by Zhao Mei. Zhou Meng, having been interrupted, lost the interest to repeat himself. Chi Hung glanced at him, saw his expression, and was very confused, thinking to herself, why the gloomy face? What did he hear just now? What's wrong with Jiang Tsin? A staff member called from outside. Time to eat. Chi Hung used her little head to think for a moment and finally came to a conclusion. Could it be? At the dining table, in front of many people, Chi Hung launched a relentless assault, putting one dish after another into Zhou Meng's bowl. This meat is delicious. Don't just eat meat, have some vegetables too. These strange actions made Zhou Meng break out in a cold sweat, feeling very unaccustomed. What's wrong with her now? Chi Hing scooped a full bowl of soup and brought it to him. This soup is also delicious. Have a taste? Chi Hung recalled his gloomy expression and the romantic scene from earlier, connecting the dots. He must have seen my romantic scene with Jiang Tsin and gotten jealous. The phone in Zhou Meng's pocket suddenly rang. He stood up, put down his chopsticks, and went outside to answer the call. She snorted, so childish. Ruan Rue looked at Chi Hung, his face looking grim. Is a bodyguard or a swordwoman better? Chi Hung smiled brightly and even winked. What nonsense are you talking about? Zhou Meng's martial arts are much better than a swordswoman's. Besides, he saved your swordswoman's life. A child like Ruan Rue blushed upon hearing these words. What? Then wouldn't the swordswoman have to repay him with her body? No way. Zhou Meng, who was on the phone, saw her happy expression and took a few steps back. The three of them looked at Chi Hung and Zhou Meng, feeling very helpless. Their relationship is so good. Ruan Rue thought again. The swordswoman's brother really doesn't understand romance. Jiang Tsin, with a spoon in his mouth, stared in a daze. Zhou Meng held his phone. Chi Hung, come here for a moment. The call screen was still on. There's a call for you. A moment later, an old classmate of mine called. He said someone is investigating you in her hometown. Chi Hung crossed her arms and asked back, investigating me? Zhou Meng nodded. He said a few weeks ago someone approached him, asking in great detail about the whole story from back then. He recounted his old classmate's words. That person was very mysterious, unwilling to reveal their identity. They kept prying for information, asking about Sister Chi Hung and her parents. My friend didn't say any important details. I'm afraid they have bad intentions and want to harm you. Chi Hung recalled the old days. Your classmate, are they the ones who helped you save me before when Zhang Yitong was bullying me? She clapped her hands happily. I'll prepare New Year's gifts for them this year too. He put his hands in his pockets and sighed. Let's deal with the matter at hand first. Chi Hung shook her head. Her words were light. There's nothing to deal with. How can we investigate someone who won't reveal their identity? Tell Sister Xiao Yin about this later. She'll handle it. Zhou Meng was confused. What about you? Chi Heng's cheeks flushed. You just have to protect me. This sentence hit Zhou Meng's brain and heart directly. He lowered his eyes, teased by her again. Zhou Meng was easily embarrassed, thin-skinned. A few words could make him blush. He clearly knew she was acting to tease him, but it seemed he had fallen for a trick again. I must be crazy too. Just then, Chang Xiao Yin walked in from the door. Xiao Hong, someone is looking for you. A woman in dark clothes and sunglasses walked into the room against the light. It was Director General Nguyen of Nguyen Thatch Entertainment. Director Nguyen placed a contract on the table and crossed her legs. This is a new contract with extremely generous terms. Of course, we at Nguyen Thatch Entertainment will help you resolve your 20-year contract with Fong Shuyan. Chi Han flipped through it, glancing over a few clauses in the contract, feeling a bit disappointed. What a pity. I thought there would be some kind of development. Instead, a scene appeared in her mind of Director Nguyen holding a thick stack of cash and throwing it at her, demanding that she stay away from Nguyen Thursday Thoy. As long as you leave Tu Thoy immediately, this money will be yours. This contract is something I've always dreamed of, but why me? Chihan thought to herself, this probably has nothing to do with Nguyen Thursday though. If he had suggested signing me, Nguyen-chan would be even angrier. She sat upright in her chair, her brows furrowed, with not a hint of a smile in her eyes. This person, at this moment, was treating her like a commodity. Chihan folded the contract in her hand. Is it because of Bui Veen? Nguyen-chan nodded. She speaks very highly of you. Thanks to her, I also invested a little in this film. Chihan had a sudden realization and lowered her head without speaking. So that's how it is. To make the person in charge of Nguyen Thatch Entertainment show up in person, it must naturally involve the connection between Bui Veen and Mock Tuesday. Chihan folded the contract and placed it carefully on the table. She placed her hands on her lap and smiled gently. I will consider it carefully. Through this, she more or less understood that she had proven her commercial value. It was enough to make Nguyen Thatch Entertainment willing to pay her $60 million for breach of contract. Director Nguyen walked past Chihan and said softly, my younger brother doesn't know about this yet. Don't tell him. Chihan's hair fell, covering half of her face. She stepped forward, looking at the woman's retreating back. Don't you think you're being too controlling of Nguyen Thursday though? The woman's footsteps stopped. Thursday though is not someone who is easily controlled. She waved her sleeve and laughed loudly. It's precisely because he's hard to control that he must be controlled tightly. She turned her head back. I'm a mistress of the Nguyen family. As long as Nguyen Thursday, though he is not married, he is still under my control. Nguyen-chan walked to the corridor and suddenly saw a sneaky figure. Eric. Hearing his name, the other person was startled. She strode over, snatched the hat off his head, and said angrily, didn't you already go abroad? How dare you lie to me? The boy struggled like a little rabbit, crying and wailing. You forced me, you dictator. The other two could only turn their heads and watch helplessly. Hang in there, Eric. Looks like we'll have to find another instructor. Chihan heard this from a distance and thought of someone. I also know a dance teacher. Chow Mang came closer, gently pulling her hand to stop her. No. He frowned unhappily. Don't associate with her too much. Chihan's hair was tied up casually. She looked up, a few strands of hair falling down the nape of her neck. You have such a strong prejudice against her. What on earth happened in the past? Chow Mang turned away, refusing to answer. Chihan was all too familiar with this behavior of his. She huffed. If you don't want to say it, I have my ways of finding out. The film crew staff were preparing props. Chihan, Han Noyet, and Han Nian were huddled in a corner near the prop storage, whispering. I think Mang-ji once said he went through some unpleasant things in college. Mang-ji was in a martial arts club in college, and later took up dancing too. He was very popular. Maybe he had some conflicts with girls. Chihan asked curiously, what kind of conflict? Han Nian continued. There was a bar near his school's back gate, and sometimes street thugs would harass the female students. Mang-ji clashed with them before. She let out a small ah. How did he clash with them? Did he hit anyone? Whenever Han Noyet mentioned Chow Mang, her eyes would light up with immense pride. Mang-ji has been practicing martial arts for many years. It seems he started learning from a master in middle school. Even if he didn't hit anyone, people could tell he was a martial artist just by looking at him and would naturally respect him. Ti Hang Fao Si Lin. After a long moment, she asked again, middle school, why did he start learning martial arts? Han Nian shrugged, indicating he didn't know. He started in the 8th grade. The reason is unclear. Han Noyet quickly added, we asked Mang-ji, but he wouldn't say anything. Chihan rested her chin on her hand, lost in thought. 8th grade, that's 13 years old. Chow Mang back, then was still a teenager, full of youthful energy. He was holding a cat in his arms. That was the 2nd year we knew each other. After thinking for a moment, her cheeks flushed. Could it be because of me? She imagined Chow Mang in his training uniform, his young face carrying a touch of determination and maturity. What a pity. I should have gone back to my hometown once after starting college. It would have been nice to at least see the Chow Mang from back then. Chihan's mind was still wandering. She was smiling foolishly when Han Nian suddenly exclaimed, ah, I remember now. Something happened at the school. He recounted, a girl was walking from the stadium back to her dorm at night. She suddenly got dizzy and fell into the river. That girl was one of Mang-ji's admirers. Chihan asked, is she okay? He nodded. She's fine. A passing student saved her. Mang-ji even went to the hospital to visit her. Han Noyet's phone rang. She looked at the screen and sighed. It's Eric. He's calling me for help. Han Nian glanced over, looking a bit annoyed. Is he always bothering you like this? Chihan sat opposite them. The story Han Nian had just told was still swirling in her mind. She murmured, the girl who fell into the river, an admirer of Chow Mang. Does it have anything to do with Tang Chi Tam? Winter came earlier than usual this year. Early in the morning, opening the door revealed a sky full of falling snow, and the entire street was covered in a blanket of white. Therefore, in this cold weather, everyone liked to eat hot food. Even to buy roasted sweet potatoes, you had to wait in line for more than 10 minutes. Tang Chi Tam was wearing a long coat with a high-neck sweater underneath, completely bundled up. She held a small gift box in her hand. "This is for you. You once said you liked this perfume. Today is our last dance class. Keep it as a memento," she said as she pressed the gift box into Chi Han's hand. "Thank you." Chi Han wrapped a scarf around her neck, revealing her porcelain skin, slightly flushed from the cold. "Ms. Tang, after class, please have a meal with us." She looked at the woman in front of her and thought, "I'm sorry. Without evidence, I shouldn't be suspicious that she was the one who pushed that girl into the river." Tang Chi Tam smiled and agreed. "All right, Chi Han waiva. See you later." From a distance, Kwang Sam saw Chi Han standing in the street and subconsciously called her name, Chi Han. Kwang Sam walked past Tang Chi Tam without noticing her and went straight towards Chi Han. "What a coincidence, meeting you here." She tucked her hands into her sleeves and looked up. "Why are you here?" He explained, "A friend of mine is here." Tang Chi Tam watched them, the two of them chatting happily. She then glanced at Chow Mang, who was in line for roasted sweet potatoes. Her lips pressed into a thin line, then gradually curved into a strange smile. "See you later." Kwang Sam and Chi Han were standing by a fountain. He put his hands in his pockets and asked, "Where's Chow Mang? Isn't he your bodyguard? Why isn't he with you?" She leaned against the wall and pointed to the tall man in the crowd. "He's buying roasted sweet potatoes for me." Kwang Sam followed her gaze. "I've seen the previous videos and photos. You and him. Is it real?" The girl nodded, both shy and happy. "Almost." Chi Han thought to herself, "We weren't saying anything private in that photo, even though I know you have feelings for me." Kwang Sam saw her reaction, first a little surprised, then he lowered his eyes. "I never expected. I thought you would choose." Chi Han said softly, her voice as clear and sweet as a silver bell. "He is very outstanding." Whether it was true or not, her eyes were like she had encountered spring, warm and full of hope. He crossed his arms, blinked, and said in a somewhat roguish tone, I thought you would choose someone who could be useful to your career." Chi Han looked at him and asked blankly, "You?" She didn't expect Kwang Sam to be so shameless. "That's right." Hearing that, she immediately denied it. "It's not the same." When mentioning Chow Mang, Chi Han would always smile unconsciously, her heart feeling warm. "He's not like you guys." "He is." Kwang Sam spoke up. "A hero. That's what you were spouting on the film set." Chi Han couldn't help but laugh, her shoulders shaking, and burst out laughing. "Yeah, that's right. He's my hero, and also my safe harbor." Suddenly, Kwang Sam stepped forward, lowered his head, and moved close to her lovely face. The distance between them instantly closed. "Let me help you speed things up a bit." The tips of their noses were almost touching. Kwang Sam glanced at the crowd. Perhaps because of the angle from a distance, it looked like the two of them were kissing. Chow Mang craned his neck, so anxious he broke out in a sweat. Kwang Sam straightened up slightly. His appearance made Kwang Sam unable to resist a laugh. "Look how anxious he is, how interesting." Chi Han frowned. "Is this how you always seduce girls?" He tilted his head and waved as he left. It's a pity it didn't work this time. Chi Han watched his retreating back, dazed for a moment. A few seconds later, she heard a man's voice above her head, mixed with panting. She was startled, feeling as if she'd been caught doing something wrong, and guiltily turned her head. Chow Mang pushed his way out of the crowd, his clothes a bit disheveled. It was so cold, yet he was drenched in sweat, panting heavily. "You want to choose him?" Chi Han's gaze shifted to the bag of still steaming roasted sweet potatoes in his hand, and she asked worriedly, "Wait, did you burn your hand?" He clutched the bag tightly. "I'm Fina." Chi Han let out a sigh of relief. She took his hand. A man's hand was much larger and rougher than a woman's. She touched his fingers. The skin was red. It felt a little swollen. Something was on her mind, and after a long while, she slowly said, "I choose you." Her voice was as quiet as a mosquito's buzz. Despite the cold winter wind, she felt her cheeks burning. Chow Mang didn't quite hear her at first and let out a huh. She held his hand with both of hers. Her warm breath on his skin soothed even the pain. Chi Han came back to her senses and gently repeated what she had just said. "I'm not choosing anyone else. I choose you." A gentle breeze blew past, rustling the branches. It was as if it were announcing that Chow Mang was not dreaming. Chi Han was standing when he suddenly reached out and pulled her into an embrace. She lost her balance and was pulled into his arms, his hand carefully supporting the back of her neck. Chi Han's mind went blank from his action. Finally feeling how soft her lips were, she placed her hand on his chest and returned the kiss. After a long while, the two reluctantly parted, their noses brushing against each other. This is the second time Chow Mang has actively kissed me. His eyes seemed to hold countless words, as if wanting to drown me. Chow Mang gazed at her face. He closed his eyes and slowly kissed her again. This kiss no longer held any hesitation. Instead, it was heavy and precise, carrying a determination to possess her. Every strand of her hair slipped through his fingers. Chi-Han wrapped her arms around his neck, her heart pounding like a drum. Chi-Han was kissed until she forgot to breathe. She thought to herself, this person is so experienced. He must have kissed many other girls. Chow Mang let her go, lightly licking his lips. What are you thinking about? She chuckled, but didn't say it out loud. I'm thinking about your love history. Chow Mang's ears turned red as a tomato, and he stammered, no regrets and no returns. Chi-Han lowered her head, touching her lips. But should I tease him a little? After a moment's thought, she turned around, not wanting to break the atmosphere by leaving. Now I understand. I've never truly loved anyone before. Lam Trick Shuyan wasn't wrong about me. She turned her back to Chow Mang and suddenly asked, does Tang Chi Tam like you? Chow Mang was a little surprised, then returned to normal and shook his head. I don't like her. Chi-Han gave him a meaningful look. I see. It seems she confessed, but you rejected her. She linked her arm with his, hugging his firm arm. Then why do you keep telling me not to hang out with her? She pretended to think. Let me guess. Did the incident with the girl you liked falling into the river have something to do with her? Your tone was like a reminder that Tang Chi Tam is very dangerous. Chow Mang didn't evade the question and directly agreed with her guess. Yes, although both Tang Chi Tam and that girl are very persistent, and there's no concrete evidence. But Chi-Han quietly ate her roasted sweet potato. The two walked down the street, and she tilted her head, smiling. All right, I'll have a meal with her tonight, and after we eat, I'll head back. I won't associate with her anymore after this. In Thuong Tunan's hot pot restaurant, everyone was happily eating, drinking, and chatting. The teachers have worked hard during this time, Chi-Han said, raising her glass of beer. Suddenly, she turned her head and looked towards Tang Chi Tam. Tang Chi Tam was resting her chin on her hand, chuckling. Seeing this, Chi-Han thought to herself, this Tang Chi Tam is usually quiet, but every time she speaks, she can liven up the atmosphere. She's not simple. Suddenly, Thuong Tunan stood up and awkwardly walked over to Chi-Han, whispering, Chi-Han, Lam Trick Shun is calling. I'm going outside to take the call. It's my business to walk 7 or 8 meters away. Chi-Han replied, softly with a sound of acknowledgement. With that, Thuong Tunan quickly walked to the door, hurriedly putting the phone to her ear. Director Lam, isn't the live stream incident over? It was that foolish Director General. Thuong Tunan said in a low voice, talking on the phone as she walked down the stairs. Suddenly, she stopped and asked in surprise, a photo of Chi-Han's bodyguard? Director Lam, you've misunderstood. It was that owner who wanted to make a move on Chi-Han, and Chow Mang protected her, that's all. Thuong Tunan hurriedly explained to him. Don't worry, the two of them are not in a relationship yet. Thuong Tunan added, Director Lam, they really are not in a relationship. Before Thuong Tunan could finish, a loud shout came from behind her, Chow Mang. She spun around abruptly, and the scene before her made Thuong Tunan extremely anxious. Chi-Han had appeared out of nowhere and was losing her balance, falling hard down the stairs. Du Hang, Thuong Tunan screamed. The scene changes to the hospital. The patient has a large, light blue bruise on her back, multiple soft tissue injuries on her body, and a slight fracture in her leg bone. After the diagnosis, the doctor said seriously, the patient needs to rest for 1 to 2 months and try not to let the wound get wet within a week. The doctor pointed to the medical record and added, Good, that's great. Thuong Tunan said with a sigh of relief. Thank you. It's a good thing you pulled her. Then Tunan looked at the injured Tang Chi Tam and said hesitantly, Thank you so much, Ms. Tang. Oh, Tui, Ji Hang. It's all right. I'm glad Chi-Han is okay. Tang Chi Tam said with a light smile. At this moment, Chi-Han was slowly walking into the room, her expression serious. I was also wanting to rest for a bit. As soon as Tang Chi Tam finished speaking, Chi-Han came closer, a smile on her lips as she asked, Ms. Tang, do you hate me very much? Tang Chi Tam's eyes widened in surprise as she asked, How could that be? I've watched many of your TV dramas, and besides, You have such a good personality. I like you a lot. Tang Chi Tam replied, the corners of her mouth curving up. Seeing this, Chi Han's face turned serious, and she questioned, then why did you rush up behind me and call out for Chow Mang at that moment? Isn't the live stream incident over? It was that Director Chi. Thuong Chunan's voice suddenly rang out, causing Chi Han to have a sudden realization. It really was because of this, Chi Han said to herself. At this moment, Chi Han recalled her first meeting with Tang Chi Tam, when Tang Chi Tam had a somewhat unhappy expression and asked, why is Chi Han here? Miss Tang, I'm here to see my manager, Chi Han had said. The more she thought about it, the more pensive Chi Han's face became. Don't get too close to her. Chi Han recalled what Chow Mang had once said. The scene returns to Thuong Chunan's hot pot restaurant. Chi Han and Tang Chi Tam were walking in the corridor when Tang Chi Tam suddenly fumbled in her bag and said, all right, I have another small gift for you. That's not necessary. You already gave me perfume. Suddenly, Tang Chi Tam gripped the railing tightly and shouted twice, Chow Mang. At that moment, Chi Han instinctively turned to follow Tang Chi Tam's gaze, when a hand suddenly appeared from nowhere and pushed Chi Han hard, causing her to fall. It was Tang Chi Tam. She intended to push Chi Han down the stairs. This was also the moment when Thuong Chunan, who was on the phone in a corner, saw this scene. Suddenly, Chi Han grabbed Tang Chi Tam's hand tightly. She leaned over, suddenly took a step forward, and spun around. In that moment, the tables were turned. Tang Chi Tam didn't have time to react and fell backward hard, tumbling down. Seeing someone fall to the ground with a thud, everyone let out horrified screams. Chow Mang had already gone to get the car at that time. He wasn't on that staircase at all. Why did you call for him? The scene returns to the present, and Chi Han asked, full of doubt, is that so? Oh, I must have seen wrong. It was too dark. Tang Chi Tam lightly placed a hand over her mouth and replied nonchalantly, by the way, where's Chow Mang? Your bodyguard isn't here protecting you. Where did he go? Tang Chi Tam asked in return. He went to check the restaurant's security cameras. Chi Han said with her eyes closed. Then the corner of her mouth lifted slightly, her attitude gradually changing. I'm very curious to see what can be found. In the dark of night, Chi Han leaned against the railing, quietly enjoying the breeze. I've checked the cameras. Chow Mang's voice came from behind, and Chi Han slowly turned her head. From where Tang Chi Tam was standing, the camera was visible, but it was slightly obscured by a decoration on the wall. Chow Mang continued softly. Suddenly, Chi Han ran to Chow Mang's side and threw herself into his arms, hugging him tightly. Her hands gripped his shoulders as she said resentfully, she was the one who did it. Why? Does she like you that much? Chi Han said with a frown. At this moment, Chow Mang reached out, wrapped his arm around her back, stroked her hair, and said softly, rather than saying she's interested in me, it's more like she's interested in you. She asked a few things about you. Chi Han said softly, are you a block of wood? Interested or not, she must be thinking, I can't handle Chow Mang, and he's always hanging around a bad woman like Chi Han, so she resented it and targeted me. Chi Han clutched the hem of Chow Mang's shirt and complained, you don't like bad women. Chow Mang's voice made Chi Han blush. Suddenly, a voice came from behind, Brother Chow Mang, it's 1 o'clock. There are still 4 hours until Sister Chi Han has to wake up for her morning run. Hanoyet said with her eyes closed. In a low voice, how about I run with you tomorrow? Chi Han leaned on Chow Mang's shoulder and replied with a smile. All right, let Hanoyet sleep a little longer. Good night. With that, Chow Mang gently kissed Chi Han's forehead. Under the sparkling moonlight, the scene seemed particularly romantic. Get over here. You're becoming more and more clueless. I think you've been spoiled by that foreigner. A hand reached out and forcefully pulled the dazed Hanoyet back. Nguyen Du is not a foreigner. Hanoyet struggled and replied. In the room, Chi Han was relaxing in the bathtub. She placed her hand on her lips, recalling Chow Mang's recent kiss, and chuckled. Ring, ring. The phone beside her rang, and Chi Han quickly picked it up. Meet at the company at 8. We need to discuss Chow Mang. The message from Lam Trick Shuyan left Chi Han confused for a moment. The next day, Chi Han went to the appointed place to meet Lam Trick Shuyan. Lam Trick Shuyan threw the phone in front of Chi Han and said angrily, anything to explain? Chi Han picked up the phone and looked at it with a frown. The photo was of her and Chow Mang. Chi Han wasn't surprised. She crossed her arms and replied softly, Chow Mang and I are together. Is there a problem? Hearing this, Lam Trick Shuyan's face immediately darkened. He slammed the table and roared, are you crazy? A bodyguard. He can't even do his job properly. What happened to him last night? I know everything crystal clear. He grew angrier as he spoke. If someone hadn't pulled you back, would you still be able to film the Great Earthquake? Tihang Vimai Silen. Sit still. Terminate the contract. From today on, Chow Mang is no longer your bodyguard. Lam Trick Shuyan stated arrogantly. All right. Chi-Han stood up and replied, looking up. Lam Trick Shuyan stood up from the table and replied to Chi-Han. All right. She frowned and said, fine. So are you going to find another bodyguard? Lam Trick Shuyan, suppressing his anger, replied to her, of course. You are still a person of Fong Shuyan. The company will definitely protect you. Lam Trick Shuyan placed his hand on the bridge of his nose. Chi-Han, I know Nguyen-chan has approached you. You're only going to Nguyen Thatch to sign a long-term contract with Nguyen-chan. She stood up and replied to Lam Trick Shuyan's words. That's still more comfortable than working for you people. Are you done? I'm leaving. He watched Chi-Han's retreating back, frowning slightly in thought. I originally thought that mentioning Chow Mang would make you angry, that you would lash out at me, proving that I at least have the ability to stir your emotions. But now, it seems the long-standing obsession between us has finally been severed by your own hand. Thuong Tu then saw her leaving, and hurriedly asked, I've helped you hide for a few days, but you can't hide forever. Han Nian and Han Noyet have been assigned to protect you, but Chow Mang, I already warned you. Sigh, really. She looked at the screen and smiled. Then comforted Chunan, it's okay, Sister Chunan. What we did was very good. On her phone was a message. I'm fine. See you tonight. Kwang Sam and Bui Veen both exclaimed in surprise. Chow Mang was fired. Then Bui Veen said, the company knows about you too. Is this the company's punishment? She replied, yes. Kwang Sam was a little worried. You should be more careful usually. I didn't see any paparazzi at the dance school yesterday, but someone saw you two kissing, burning with jealousy. It seems to be a teacher from the dance school. She immediately asked back, what did that person look like? She looked very beautiful, with a very gentle demeanor. Suddenly, her expression turned serious as she listened to Kwang Sam continue. All right, I think I heard someone call that girl Ms. Tang. She touched her chin with her hand, thinking, so, Tang Chi Tam pushed me down the stairs because she saw me and Chow Mang kissing, and she wanted revenge out of jealousy? The place we ate at was chosen by Thuong Chunan. Even if she wanted revenge, she shouldn't have chosen such a well-thought-out place. She was too angry, too agitated at that moment. I still feel like there's something I don't understand. Who exactly is Tang Chi Tam? Later, she went home